What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty. Join my Discord if you want to chat and share your thoughts, the link is in the description. 4BR Chapter 111, I'm not such a casual person. Hearing the silence, she was stunned for a moment, and her pretty face turned red when she came back to her senses, and she shouted. What are you thinking about? You ran to my room in the middle of the night and closed the door. You said what I can think of. Yu continued to pretend to be garlic. Do you think I look like that kind of person? How do I know this, but I know I am handsome. When Yu heard such shameless words, Mute was also frustrated for a while and didn't know how to reply. The two small mountain peaks also swayed slightly. Although they are not as majestic as Tsunade, they are still somewhat expected. Worthy of being a big sheep. Students. Call. After taking a deep breath, Mute said in a straightforward manner. In order to avoid your misunderstanding, I won't be circumspect. I don't want you to misunderstand Tsunade-sama. In fact, she is not that kind of person. You don't know her at all. She used to be very kind and loves the village very much. But since experiencing that incident, she has changed, becoming, now so muddled. What does this have to do with me? Yu said. Because that necklace is the only thing to remember Tsunade-sama, it is a necklace full of memories. Master Tsunade sees it more important than his life. I don't want it to fall into the hands of other people, even if it is only 1 in a billion. Obviously, Silent Place would ask Yu to say these things, undoubtedly because of the bet just now. If it's just a bet between Toki and Tsunade, that's fine. But the bet between them is directly related to the bet between Tsunade and Naruto, and once Toki has done it, it means it. Naruto also won the betting contract. And Yu previously made a bet with confidence, which made her very worried. Although this is almost impossible, she still has to prepare with both hands, just in case. She hoped that if Yu really did it and won the betting contract, she hoped that they could not have the necklace. This is her knock on the door in the middle of the night. The reason for this is the bet she made between Tsunade herself and Naruto, and it has a relationship with me for half a dime. Yu said lazily. You don't know anything. Silent replied, and said at any time. That is not an ordinary necklace, it is an unknown necklace, it is a cursed limit. It only agrees with Tsunade-sama, others will die if they take it. Advertisement Yu didn't move much when it was silent and straightforwardly said. I guess you are going to tell me the story of Kato Dana and Senho Ropeki next. Hearing the silence, he was slightly taken aback and then asked. You know this, although these things are a bit old, they are not confidential. I used to be very interested in Sanin, so I did an in-depth investigation. Yu started talking nonsense again, but Silent could only choose to believe it. Because, as Yu said, this matter is not a secret in Konoha, only a little thought can naturally inquire. Now that you know it, please think carefully about my suggestion, your partner has suffered unreasonable disaster. The voice fell, and Mute left with red eyes. Regarding this, Yu's expression still remained. Because everything is under his control, he has long known the purpose of silence. If it were not for the latter's kind reminder, Yu would obviously not say so much nonsense to her. The so-called kind reminder refers to the necklace. Although the necklace was given to Tsunade in the first generation, she once gave it to 2 people in person. One is his younger brother, Chian Handropri. One is his lover, Kato Tan, but the 2 of them have passed away one after another after receiving the necklace presented by her. Therefore, she has always been brooding. This is also the reason why she left Konoha, because she doesn't want to see the death of her companions one by one, but she can't do anything. This is how she began to fear blood. The reason. This is undoubtedly being a medical ninja. Sorrow, and Silent also classified that necklace as Chain of Unknown. Only if it stays on Tsunade, there won't be any accidents. But Silent's so-called curse obviously won't happen to Naruto, because in addition to Kyuubi now, Naruto also has such an open hang. Boss the next day. Naruto woke up early and directly pulled Yu up in his sleep. Obviously, he can't wait. If Yu said that there was enough time, I'm afraid he wanted to cultivate last night. Immediately after, under Yu's suggestion, the 2 even came to the breakfast area first, and then ate slowly. Mute saw the 2 people being so lazy and thinking about eating breakfast here leisurely, all felt that his worries were unnecessary. I felt that I didn't have to say that to Yu last night, after a while. Advertisement The 2 finally came to the outside of Short Book Street, an empty place with almost no people. Yu, can you teach me now? It's okay. Yu responded, and then said, because you are a right-handed fusion type, it is really difficult to complete the 3 steps at once. Some time ago I asked you to practice with 2 hands, and you quickly passed the previous 2 stages of training. And, Spiral Pill, has a total of 3 steps. You are now controlling the flow of chakra with 1 hand, and the other hand is strengthening the rotation, but there is still 1 hand left to maintain this state. Hearing Yu's words, Naruto felt quite reasonable. But here comes the question, Yu, but I only have 2 hands. You still don't believe that you are stupid. Yu gave a lesson to Naruto, and then said, is your shadow clone technique, learned by the white? After hearing this, Naruto was stunned for a moment and suddenly realized. Why didn't I think about it? You are still smart. Hearing this, Yu said lightly, aren't you talking nonsense? What are you smirking? Don't hurry up to practice. Oh, Naruto nodded and immediately began to practice. The effect was not significant at the beginning, but after he tried it a few times, it slowly began to show signs. At this speed, I believe it will not take long to master it, and Naruto can have this achievement. Guo, and his hard work on the road, the third stage, is inseparable. Otherwise, Shi Yu didn't dare to pack a ticket and dare to say that he would teach the latter in one day. It can only be said that all of this is under Shi Yu's control. The purpose is to successfully reach the bed with Tsunade. After watching Naruto's practice for a while, Shi Yu returned to the hotel after confessing. Seeing Shiba come back, Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Silent Trio 3 all looked puzzled. They originally wanted to see what Shiyu could do to get Naruto to learn the rite of Spiral Maru in a day, but what they didn't expect was that Shiyu had just gone out and returned after less than an hour. At this moment, the three of them couldn't help but a thought arises in their hearts. That is, Shiyu should be bragging last night, but it's a pity that the facts will inevitably give them a slap in the face. To read the underlined version of the novel, please download and fly chapter 112. After staring at Shi Yu for a long time, Ji Lai also took the lead in breaking the silence. Shi Yu, don't you want to help Naruto cultivate? Why come back alone? I have taught him the method, and I believe it won't take long for him to learn it thoroughly. Hearing Shi Yu's words, the faces of Zi Lai Yi and others were full of curiosity, but their eyes were suspicious. It's not that they don't believe in Shi Yu, but that this thing is almost impossible. But don't believe Gui or don't believe it, seeing Shi Yu so confident and full of confidence, their hearts are naturally extremely curious. What can be done to enable Naruto to master the pinnacle of ninjutsu, Spiral Pill, in one day? Lecherous Immortal, Grandma Tsunade, and Ms. Silent. If there is nothing wrong, I will make up my sleep first. It's too early to get up in the morning. When the voice fell, Shi Yu headed upstairs under the three of the three's stunned eyes. When disappearing into their field of vision, Shi Yu still did not forget to say a word. Correct. If you are curious, you can also go see Naruto's cultivation, I don't mind. Immediately after, Shi Yu completely disappeared from the vision of the Trio 3, and they were stunned for a while before they came back to their senses. Tsunade-sama, Shiba can't really do it, right? The anxiety and the silence between the words grew a little bit more, obviously because of Shi Yu's confident look just now. At first I was extremely skeptical, but now I am beginning to believe it a little bit. Tsunade, maybe you will really lose. After hearing this, Tsunade thought for a while and then said. Impossible. This kind of thing is absolutely impossible. When the voice fell, Tsunade headed directly outside the hotel. Obviously, she couldn't stop the curiosity in her heart and wanted to see what kind of cultivation method Shi Yu gave to Naruto. Seeing Tsunade's departure, Jiraiya and Silent looked at each other and followed closely. Undoubtedly, they are also very curious. Then, they don't even know that they and others have been caught in Shi Yu's trap. NS. In front of the windows on the second floor. Shi Yu looked at the three who were gradually moving away, and the corners of his mouth moved slightly. Hey, you can appreciate it slowly, muttering to himself, Shi Yu also got into the bed. He was indeed a little sleepy, and he was awakened by the guy Naruto early in the morning, disturbing his dreams. And when Shi Yu fell asleep, Tsunade and the three had already arrived at the training place where Naruto was. Advertisement, but at this moment, the three of them are dumbfounded. They don't understand Naruto's cultivation methods at all, especially those movements, which look so embarrassing. Moreover, there is no flow of chakra, and Naruto's so-called exercises at this time are one of the youth stunts that Shi Yu taught him before he left. The young eagle takes off, to put it simply, it is broadcast gymnastics. Because of Naruto's stupidity, Shi Yu asked him to be a shadow clone in order to shorten the time. Everyone teaches a paragraph, and after the clone disappears, the memory will return to the main body. This is one of the magical functions of the shadow clone, and although Naruto's movements are a bit jerky now, he has been able to complete the whole set of Halal Eagle Take-Off. Upon seeing this, Tsunade finally couldn't help it. Jiraiya, this physique belongs to you too, I do not have it. Tsunade was even more curious when he heard Karaji's denial. Doubt said, you didn't teach it, but they researched this advanced physical skill. Or, it was Shi Yu who developed it alone, profound. Jiraiya also murmured, looking at Naruto's embarrassing movements, he couldn't help but ask, Tsunade, do you think this is a physical skill? Moreover, it's very high and deep, even you and I can't see the way, naturally it is advanced. Hearing Tsunade's words, Jiraiya also felt quite reasonable. After all, the previous time Yu's swearing appearance was completely different from lying. Tsunade-sama, is there any connection between this physique and Naruto's spiral pill? Silent asked. I haven't thought of this yet. After Tsunade's voice fell, the three of them had no conversation, silently watching Naruto dance, broadcast gymnastics, over and over again. It's what they call high-depth physical skills, but they absolutely never thought that Shi Yu had deliberately played the set, because Shi Yu had already guessed that the three of them would definitely come back to spy on his teaching methods. So, he made preparations in advance. He told Naruto to put this broadcast gymnastics first in the morning. After the practice session, we will start the formal practice in the afternoon. It is said that this set of actions can make people better control chakra. Naruto has no doubt about this. That's why there's this embarrassing scene now, after a long time. Tsunade's Trio 3 finally couldn't sit still, because they watched for so long and couldn't see one at all, so they came. During these few hours, Naruto hadn't practiced any spiral pill at all, and was always there. The young eagle takes off. Seeing that they were embarrassed by cancer, so they finally gave up. The three of them who went back to the house saw Shiyu having lunch, and couldn't help but leaned in. The first person to speak was Jiraiya. Advertisement, Shiyu, you are sure your method is useful? Certainly. Shiyu's answer made Dazilai stunned again, looking at Shiyu with a weird look. Not only him, but even Tsunade and Silent are the same. Seeing three of people three like this, Toki knew that his plan had been completely successful, so he said, I'm going to send lunch to Naruto, do you want to go together? Hearing Shiyu's words, all three of them shook their heads. Because they were already vomiting for the advanced physique taught by Shiyu. It's no longer felt. What's even more poignant is that they just learned to learn because of curiosity. Well then, you can do it yourself. When the voice fell, Shiyu left the hotel with a packed lunch. Looking at Tsunade's Trio 3 who was leaving when Shiyu was far away, their eyes were filled with doubts. Jiraiya, are you sure he can compare with 4 generations? Jiraiya was also stunned, and then said, this time it should be an accident. At that time, Yu came to Naruto's training place and let the latter have lunch and rest. The real training began, and the three of Jiraiya, who had just finished lunch, saw Shiyu come back again, and it seemed that the latter was really just sending lunch. This made the three of them even more dumbfounded. It made them even more convinced that Shiyu was absolutely bragging last night, but they wondered why the latter was always bragging. As if he had already won. This is where they're puzzled. On this day, the three of them spent time in doubt, and night fell. Naruto finally came back. His expression looked very tired, but his eyes were excited. Undoubtedly, he has already learned spiral pill. This result is completely in Shiyu's grasp. Shiyu gave Naruto a good night's rest, and tomorrow will surprise Tsunade and Jiraiya and others. Naruto naturally did not refuse this. After being exhausted, he quickly fell asleep after eating something. No words for a night, not seeing Jogong. The next day, the time agreed by Shiyu and Tsunade finally arrived, and the 5 of them arrived at Naruto's training place yesterday. Originally, the 3 of them felt that their testimony should be a joke one, but the confidence on the faces of Shiba and Naruto made them doubt their own ideas. At this moment, an idea flashed through the minds of the 3 at the same time. Did they really do it? Seeing the appearance of Trio 3, Shiyu also said, Naruto, it's time for them to witness the miracle. It is good, Naruto replied, and then walked away slowly under the stunned eyes of Tsunade's trio. Is it a miracle or bragging for the next second? The answer will be revealed. Filu reminds you, 3 things to read. Chapter 113 Naruto looked at Tsunade and the others, and immediately stopped talking nonsense. However, his gesture was a gesture of shadow clone technique, but a gesture of spiral Maru. Bang! With a slight sound, Naruto separated the shadow clone. After this step last night, Naruto said to Tsunade, you show it to me. When the voice fell, Naruto was also not in the ink, and directly made a condensed gesture of spiral pill. But this time he didn't have 2 hands, but 1 hand. Even Jiraiya and the 3 were still there. When in doubt, Naruto's shadow clone stretched out his hands. Then under their stunned eyes, a 1 chakra ball slowly took shape. Between several breaths, a 1 rule chakra ball has been presented in front of everyone, and Tsunade and others also clearly saw the high-speed rotating chakra inside. Immediately after, Naruto was the trio of Tsunade. 3 with their horrified gaze, he struck the helix Maru in his hand on a large tree on the side. ZZ. Bang. With a sound of ZZ, everyone clearly saw that the originally completely undamaged tree had a huge spiral hole. In the next second, the tree lost its strength and broke down. Boom. With this loud noise, Tsunade's Trio 3 recovered from their astonishment. Undoubtedly, Naruto has mastered the ninjutsu of Helix Maru. What they thought was almost impossible to do, now miraculously happened. After some consternation, Tsunade's eyes fell on Toki's body involuntarily. Because they knew that Naruto's results must have nothing to do with Shiyu, and they also knew that their 3 were played by Shiyu. Yesterday the latter deliberately reminded them to watch Naruto's practice. Although they knew the answer, they were not angry. Because this is not something to be angry about, to blame it is their own curiosity. Seeing Naruto use the clone to complete the cohesion of Helix Maru, Ji-Lai was also quite shocked. He didn't expect Shiyu to come up with such a method, 3 steps to complete with 3 hands, which undoubtedly minimized the difficulty of spiral pill. He didn't even think of this method, Ji-Lai also said after a brief consternation. Tsunade, I didn't lie to you, I said you will definitely be able to do it. But you obviously didn't say that yesterday. I can't remember exactly what I said yesterday. Ji-Lai also started to pretend to be stupid. No way, who told him he did doubt Shiyu yesterday? Bad woman, did you see it? I have learned this ninjutsu, you lose, advertisement. After hearing Naruto's words, Tsunade realized that her bet with Naruto was also lost, although she was a bit unwilling. But how can she be willing to bet and lose? Her Tsunade is not the kind of person who can't afford to lose, and the reason why she would bet with Naruto with the necklace is because the cause saw her brother, Senju Yuki, in her body, Shadow. The two are very similar, both in appearance and in S*X, and this is one of the reasons why Jiraiya brings Naruto everything. Ji-Lai also hopes that Naruto can awaken Tsunade's fighting spirit again and let her find who she once was. Tsunade-sama, that necklace is mute. If you lose, you lose. Tsunade snorted softly, then took off the necklace hanging on his chest, and then put it on Naruto's neck. Boy, you won. I admit that you do have the qualifications to become Hokage. Tsunade, whose voice fell down, looked at Toki, and after staring at the latter for a long time, he said. It seems I really underestimated you. Perhaps as Jilai also said, you have the talent to surpass 4 generations of Naruto, but my medical ninjutsu is not so easy to learn. What can I do? There are still many people lying on Konoha's hospital bed. Woolen cloth. You have to bite the bullet and try it. It's better than sitting and waiting. Shiyu pretended to be helpless. In fact, these are all his excuses. He just wants to learn Tsunade's open black lens bracket medical ninjutsu close black lens bracket. Moreover, he is very concerned about wet bone forest, this fairyland. I am also extremely yearning. For your sake, I decided to teach you personally. After all, some ninjutsu is nothing more than written knowledge. What Tsunade said is true. Medical ninjutsu can be learned, but Tsunade's decades of treatment experience. It is undoubtedly a huge treasure. Since the latter have all been proposed, don't do it in vain. Big sheep. Tsunami teaches hand in hand, absolutely no disadvantage, are you sure? Tsunade has always said that I will do it, but you only have 5 days. You can learn as much as you can. Others, read the book by yourself, 5 days. Shiyu murmured, and then said, Grandma Tsunade, the time you proposed has been locked within a week from the day before yesterday to now. There must be some hidden secrets in this advertisement. You think too much. Oh, is it? Shiyu replied softly and continued, if I didn't guess wrong, Dashimaru will come to you in 5 days. When Shiyu said this, both Tsunade and Silent were shocked, because they never thought Shiyu could think of this, which was completely unexpected. At this moment, they had to admit that Shiyu was smart and wise, knowing that they couldn't hide it. Tsunade didn't deny it either. This has nothing to do with you. Wrong. This has a lot to do with us. Shiyu denied it, and then said, since you already know that it was Oshimaru who killed 3 generations, you must also know Oshimaru's determination to destroy Konoha. And he came to you, a medical expert, with only one purpose, and that is to ask you to heal his hands. If his hands are cured, it will undoubtedly be a disaster for Konoha, and you are an accomplice in creating this disaster. Shiyu's remarks have already been well known since then, but now that Shiyu is clear, he also does not forget to add something. Tsunade, I don't know what deal you made with Oshimaru. If nothing else, Oshimaru used the forbidden technique, the art of reincarnation, developed by second-generation Hokage, to negotiate terms with Grandma Tsunade. Not surprisingly, Shiyu already knew about the deal between them. At this moment, the feeling and silence in the shock had chosen to remain silent. When Shiyu said this, it was undoubtedly a shocking explosive, which made Tsunade and Silent's hearts turn up in shock. According to my analysis, there is only one condition that can impress Grandma Tsunade. After all, Tsunade is the most loved woman in her life. Hearing this, Tsunade fell into deep thought. When Shiba saw it, she continued. Thank you for reading this story at hotmtnovel.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. If Tsunade agrees, he will not miss the old feelings and will personally take care of the betrayer, but he obviously does not want this to happen. Because Shiyu analyzed that there is nothing wrong with 5. To read the ununderlined version of the novel, please download Faye. Seeing this, Ji-Lai on the side asked, Grandma Tsunade, as a medical ninja, are you willing to sacrifice the lives of 2 innocent people? When Shiyu said this, Tsunade and Silent's hearts suddenly trembled. Shiyu, do you know something? Wen Yan's Ji-Lai was also stunned, and said in shock, Shiyu, what you said? Shiyu responded, and then said, Lecherous Fairy, you should remember how Dashimaru summoned 1st generation Naruto, and 2nd generation Naruto. As for the reason, you should know the Lecherous Fairy better than me. But I hope you don't agree to him, because the one who betrayed Konoha is my enemy. Chapter 114. Seeing Tsunade and Silent's expressions, Jiraiya was already certain that he would never leave. Although he can understand Tsunade's thoughts, he will never allow Tsunade to treat Osemaru. Tsunade, I hope you don't make any stupid decisions. Ji-Lai also reminded him, and then said, and for the next period of time, I will not let you leave my sight. Ji-Lai's tone meant a warning. For this result, Mute also wanted to see. I have my own measures. Tsunade responded, and immediately turned around. Obviously, she knew that this was something she couldn't agree to, but she still couldn't let go of Kato Dana and Senju Ropeki. For this scene, only Naruto looked dazed, because he didn't even know what happened. The next day, Shiyu officially started learning medical ninjutsu from Tsunade 2200. At the same time, he was ordered to monitor the latter. Before starting to learn, Tsunade and Silent were not optimistic about Shiba. After all, not everyone can become a medical ninja. The first prerequisite is to have yang chakra. Shiyu, let me see your chakra after releasing you. Needless to say, Tsunade wanted to see if Shiba has the potential to become a medical ninja. When he heard that, Shiyu didn't talk nonsense, and when he palmed his hand, a burst of golden chakra was condensed from his palm. Seeing this scene, Tsunade and Silent were shocked at the same time. What a pure chakra! Since everyone's physical condition is different, the condensed chakras can be roughly divided into 2 types. Pure and Evacuation, purity, refers to a higher concentration of chakras. Evacuation refers to a lower concentration of chakras. Because of the existence of these two kinds of surprises in chakra, everyone's forbearance, the intensity of the technique will vary from person to person. At the same time, it can also be seen that the amount of chakras in a person's body is high or low. The more pure the chakras, the higher the chakras in the person's body. And vice versa. After a long pause, he said immediately, "Silent, go and perceive his chakra attributes." Hearing the silence nodded, and then stretched out his jade hand and placed it on the chakra released by Shiyu. After some perception, an expression of astonishment appeared on his face. Advertisement undoubtedly, because she explored, but Shiyu turned out to be the owner of the multi-attribute chakra. She herself has 3 types of chakras, including yang chakra, but she discovered that Shiyu has several types of chakras in addition to these 3 types of chakras. Since she didn't have those kinds of chakras, she couldn't tell how many chakras Shiyu had. But what is certain is that there are at least 3 or more. After a slight consternation, Mute also wanted to tell Tsunade-sama, he has yang attribute chakra. Oh, how lucky the kid is. Silent, you teach him how to control an yang attribute chakra. The human body has many kinds of chakras, and it is impossible to condense chakras in a targeted manner without grasping the changes in the properties of attribute chakras. Usually it is arbitrary cohesion. The so-called directional cohesion is, you can create chakras with whatever attributes you want to use, and this process must be practiced. As long as you master this method, it won't cause chakra waste. The prerequisite for learning medical ninjutsu is to learn to control yang chakra and master its nature changes. Only in this way can targeted treatment be given to the wounded. From Tsunade's point of view, can Shiyu master the yang chakra question within 5 days? Generally, talented and outstanding people can master it in 3 days, but if the talent is average or extremely poor, it is estimated that it will take 10.5 months, or even longer. As for the so-called instructional teaching, it depends on whether Shiyu has this talent. If she does not have this talent, I can't blame her. She has done her benevolence and righteousness. However, she hasn't waited for silence to start teaching. Shiyu said, "Grandma Tsunade, I have learned this. Mastering the use of various attribute chakras is a piece of cake for Shiyu, who has increased his talent by 100 times. Not only is it to control the yang attribute chakra, he even masters the change in the nature of this chakra." "You have learned," Tsunade said in astonishment. Shiyu nodded, and then the color of the chakra in his hand began to change, slowly changing from the previous gold to green. Seeing this scene, the two were completely stunned. This hand is undoubtedly telling Tsunade and Silent that he has mastered the change in the temperament of yang chakra. Only by grasping this can we transform yang chakra into a green chakra, with a symbol of life. As a medical expert, Tsunade has come into contact with many medical ninjas who don't know how many, but no one who thinks of such a wicked person like Tokaha has never taught, so he directly grasped the change in the nature of yang chakra. It's so perverted. It is also because of this that Tetsuzan is suspicious. Little devil, have you been exposed to medical ninjutsu learning before? To Tsunade's doubts, Shiyu really shook his head. Could it be that this kid is really a genius that has never been seen in a century? Advertisement. At this moment, Tsunade and Silent could only have this thought in their hearts, and only this possibility could explain everything in front of them. In that case, let's go directly to the subject. When the voice fell, Tsunade asked Silent to go to the hotel to attract a half-dead fish. Shiyu, you try to heal him. Oh, Shiyu nodded and walked towards the half-dead fish. Tsunade and Silent thought that no matter how talented Shiyu was in this task, it would take at least half a day to cure it. After all, the first time I came into contact with medical ninjutsu, it would definitely take a while to explore. However, less than a few seconds after Shiyu's chakra was in contact, the fish jumped up and down. In this scene, the two were dumbfounded. They knew that Shiyu's talent was abnormal, but they did not expect that the latter had been abnormal to such an extent. It's no wonder that Silent was so shocked, because in just 1 hour, Shiyu had learned all of his things from the previous month, not to mention Silent, even Tsunade, who was respected by the ninja world as the strongest medical ninja, can't be like. It was so calm before. Hospital. 5 potential animals, because the situation is more serious, it took a little longer, but all of them failed to beat the outdated feathers. Philo reminds you, 3 things about reading. It is all kinds of injuries 0. Thank you for reading this story at hotmtnovel.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Boy, come with me. Shiyu asked. Laughter fairy. Shiyu, where are they going? At this moment, Mute is finally no longer calm. Jirai, who was monitoring Tsunade outside the hotel, also saw Naruto, and he was also puzzled. How could I know? Where to? Shiyu was cured in less than a few seconds. Suna-sama, Shiba is too good. When the voice fell, the 3 of people 3 went to the nearest hospital in Duanchu Street. Tsunade, who doesn't believe in evil, makes Silent find a rabbit with a broken leg, but the result remains unchanged. The voice fell, and the 2 followed chapter 115. On this day, a shocking news broke out in Wuyuan town. That is, a medical ninja. Turned out, Duankai Street, all patients in a hospital, as long as they were not patients with incurable diseases, were all discharged in this group. Because they were cured by a boy. Undoubtedly, this boy is Shiyu. And the residents of Wuyuan Town are just shocked to have this genius, medical ninja boy. It was born out of the sky, but they didn't know that today was Shiyu's first encounter with medical ninjutsu. Therefore, the most shocked were Tsunade and Jiraiya 4. They knew that Takiwa's talent was very enchanting, but they did not expect that the enchanting had reached this point. Not only was he shocked by his ninjutsu skills, he was also a rare peerless wizard in medical treatment. Although Tsunade's teachings are indispensable in this, it is also necessary to have enough talent. Otherwise, everything is in vain. But this is only one of the things that shocked Tsunade and others, and the second one was Toki's amazing chakra. At the end of the day, there was no fatigue at all. On the contrary, his spirit was abnormally excited. Anyway, Tsunade and the others had never seen such a person at this age. This is no longer a genius, this is simply a monster. It was also at this moment 26, Tsunade and Silent finally understood why Jiraiya said that Toki's talent was even more enchanting than 4 generations of Naruto. At the same time, they also understand why you dared to make such a bet. They knew, even if Tsunade didn't teach it. With Shiyu's perverted talent, I am afraid that it won't take long to get a teacher, and there is no problem even if Ching comes from Lan to outperform Lan. However, all of this is just the beginning. In the next few days, Tokudo Tsunade learned all the medical ninjutsu that Tsunade had learned throughout his life. This result made Tsunade and Silent completely bewildered, even Jiraiya was no exception. At that moment, Jilai was so lucky. He was lucky that he was smart, and he didn't give all the means to Shiyu at once. Otherwise, not only would he not be able to extract the content of the Golden Lotus biography from Shiyu's mouth, he might not be Shiyu's opponent anymore. However, what he never expected was that he was no longer Shiyu's opponent now. The reason Tsunade gave all of his life learning to Shiyu was because she was on top. She felt that Shiyu couldn't do everything, but she was wrong. Although she had been teaching slowly, by the 4th day, she had nothing to teach. The only remaining method is one's own ultimate trump card, open black lens bracket Haihao art close black lens bracket. This is the so-called open black lens bracket ninfa creation and regeneration close black lens bracket. However, this move is nothing more than the passivity of between the pillars. Today, it is the 5th day. Unwilling to admit defeat, Tsunade approached Toki again, and immediately grabbed the nest. When she squatted in front of Shiyu, the distance made Shiyu really feel what is majestic and what is magnificent. Shiyu slowly stretched out his head. Tsunade, who was close at hand, said with a calm expression on his face. Grandma Tsunade, you are looking for me this early morning. Advertisement. I have one more trick, you absolutely can't learn it. What's the trick? Shiyu said. This is it. Tsunami pointed his finger at the blue mark on his forehead. With a confident look, in her opinion, Shiyu would never learn this trick. That blue mark. It's called the seal of Baihao, which is a seal formed by the condensed seal technique. The name is Yin Seal. Yin Seal is a female, unique ninjutsu, which was inherited by Uzumaki Mito, Yuchuang and Tsunade. In today's ninja world, Tsunade is the only one who knows this ninjutsu. Look at the seal of 100 heroes on Tsunade's head. Shiba naturally also guessed Tsunade's intentions. He guessed that Tsunade would definitely not be able to bear it, but he didn't expect it to be so fast. Now Toki has the elementary immortal human body, and the creation and regeneration of 100 grand art is no longer needed. But this ninjutsu not only has the ability to create and regenerate, but it can also greatly enhance self-power. Shiyu thinks this is good. But the problem is that although both men and women can practice the 100 Hao art, Yin Seal as a female, exclusive, seal art. If a man wants to practice this, ultimate secret medical ninjutsu, it is necessary to develop a seal technique, suitable for men. Moreover, it must be similar to Yin Seal. This is undoubtedly a very difficult thing, because most of the medical ninjutsu in the ninja world, all are women. Male ninjas are warlike and rarely become medical ninjas. Exclamation mark. Unless he is very talented, there are only a handful of such ninjas, and no such person has ever appeared in the development of the ninja world. Maybe there is, but it may be buried among ordinary people. As for the poor talent, he is a general medical ninja, it is impossible to become a top medical ninja. Not to mention the development of such a powerful seal technique, similar to Yin Seal. Now, I have 100 times the blessing, maybe I can give it a try. After this thought flashed in his mind, Shiyu also said. Grandma Tsunade, before learning this ninjutsu, can you promise me one thing first? Advertisement. What's up? Tsunade wrote. If you don't step back a little, I'm afraid I will be suffocated. Hearing Shiyu's words, Tsunade's old face suddenly blushed. Shiyu was just a teenager in his eyes, so she didn't think about it at all. I don't mind, you kid are ashamed of a hammer 523. I'm not shy, but your scale is too big, I can't bear it. Is it that exaggerated? Tsunade weighed in between the words, but it was this weighing that hit Shiyu's face directly. It was called a cool. What? Maybe, it's a little bit. After speaking, Tsunade also hurriedly got up from Shiyu. At this time, Mute and Zlai and others also rushed there, but it was a pity that they missed the wonderful drama just now. Under some inquiry, Jiraiya and others also knew why Tsunade appeared in Tokiba's room early in the morning. But also because of this answer, both Dejilaya and Silent are startled. Sado-sama, that ninjutsu is not only for women. Mute. However, she was stopped by Tsunade before she finished speaking. Silent has followed Tsunade for many years, and naturally I know that this 100-half art needs to be used in conjunction with Yin Seal. And Yin Seal as a seal technique that only women can use. Exclamation mark. Seeing Tsunade's eyes, Mute obviously understood the latter's intentions, so she could only hold the dolphin stand aside quietly. And although Jiraiya knew that Tsunade had such a ninjutsu, he didn't know the conditions for learning this ninjutsu. As for Naruto, he is completely a melon-eating crowd. In his eyes, Shiyu is not troubled by anything. To read the underlined version of the novel, please download Fate Chapter 116. After Shiyu got up from the bed, everyone had eaten early. The teaching of 100 powers is also the beginning. Toki, this trick is the ultimate meaning of medical ninjutsu, and it is the result of my research based on how long. I named it the art of Baihao. In today's ninja world, only I can use it. If you can even learn this trick, then I will completely convince you. Hearing Tsunade's words, Shiyu still looked lazy. So if I learn how to say it, if you want to learn, I will promise you one thing unconditionally. Tsunade was extremely confident in the words, because in her opinion, it was impossible for Shiyu to learn the 100 grand art. After all, the seal of yin is very important. If this crucial step is not resolved, it will be impossible to condense that seal of Baihao. It can only be said that this gambling appointment was a dead end at the beginning. After listening to Tsunade's promise, Ji Lai was very excited, but it is a pity that the latter's opponent was not him. Unconditional, you are sure? Certainly, Tsunade affirmed, and then said, however, the time limit is only 1 day. If you learn it after a day, even if it takes more than a second, my promise will be invalid. Hearing Tsunade's words, Jiraiya and others were stunned. Tsunade herself said that this 100 gorge art is the ultimate ninjutsu created by her life's hard work, and it is absolutely impossible to learn easily. Even if Shiyu's talent is extremely enchanting, it is impossible to learn in 1 day. Therefore, Jiraiya couldn't help but say, Tsunade, your condition is too harsh. What's so harsh? I didn't make him promise any bets. Moreover, if he learns this ninjutsu in the future, it can also become a life-saving method. Wen Yan's Ji Lai also thought about it, and felt that this was indeed the truth. It seems that this bet is for Shiba no matter how he wins or loses. But Joraji didn't think of Tsunade's intentions for a while, but he didn't think that it didn't mean Shiba didn't think of it. Shiyu knew that Tsunade had a great chance of going back to Oshimaru tomorrow, so this was undoubtedly her last gift to Shiyu. As for whether he can master it, it depends on Toki's own good fortune. In Tsunade's opinion, with Shiyu's talent, he will definitely be able to develop a seal technique, similar to Yin Seal in the future. Advertisement. So as to pass on her open black lens bracket 100 how art close black lens bracket. Because she herself doesn't know how it will turn out after tomorrow, not so much that she is angering Shiyu now, but she actually doesn't want her life's hard work to be buried with her, and even disappear from now on. This is the fundamental reason why she has given Shiyu a lot of money these days. She said that she didn't want it, but her body was honest. I took this bet. A flash of excitement flashed in Shiyu's heart between the words, because this bet would not do him any harm at all. On the contrary, his success rate is pretty good. After all, he is a man with a tens of thousands of times talent bonus. But as for whether he can develop a sealing technique similar to the Yin Seal in 1 day, Shiyu is not 100% sure. For the unknown, at least 1% of the impossible probability must be left. After Shiyu nodded, this bet was also the beginning of the intensive game. First of all, Tsunade first explained the principle of the *100 heroes art to Toki. Secondly, she said that the prerequisite for the use of the 100 how art requires the first to learn a sealing technique, the Yin Seal. As for learning this sealing technique, can condense open black lens bracket. The seal of Baihao close black lens bracket. In fact, Shiyu knew all these principles. But Shiyu couldn't say it, so he could only listen to it silently. After talking about the general idea of the 100 heroes art, Tsunade finally started teaching. And this first step is Yin Seal. Shiyu, what I want to teach you now is Yin Seal, which is the key to the 100 how art. This seal technique is different from other seal techniques. It needs to be adjusted according to each person's physical condition. So, I condensed the Baihaojian method and it must be suitable for you. Tsunade knew that Yin Seal can only be used by women, so he said that deliberately. The goal is to prevent Shiyu from being stubborn. If Shiyu doesn't know the crux of the problem, it is impossible for him to practice this 100 how art in his lifetime. Immediately after, Tsunade also demonstrated the Yin Seal technique again, and explained some details for Toki. Immediately after, Shiyu immediately, immersed in the understanding of Yin Seal, he saw if he could develop a new seal technique. Seeing Shiyu's eyes closed tightly, she was silent. Although she didn't know what Shiyu was doing, Tsunade was too embarrassed to interrupt her when she saw Shiyu's serious face. 5 minutes later, of course, when Time opened his eyes again, there seemed to be a ray of golden light in his eyes, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly. Advertisement. Not surprisingly, he has successfully realized the seal technique, similar to Yin Seal. NS. Because of this, Shiyu murmured to himself. Quote. It is worthy of a 10,000-fold talent. This is only 1 minute, and I am developing a new seal technique. Of course, Shiyu was able to develop a seal technique so quickly. It was inseparable from Tsunade's telling him that the yin seal method was inseparable. A slight improvement on the basis of a technique is completely at hand for the current Shiyu. Within these 5 minutes, Shiyu could not only comprehend a new seal technique. Especially Tsunade and Silent, the two of them were excited because the mountains on their chests seemed to break the cage that bound them. But overnight, as soon as this word came out, the scene instantly exploded. As the four of them waited, Shiyu's voice also sounded. It's that simple. If they were to be anyone else, they would definitely not have any expectations. But Shiyu was different. He has already mastered the 100 powers art. Seeing Toki opened his eyes, Tsunade couldn't help asking. How about it? Is it difficult? But Tsunade and Silent had a firm face, because they already had the answer in their hearts. The creation of a ninjutsu requires 3 steps: inspiration, development, and perfection. Any ninjutsu development needs to go through these 3 steps, and this is undoubtedly a long process. Thank you for reading this story at hotmtnovel.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. It's nothing difficult, right? I have learned it. From Tsunade's point of view, Futetto must have failed this time. After all, he developed a new seal technique. The development of ninjutsu and the learning of existing ninjutsu cannot be compared. The latter only needs to have enough talent, but the former requires time precipitation in addition to talent. The latter has created so many miracles for them that they can't help but have a glimmer of hope for this almost impossible thing. As Tsunade's voice fell, Jiraiya and Naruto's eyes were locked on Toki's body, waiting for the latter's answer. It can be seen that they are feeling in their hearts at the moment. Because in their opinion, this is absolutely impossible. Fail Chapter 117. After the atmosphere was silent for a while, it was finally broken by Naruto. Let me just say, there is nothing in this world that can stump Shiyu. Hearing Naruto's words, Jiraiya couldn't help asking, Shiyu, you really learned? It's not that Jiraiya doesn't believe in Shiba, because from Tsunade's confident face just now, this sealing technique needs to adapt to the changes in his body structure. So, this is undoubtedly extremely difficult. But Shiyu completed this series of steps in just 5 minutes, which is undoubtedly shocking. At this moment, even Tsunade couldn't help but question it. Boy, are you sure you are not joking? Do you think I am joking? Shiyu's answer surprised Tsunade suddenly, and after a long pause, he continued to ask. Since you said yes, then you have condensed the seal of Baihao for me to see. Tsunade feels that it is useless to say more, and only Haihao's seal can prove everything. Okay, Shiyu faintly replied, and then he stopped talking nonsense. I saw that he didn't even have the seal, but there was a movement in his mind, and then a low drink came from his mouth. Baihao's seal, give me condensate. As Shiyu's voice fell, an astonishing chakra also surged from Shiyu's body. Immediately afterwards, they gathered towards his forehead. 1 second. Under the stunned eyes of the four Tsunade 4, Takiwa's forehead burst out with a bright golden light, which was so dazzling that people couldn't look directly at it. When the golden light fades away, a golden mark. It also caught everyone's eyes. Except for the different colors, the shape is exactly the same as the Baihao seal on Tsunade's forehead. How is this possible? Seeing this scene, Tsunade and Silent were completely stunned. They didn't expect Shiyu to develop a seal technique, similar to yin seal, in just 5 minutes. At this moment, everyone was in a deep shock. Especially Tsunade and Silent, who knew the reason. At this time the open lips of the two could completely fit an egg. It wasn't until Shiyu's voice sounded that they recovered from their shock. Grandma Tsunade, you can believe it now. Advertisement. Hearing this, Tsunade was stunned, and didn't know what to say for a while. The facts are in front of her, can she not believe it, huh? After taking a deep breath and calming down the shocked emotions, Tsunade finally opened her lips again. Shiyu, how did you do it? From Tsunade's point of view, Shiyu was able to successfully condense seal of Baihao, indicating that he has realized the seal technique, suitable for men. It's very simple. I tried it when you told seal of Baihao that yin seal was needed to seal it, but as you said just now, this seal technique is used directly. It is not so much that this seal technique is not suitable for me, it is better to say that it is not suitable for all men. So I used myself as a medium to improve. Hearing Shiyu's words, Tsunade's heart was also a little awkward. Shiyu didn't specify anything in his words, but it could be heard that the latter already knew that the yin seal was only suitable for women. And Jiraiya, one of the 3 ninjas, also heard the trickiness. At this moment, Jiraiya finally knew why Tsunade dared to be so daring to learn how to do it. It turned out to be because of this. But what he didn't expect was. Shiyu was so enchanting, and in just 5 minutes, he was able to improve the sealing technique that was only suitable for women. This kind of talent is really against the sky. Although he felt that Tsunade was not authentic in doing this, he didn't say anything. After all, the latter had also reminded Shiyu before. It is said that this yin seal will need to be adjusted accordingly due to the different physical conditions of each person. This can be seen. Tsunade was not completely deceiving, she still pointed out the way to Shiba. Knowing Jiraiya's gaze, Tsunade also looked away embarrassedly. To avoid embarrassment, she immediately changed the subject. Shiyu, listen to what you mean. You have realized a new seal technique based on the yin seal. Shiyu nodded, and then said, I call this improved seal art yang seal. Yang seal. Tsunade murmured and nodded subconsciously. The woman has strong yin qi in her body, so she named it open black lens bracket yin seal close black lens bracket. A man with strong yang energy, named after the yang seal, has the same effect, the two complement each other. Advertisement. Shiyu, although you understand yang seal. But before you learn the art of 100 Gran, it doesn't mean that you won this bet. This is undoubtedly Tsunade's last fluke, although she thinks the odds of winning are no longer big. But people always have dreams, especially those who love gambling like her. However, before Tsunade handed over the 100 grand art to Takiwa, the latter's answer made her instantly dumbfounded. Grandma Tsunade, excuse me, I have learned this 100 how art. Oh, Tsunade replied softly, but the next second he realized the shock of the matter and immediately shouted. You have learned what you said. Yes. Seeing Shiyu nodded, Tsunade's face was full of doubts. At this moment, it wasn't that she had doubts in her heart, even Naruto, who completely believed in Shiyu, had doubts in her eyes. Because Tsunade hasn't taught him anything yet, you just said you will. This is too unbelievable. At this moment, after a long silence, he mutely said, Tokiba, are you kidding us? As a student of Tsunade, she naturally knows the difficulty of the open black lens bracket 100 heroes art close black lens bracket. Moreover, the seal of each technique is created by the developer. How can other people know if the developer does not disclose it? Sister Silence, do you think I am lying? Seeing Shiyu's serious look, Mute was also dumbfounded, and couldn't help asking. But Tsunade-sama didn't teach you the art of 100 Gran. But she just told me the principle of the art of 100 powers. Silent was stunned for a moment, and said in astonishment, what you mean is that you can comprehend the technology of 100 Gran by yourself based on those principles. Is there any problem? Shiyu's understatement of answer made Tsunade, Silent and Jiraiya completely dumbfounded. This is too abnormal. Tell you a principle of ninjutsu, you can directly understand it, is this something that people can do? Therefore, the eyes of the three are full of doubts. But only Naruto, the second stunner, still doesn't know the amazing thing about this. His idea is very simple, and Shiyu is omnipotent. Tsunade, who had recovered, couldn't help asking. Shiyu, can you show me the 100 skills you have understood? Chapter 118. From Tsunade's point of view, if you want to prove what Shiba said is true or false, you only need to see if the latter can perform the open black lens bracket 100 heroes art close black lens bracket. This is undoubtedly the easiest way. Sure, Shiyu agreed without hesitation, because he himself wanted to know what kind of increase he would have after using the technique of the 100 heroes. Immediately after, when Shiyu's mind moved, there was also a low drink from his throat. Yang seal, solve. Ninfa creates rebirth. As Shiyu's voice fell, the golden mark on his eyebrows began to spread to various parts of the body. In the blink of an eye, it was spread all over the body. Looking at the familiar lines of 100 how patterns, Tsunade and Silent were speechless. Because what Shiyu displayed was no different from Tsunade's, and even the _ 100 how patterns, were even more delicate. In this regard, Tsunade also looked incredible. She never thought that Shiyu not only created the seal technique of Yang seal in this short 5 minutes, and even more comprehend the 100 how art to a higher realm than her. Before Tsunade and the others were astonished, Toki was feeling the increase in power brought about by this 100 grand art. At this moment, he feels that his vitality is extremely strong, and the strength of his body has also been greatly increased. He thinks that the current one can also be made like Tsunade a few days ago, one finger broken mountains and rivers. By how state plus elementary immortal human body, Shiyu felt that the first 7 gates of 8 gate Dunjia could be squandered at will. Because his chakra is extremely strong, there is no need to worry about the disappearance of the Baihao state. When Shiyu finished feeling the increase in the Haihao state, Tsunade and others were still there, staring at him stupidly. The look in his eyes seemed to be looking at a monster. Shiyu's metamorphosis was that both knots were not used. This kind of thing only exists in the legend. It is said that only the founder of Ninzong, 6 Dao Shanren, has this ability. And because of this, Jilai has become more and more affirmed at the beginning of Shen Zuo Shanren and Jima Shanren's guess. Shiyu is really likely to be the reincarnation of 6 Dao immortals. Seeing that everyone looked like this, Shiyu directly withdrew from Baihao state and said, Grandma Tsunade, Sister Silent. Although I am handsome and excellent, you don't want to stare like this. After hearing Shiyu's ridicule, Tsunade, Silent and others finally recovered from their astonishment. But their eyes never left Toki, and Tsunade was the first to speak. Jilaya, you are right. Advertisement. He is indeed better than 4 generations of Hokage, and much better. I told you a long time ago, but you don't believe it. Jilai also looked at Shiyu in the words, his eyes were both stunned and gratified. Such an almighty apprentice, there is absolutely no second one in the world. If it weren't for Shiyu to be too young, he would have the impulse to make Shiyu be the 5th generation of Naruto. However, his idea is destined to fall in vain. Because Shiyu has no interest in the position of Hokage, Naruto still doesn't know what is going on, but in his eyes there are only 2 words, Niubi. It's over. After calming down for a while, Tsunade. Shiyu, Tell me your terms. Hearing Tsunade's words, everyone was intrigued again, and they wanted to know what conditions Toki would offer. After all, Tsunade said it himself. It was an unconditional promise to Shiyu to propose anything, so even if Shiyu asked her to be the 5th generation of Hokage, she couldn't refuse. And Tsunade is worried about this condition now. However, before Shiyu could speak, Joraji also leaned over. Toki, you can let Tsunade marry me, hehe. Laughter fairy, you are too shameless. Naruto scorned, and then said. Tokiba, let Grandma Tsunade be the 5th generation. Naruto okay, so our mission is complete. Hearing Naruto's words, Tsunade became more worried. She was really worried that Shiba would make this condition. Because she is not ready yet. Under all the gazes, Shiyu's voice slowly sounded. Laughter immortals, marrying a wife is unhappy if you have to work hard, not a happy marriage. And Naruto, Grandma Tsunade doesn't want to be 5th generation Naruto. This twisted melon is not sweet. After hearing Shiyu's words, Zilayi and Naruto were slightly taken aback, but they did not refute them because they thought Shiyu's words were very reasonable. Especially Naruto, now Shiyu's words are equivalent to imperial edicts in his eyes. As if the latter said everything was right. And when Tsunade heard Shiyu's words, his eyes also showed gratitude. She did not expect Shiyu, a teenager, to be able to see so clearly. For a time, she felt that she had lived for more than 50 years in vain. At this moment, the expression in her eyes when she looked at Shiyu changed again. The first change was because of Shiyu's perverted talent, and the second change was Shiyu's remarks, which made her admire her. As a woman, she has a deep feeling. Not only she, but even silence is no exception. She didn't expect that after more than 20 years of life, no one would be able to attract her. Today, I was touched by a young man. Although it was only a moment, this is a fact. Looking at everyone, Shiyu continued, so, my condition is. Advertisement. Japan, I'll talk later. When Shiyu said this, everyone was taken aback. They didn't expect Shiyu to give such an answer after thinking about it for so long. Percent. Z% 1% at. If Shiba wants Tsunade to be the 5th generation of Naruto, there are other ways, why waste this opportunity? One move farewell Tenjin is enough to solve the problem. But the problem is that it is impossible for him to control Tsunade with illusion. If you continue to use it like this, then farewell Tenjin don't want to cool down. This is obviously not the result he wanted. Tokiha wanted Tsunade willingly to be the 5th generation of Hokage, and at the same time, let the latter overcome the blood fear. As for the way, Shiyu has already thought about it. Shiyu, you don't mention it today. If you can't find me in the future, don't blame me for not fulfilling my promise in order to avoid you. Undoubtedly, she has decided 5 in her heart. Philo reminds you, 3 things to read when reading. Will not. When Tsunade waited for the neurotoxin to fully take effect, he left the hotel and went to look for Oshimaru. As a medical ninja, Tsunade secreted a toxin that paralyzed his nerves, and Jiraiya and others couldn't even notice it. This is indeed a thing to be celebrated. Although Jaleda didn't have much doubt, he still left an eye on it. Because tomorrow is the time agreed by Tsunade and Oshimaru, he will never lose the chain at this critical moment. Especially this kind of neurotoxin occurs slowly, and later it will make a person's body not listen to it. Although Shiyu found out, he didn't break it. Because this is part of his plan, and everything is under his control. That's up to you. However, Jilai also took double insurance and stayed vigil without going to bed. Despite being so cautious, he was still recruited. Oh, you are so confident. The next day, seeing Shiyu's bowed appearance, Tsunade didn't say anything, and a bright smile appeared on his face. I have always been so confident. In this regard, Jiraiya and others have no doubts. Now Tokiyu Shogun Tsunade has learned all of his skills. Even if Tsunade is unwilling to return to Konoha, Tokiyu is able to rescue Sasuke and Sasuke. Kakashi waited. Chapter 119. After seeing Tsunade leave the hotel, Joraji was unable to stop him. Because now he was completely paralyzed, and he had trouble walking, let alone making chakras. I have to find Shiyu quickly. Jilai also knew that Takiwa's medical ninjutsu was no longer under Tsunade. As long as he found the latter, the neurotoxin in his body should be able to solve it. Otherwise, he won't be able to recover in a short time. But when Jilai went to look for Shiyu, he was met with a violent silence. Seeing that Jiraiya looked like this, Mute also asked, Master Jiraiya, what's wrong with you? I was given medicine by Tsunami. Fortunately, I ate less last night, otherwise, I wouldn't be able to resume action like this. Mute said. Last night's meal was carefully prepared by Tsunade, who added colorless and tasteless neurotoxin to each dish, even the silence was unnoticeable. And since 2200, he shouldn't eat too much when he comes, the key is that he is still greedy. This has caused his most serious condition. It looks like Tsunade-sama has already left. Silent murmured to himself, and then said, Master Jiraiya, I will give you a simple treatment. Although neurotoxins cannot be completely eliminated, at least it can restore your normal mobility. He nodded when he saw Jilai. Silent immediately gave Jilai a simple treatment. After resuming his normal actions, Jilai also discovered that he could slowly create chakra. Feeling his current physical condition, Jilai also murmured. It seems that it will be impossible to return to the peak state for a while. Hearing these words from Zilaya, Mute said, Master Zilaya, this neurotoxin is hidden in the cells. With my current ability, I can't remove it all in a short time. If you want to restore your peak state, I'm afraid only Tsunade-sama will do it. I don't think so. Jilai also replied silently, and then said, you won't forget my apprentice. Hearing the silence, she was taken aback for a moment. She was obviously too anxious to forget Shiyu's abnormality. Today, Toki has obtained Tsunade's true biography, and his medical ninjutsu is no longer under Tsunade. As long as Shiyu takes action, it will be completely eradicated. But they are worried about one thing at the moment, and that is that Shiyu doesn't know what the situation is now. Since they are all recruited, Yu Tiding was no exception at that time. Because Shiyu also ate those meals last night. But when they were about to find Shiyu, the latter appeared, and the first sentence made them look stunned. Laughter Fairy, Sister Mute. Did Grandma Tsunade leave alone? You knew already, Jiraiya said. Before I felt a little nerve numb, I was alert. Shiyu replied and continued. It seems that Grandma Tsunade had planned for a long time, so she would give us medicine last night. Then are you okay? Silent asked. I just took some time to get rid of the gods. That's how it was said, but Shiyu got rid of these toxins last night. Shiyu, how long will it take to remove these neurotoxins? Jilai also asked. Because neurotoxin has spread all over the body, it may take a long time to remove it all. How long will it take? Jilai also anxiously said. 1 minute. When Shiyu said this, Zilai also. And Silent was stunned for an instant. For 1 minute, what are you telling me that it's been a long time? I'm afraid it's you for long. Is there any misunderstanding of this concept? At this moment, they deeply felt what pretense is. 2 minutes later. Shiyu is also silent and Jilai also completely removes the toxins from his body. It can be seen that Shiyu's medical ninjutsu has reached a very high level. After returning to his peak state, Zilai also asked. Silent, do you know where Osemaru and Tsunade will meet? Just where we met last time. Then let's hurry over now. If Tsunade really healed Oshimaru's hands, it would be too late. To Jilaya, Shiyu and Silent also nodded. Because Shiyu felt that the time was almost there was no need to delay any longer. What he did was to restore Tsunade to his previous appearance, and let the latter willingly go back to be the 5th generation Naruto. Therefore, this battle with Oshimaru is unavoidable. But just as the three of them were preparing to set off, Naruto appeared alive. Shiyu, lecherous fairy, Sister Mute. Advertisement. What are you three doing here? Upon seeing this, Jiraiya and Silent were also slightly taken aback. Because the little guy Naruto ate the most meals last night, but the latter does not even have laughter immortal, I guess it was the power that Nine Tails gave Naruto. Hearing Shiyu's words, Jilai also nodded. Possible. After the personnel arrived, they were also procrastinating nonsense, and went directly to the place where the house collapsed yesterday. At the same time, Tsunade had already met Oshimaru. Looking at Tsunade on the opposite side, Ozna also showed a sorrowful smile on his face. Tsunade, I knew you would come. I can heal your hands, but you can't move the village after it's done. Hehe, yes, Dashimaru responded with a smile, and then said, stop the ink, let's get started. Obviously, he can't wait. The crippled hands during this period of time have caused him so much pain, it is a kind of suffering that ordinary people can't bear. That's why he couldn't wait to heal his hands. Hey, when Tsunade walked to the face of Oshimaru, 4 figures flashed in his mind. The first 2 were Kato Dana and Senjo Ropaki. Then the 2 were Naruto and Shiyu, and it was also because of the appearance of Shiyu that she made her final determination. Next second, she saw her eyes condensed, stretched out her hands, and began to heal the Dashawan. However, just as her murderous hands were about to touch the Oshimaru, she was forced back by a shuriken. The person who shoots is the right assistant of Dashawan. Close black lens bracket. Seeing the feeling of retreating to the rear, the expression of Oshimaru also became cold, and the gloomy voice sounded again. Tsunade, I didn't expect you to want my life. Why are you like this? Why do you give me such a reply? Facing the question of Oshimaru, Tsunade muttered to himself with wet eyes. Although people will pass away, some things will always exist in the heart. These things will not wither, they will continue. Because of the appearance of Shiyu and Naruto, she saw new hope in the one she loved the most, the continuation of the dream of the two people. As a result, she gave up the deal with Dashiwan. She wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes, and a sweet drink came from her mouth. Oshimaru, you scum. Your life, I want it today. To read the novel without underline, please download Faye. The 124th Chapter 3 Forbearance Gather Together, one person in seconds. As the battle between Tsunade and Oshimaru started, Shiyu and the others rushed along all the way. However, when they arrived at the meeting place between Tsunade and Onimaru, it was the same as last time, empty. The only change is that this place is in a mess. The collapse of the walls on both sides of the house and the street in various poses shows that there has been a battle here. Looking at the scene in front of him, Naruto also exclaimed. How so? It must be a good thing Tsunade did. Jilai also thought about it a little bit, and came to this conclusion. So, Tsunade-sama rejected the deal with Oshimaru. Mute said, actually, I have already guessed the result. Hearing Shiyu's words, Zilai and the others were also startled, unable to help but fall on the former. You guessed it, Jiraiya said. Shiyu nodded, and then said, just yesterday when Grandma Tsunade was going to teach me the art of 100 heroes, I faintly guessed her determination. All her life's hard work has been taught to me, and it is obvious that she has completed the consciousness of death. After Shiyu's call, Zilayi also suddenly realized. If Tsunade hadn't held this belief, he wouldn't have made any bets with Shiba. Moreover, the time limit is still 1 day. Shiyu, since you have guessed it, why not tell us in advance? Mute said, I'm just guessing, and I can't guarantee that Grandma Tsunade will change her mind in the next second. Moreover, I didn't expect that she would act alone by herself. There was nothing wrong with what Shiyu said, but in fact he just didn't want to say it. Because I want Tsunade to overcome the blood, the fear of and the determination to automatically assume the role of 5th generation Naruto, this issue must be faced by her alone. Only when she made her own decision, everything was in order. The battle here has just happened, they shouldn't have left too far here, they should still be within Wuyuan town. Hearing Shiyu's words, Naruto also said, then what are you waiting for, let's go look for it. In response, Jiraiya and Silent also nodded. Advertisement. Immediately after, 4 people once again embarked on a journey to find Tsunade. Because of the help of Dolphin plus Wuyuan town is not a big reason. Dolphin has a very sensitive sense of smell, which is comparable to Kakashi's ninja dog Parker. Therefore, it is not difficult for them to find the latter. At the same time, Tsunade is fighting with Oshimaru in a suburb of Wuyuan town. Originally, Tsunade had already defeated Do head-on, and just when he wanted to put the latter behind him, this despicable man made use of Tsunade's blood. The fear of the former and the former lost their combat effectiveness. You are afraid of blood, then I will let you see enough. The pocket between the words directly scratched his palm, and the hot blood flowed out of the blood vessels without any suspense. Seeing Tsunade's trembling all over, Kazuka has reached it. Next second, I saw him rushing towards Tsunade with Kumo, and if nothing else, Tsunade fell into fear, and Tsunade, who had lost his fighting power, would be captured alive. At this very moment, thousands of images flashed through Suna's hands at this moment, flashing past the figures she wanted to protect. In the next second, her body suddenly stopped trembling. Bump. A punch directly slapped pocket, causing the latter to smash heavily on a huge rock, and a mouthful of blood was finally spit out from it. However, Tsunade, who saw this scene, showed no fear. Oshimaru and Tu were both surprised by this. Obviously the former saw blood a week ago. I couldn't be afraid of time, why did I overcome this fear in just a week? Oshimaru, do you really think I didn't prepare? Hearing Tsunade's words, Oshimaru also said, it seems that you have overcome your fear of blood. To be precise, it should have been just now. Tsunade in the discourse recalled that during the 5 days of teaching Shiyu, the latter used blood inadvertently every time. Stimulate her. At first it was animal blood, and then his own blood. Exclamation mark. Because of this, Tatsunade has already adapted a little bit, but he hasn't finally overcome it. It wasn't until she made up her mind to continue her determination to continue the will of fire, she came out of that fear. After regaining her confidence, she is no longer afraid. After taking a look at the injured pocket, the latter can't overcome the fear of blood, after Dashimaru. Tsunade. As one of the 3 ninjas, he naturally knows how strong Tsunade is. Oshimaru's voice fell, but before he could make a move, a voice rang. Oshimaru, your opponent is me. The second after this voice sounded, a white smoke also appeared in front of Tsunade. Boom. A plume of white smoke floated by. Shiyu and his party of 4 used the simulation technique to instantly reach the battlefield, blocking Tsunade's body. The moment Shiba and others appeared, Tsunade was also stunned. She didn't expect the latter 4 to be found so quickly, which was completely unexpected. Because she was very confident in her neurotoxin. But when she saw Time Yu, she instantly understood something, and she couldn't help but mutter in her heart. It seems that his knowledge of medical ninjutsu has surpassed me. However, at this moment, not only Tsunade was shocked, but also Osamaruka. The reason why they attracted Tsunade here was naturally because they knew that Jiraiya was with Tsunade in advance. Although Oshimaru is the most talented among the 3 ninjas, he has no ability to overcome the combination of Tsunade and Jiraiya. Not to mention that the hands of the current Oshimaru are useless, and there is no way to seal the seal. Moreover, these are all things in the past. Because the current Jiraiya is no longer what it used to be, after he used the reverse spiritualism to go to the Miaomu mountain and learned the fairy mode, his strength was already able to beat the Oshimaru. Jiraiya, it's been a long time. This was the first sentence Oshimaru saw Jiraiya said in a harsh tone. And Zilai still said in the tone of an old friend. Huh, your eyes are still so fierce. When Oshimaru saw Shiyu standing next to Jiraiya, his expression was suddenly startled. Pouch, why didn't you tell me that kid is with them too? Oshimaru-sama, which kid do you mean? Do obviously didn't know which Oshimaru was referring to for a while. Shiyu performed well in the Zongan examination and already had the strength above Zongan. Secondly, Naruto is also worthy of attention as the 9-tailed man Zuli. It's that, Takikawa Tokiha. Because Oshimaru didn't deliberately hide it at this time, it was as smart as pocket naturally from the former's tone, he heard a hint of jealousy. Because of this, let Dedu be puzzled. Why Oshimaru, Who is one of the three of three? We'll see the ladder look like this. Is it possible that the ladder has the strength that even Oshimaru is afraid of? At this point of thought, Baoshin was extremely shocked. The gaze that looked at Shiyu suddenly changed a lot, especially seeing Shiyu's calm expression, which made him even more sure of this possibility. Master Oshimaru, is that kid? I didn't finish talking about the pocket, but it was interrupted by Dashi Wan. Withdraw. Chapter 120. The moment Naruto saw Do, his face was shocked. Shiyu, isn't that Senior Do? Just look at his forehead guard. Hearing Shiyu's words, Naruto's eyes instantly fell on Pocket's forehead, only to see that the carved on it was not Konoha's pattern. It's picture of Yinyan village. Senior Do, he is a subordinate of Oshimaru. After Naruto's doubts fell, Shiyu couldn't answer, and the opposite Pocket was the first to say. Yes, I am a spy from Yinyan village. Pocket, don't talk nonsense with them, go quickly. Dashi Maru said. Today's situation is quite unfavorable for them, not only the opponent has two Sannin. Moreover, there is another Shiyu who doesn't know the depth. Onoshimaru knows that even if his hands are not broken, they will undoubtedly lose once the confrontation starts. Oshimaru, you don't want to run away today. Jiraiya's words fell, and he directly displayed the Tuden Wonquan marsh. Not good. Do exclaimed, and immediately bit her finger to perform the psychic art. He signed a snake-like psychic beast, two huge python. After summoning the psychic beast, Do and Oshimaru were also freed from it. The restrictions of Yellow Spring Marsh. Oshimaru, you can't run today. Psychic art. As the voice of feeling fell, a huge slug was also stopped in front of Dashawan and his pocket. It was the psychic beast that Tsunade had summoned from Wetbone Forest. And when Naruto thought that Oshimaru had killed 3 generations of Hokage, his heart burned with anger. Look at me. Psychic art. As a plume of white smoke floated out, Naruto also summoned the psychic beast of Miamu Mountain. Originally, he wanted to summon Toad Wentai, but he couldn't do it with his own chakra now. Qua, Naruto, you call me out, what's the matter? The speech was Toad Dragon, and he was very polite, with a naive personality. Ah, why are you? After Naruto hugged his head and complained, he immediately planned to use Nine-Tails Chakra to summon Toad Bunta. But his intention was seen through by Zlai. Naruto, just leave it to us. But, advertisement. It's nothing, it's between the three of us. Jiraiya's tone was very tough, and he did not give Naruto a chance to refute. The voice fell, and Zlai didn't talk nonsense, and directly displayed the psychic technique. Seeing that the situation is not good, I immediately used Dashawan. Blood. At the same time, the psychic art was displayed. Bang, bang. As 2 huge white smoke floated by, Wan Snake and Toad Bunta were also reflected in the vision of Shiyu and others. Open black lens bracket Toad Wentai close black lens bracket I also said with emotion when I saw this scene. Wan Snake and Osh Pill, Tsunade, and Slug, it's been a long time since I saw you. Jiraiya, are you classmates? Wentai, don't tell cold jokes as soon as you come out. Jiraiya also replied, and then he said, today I will be here for fruit, Dashi Wan. Wan Snake, hearing the conversation between Zlai and Wentai, his tone was full of dissatisfaction. Oshimaru, don't always put this to me. Seeing this scene, Tsunade said to Silent, Toki and Naruto stay away from here. It is good. Hearing Yan's silence nodded, and immediately took Shiyu and the two to retreat to the distance. Shiba originally wanted to make a move, but if Jiraiya also joined forces with Tsunade, he would not be too lazy to move. What's more, the hands of Oshimaru nowadays are useless, and his strength that can't release any ninjutsu is greatly reduced. When Toad Dragon saw this, he even waved to Toad Wentai as if nothing had happened. Hi, Dad, Toad Dragon, come here quickly. Hearing Shiyu's words, Toad Dragon also obediently came to Shiyu and the others, and stayed with Dolphin. At this time, the psychic beasts of the 3 holy lands clash. Get up. Under the command of the feelings of Slug, I directly performed the unique secret technique of Wetbone Forest. Tongue and teeth mucus acid. Tongue and teeth mucus acid. Spit out corrosive liquid from the slug's mouth to attack the enemy. After hitting, it can dissolve everything, and the attack effect is extremely strong. And Fumita Toad and Zlai also joined forces to use Toad Oil Flare. The attacks of the 2 psychic beasts blocked Wanshi and Dashimaru from 2 directions. Fortunately, Wanshi has shedding skin. The technique. Otherwise, these 2 attacks will inevitably cause it to be seriously injured. If nothing else, Oshimaru's Orochi Flow substitute technique is probably derived from the Longdedong technique. After a brief confrontation between the 3 psychic beasts, Oshimaru, who had no intention of fighting, also said, Tsunade, even if I don't rely on you, I have another way to restore my hands. The day I am born again is when we meet again. Advertisement. Goodbye, Tsunade, Jiraiya, my partner. The Oshimaru's body was strangely merged into the ground. This is his ability to master the changes in the nature of the soil. Under the escort of many snake, even Tsunade and Jiraiya couldn't stop them for a while. Moreover, it is too late for Jiraiya to start the fairy mode. Because of this technique, he needs a long time to prepare before he can summon Shen Zuo and Ji Ma. It can only be said that Zlai still moved the heart of compassion, and did not come up with the strongest combat power in the first time. Damn it. Tsunade said unwillingly, because she also had nothing to do. Slug's ability is healing and basically has no combat effectiveness, while Wentai is equivalent to Wan Snake. Therefore, they couldn't do it to stop Oshimaru, who was escaping under the escort of Wan Snake. But just as Oshikemaru and Pouch were about to flee, Shiyu's voice rang. Laughter Fairy, Grandma Tsunade. Quickly get out of the way. Hearing this sound, Tsunade, Jiraiya, Oshimaru and others looked at the source of the sound. I saw a huge shuriken at this moment. Flying towards them. But this is not the point is that shuriken. It is formed by agglomeration of chakras. The worst part is that the F***G will spin. Undoubtedly, this is the ninjutsu created by Takiwa with the wind chakra in Spiral Maru. Wind escape spiral shuriken. Jiraiya was also surprised when he saw this. Although he didn't know the power of this trick, he could see that this trick should be a derivative ninjutsu of Helix Maru and Shiyu had his reason to tell them to get out of the way. In this regard, Jiraiya and Tsunade hurriedly controlled Slug and Bunta and stepped aside. Because this spiral shuriken was not coming towards them, they were able to avoid it. But the Osamu and two, who were guarded by the Million Snake, were not so lucky, because this thing was towards them. Come. At this moment, I realized that it was too late to dodge. Although this trick is a bit special, Dashimaru Kazuto felt that it was impossible for him to harm Million Snake. Because even the chakra scalpel that they condensed in their hands couldn't cut through the scales of Snake, let alone the chakra shuriken thrown out. Taking 10,000 steps back, even if it can hurt Jiao Wanshi, it is at most skin and flesh wounds. Indeed, if this ninjutsu has not seen its power with your own eyes, it is impossible to know how much it is. Horrifying. Who could have imagined that this throwing something casually was actually a level ninjutsu trick? Not only they thought it, but even the thoughts of Wan Snake himself. Huh, isn't it just a chakra shuriken? Watch me knock it apart. Since it is inevitable, Wan Snake chose to minimize the risk of injury. I saw its tail thrown out, wanting to throw the spiral shuriken away, and even want to directly smash it away. But the next second, it was dumbfounded. Because before its tail reached the spiral shuriken, the latter exploded by itself. Spiral shuriken, after being thrown for a certain period of time, due to the high-speed rotation of the chakra, even if it does not touch the entity, it will automatically spread to the crowd. Eventually it exploded. As the spiral shuriken spread, that powerful cutting force instantly enveloped Manchi and Oshimaru. Noisy. That kind of sound makes your scalp numb. Chapter 121. Looking at the energy vortex formed by the explosion of the spiral shuriken, Jiraiya, Tsunade and the others were also dumbfounded. It would have been such a high concentration of chakra. Throwing it out is already an extremely difficult thing. I didn't expect the power to be so abnormal. They were still like this, not to mention the two Naruto and Silent standing beside Shiyu, both of them were already dumbfounded at this time. At this moment, there is only one doubt in everyone's hearts. That is, what kind of ninjutsu is this trick? It wasn't until the energy vortex that burst and opened the spiral shuriken disappeared, and a loud noise came out that made everyone recover from their consternation. Boom. Hearing this sound, everyone's eyes fixed on a circular deep hole in front of them. At this time, the 10,000 snakes lay dying in it, and its entire body seemed to have tens of thousands of tiny pinholes, and blood was constantly flowing out. It looks extremely horrible. This result Wan Snake absolutely did not expect, and Wentai and Slug felt cold sweats when they saw it. The 10,000 snakes, who are known for their defenses, still end up in this way. If they are replaced by them, they are likely to be killed on the spot. Boom. As a white smoke drifted by, the figure of Million Snake also disappeared among everyone. If the psychic beast does not die directly, it can take the initiative to return to its original space. With the disappearance of 10,000 snakes, Shiyu and others were next to the pit. After searching for 200 in the deep pit, they did not find the bodies of Oshikemaru and Do. Are they still running away? Tsunade rode. It seems that Wan Snake resisted most of the attacks and won them a chance to escape. Jilai also analyzed a sentence, then looked at Shiyu, and asked, Shiyu, the trick was just now. After hearing this, everyone's eyes fell on Shiyu's body. Because they were equally curious about it, Shiyu didn't hide what was so powerful trick that would catch everyone's eyes. That's when I merged wind chakra with spiral pill to create a new kind of ninjutsu. I call it spiral shuriken. Hearing that, Jilai also praised. Incorporating chakra's temperamental changes into the already formed ninjutsu, this method is not what you think of. Although this seems to be an opportunistic method, it is more difficult than creating a ninjutsu. Because after a ninjutsu book is formed, the most that needs to be strengthened is to improve it, and incorporating some new things, it is easy for ninjutsu to collapse directly. I just got a hot brain just now, and when I got this idea, I just tried it. I didn't expect it to be. As soon as Shiyu said this, everyone suddenly looked bewildered. Listen, is it really human words? Others can't do it even if it takes a few years, so you can do it when your brain is heated up. However, they were relieved when they thought of Shiyu's perverted talent. Unfortunately, I let Dashi Wan run away. Advertisement. Even though Shiyu said that, in his heart, it was completely irrelevant to him whether to kill Oshimaru. With his current strength, if you want to kill the life of Oshimaru, you can do it. It's just that he was too lazy to do it, because it's no good. The reason why he threw a spiral just now is to try the power of this trick. In Shiyu's view, Million Snake is undoubtedly the best experiment. Pin. As for whether he can kill Maru and Do completely within his scope of consideration, it would be best if he could obliterate it by the way. It doesn't matter if you can't. Shiyu's purpose is, others don't do it, and they don't bother to do it. Of course, except for system tasks. He graduated as one of the 3 ninjas. It is really difficult to keep him. Jilai also said, and then said, however, even if they escaped by chance, the price must be not small. If it weren't for 10,000 snake as a meat shield, it would be absolutely impossible for the 2 of Dashimaru to escape in the vortex of cutting. Immediately after, Jiraiya's eyes fell on Tsunade. Asked, Tsunade, what are your plans next? Please don't call me like that in the future. Don't call you that. Jilai was also stunned during the words, and exclaimed, do you want me to call you, Shao Suna Tsunami, or Shao Shou Shou? No, little hands is too ugly. It's still, small Suna Suna, what do you think? Jilai, how long have you been beaten by me? Tsunade was eager to read between the words, and Jilai was stunned. I was kidding. Tsunade's gaze shifted from the voice of Takiwa and Naruto from Jiraiya, and then said. From today, I am the 5th generation of Naruto. Clam. Naruto was surprised, he didn't expect things to change so quickly. Regarding this result, when feeling the decision to kill Oshimaru, Jilai had already guessed 1 or 2. Because only those who are determined to protect Konoha will do this, and becoming Hokage can do this better. Naruto, don't you agree? Jiraiya said. Compared with 3 generations of Naruto, Grandma Tsunade has a bad temper and willfulness, and she likes to spend money randomly. Advertisement. Is she really qualified for the job Hokage? Hearing Naruto's questioning, Tsunade was immediately unhappy. I secretly said in my heart, what's the matter? One of the reasons why my old lady took over this work is not because of you. Little devil, if we don't accept it, we'll be singled out again. Humph. Naruto snorted coldly, and then said, don't always call me kiddies, I will become Hokage sooner or later. Hearing this, Tsunade was stunned, and then stretched out a finger. Originally, Naruto thought that the latter was going to fly him again, but Tsunade's jade finger was just a little bit on his forehead, and then said with a smile. In the future, it will be longer and more handsome, and become a great Naruto. Undoubtedly, from this moment on, Naruto is her younger brother, Senju Roppongi, in Tsunade's eyes. Hearing Tsunade's words, Naruto was also slightly taken aback, and then he laughed. Takikawa Tokiha, the stronger you are, the more excited I will be. Tsunade's gaze also fell on Toki's body, and a word was slowly spit out from her mouth. At this point, Shiba's mission is also 99% complete. The last step is to wait for Tsunade to return to Konoha, and then with the permission of Fire Country Daimyo, you can successfully become 5th generation Naruto. The 2 people who were lucky enough to escape, the 2 of them, the condition of the 2 of them are also extremely poor, and their bodies are covered with various blood stains. Oshimaru looked at the battlefield in the distance and murmured, however, we still have to get a good body first. Tsunade's voice fell, and under the stunned eyes of several people, a dragonfly pointing water appeared on Shiyu's forehead. After Shiba Wuren 5 returned to the hotel for reorganization, he embarked on a journey back to Konoha. Phylou reminds you 3 things about reading. This result is undoubtedly happy for everyone. At the same time, the pockets between the words seem to be lingering. Thank you for reading this story at hotmtnovel.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Immediately after, of course, the touch at that moment was really a bit of ecstasy. Jiraiya on the side saw it, but he was envious. He wanted Tsunade to give him one too, but he didn't have the guts. Without you, I still don't know when I can overcome my fear of blood. Undoubtedly, it was obviously caused by being in the whirlpool of spiral shuriken just now. Master Oshimaru, I didn't expect that little devil would have such powerful ninjutsu. If it weren't for Master 10,000 Swords just now, I'm afraid we are inevitable. Shiyu, thank you. When he said this, a face flashed in his mind. Uchiha Sasuke. After the battle with Oshimaru was over. Chapter 122. On the way, when Shiba and his party passed by Unikira, Tsunade suggested to go to the hot spring. Originally, Naruto and Jiraiya also refused to this, because they felt that this would delay their return to Konoha. But when Tsunade talked about mixed bathing, Joraji couldn't resist it. Shiyu didn't care, and it would be nice to take a bath. Anyway, he was not in a hurry. As a result, Jiraiya was also swayed by Tsunade, and the latter's hand was itchy when he arrived at Unomura. Because if she returned to Konoha, she was afraid she could not gamble anymore. Although there were some small episodes on the way, Shiyu and the others finally returned to Kinoha Hidden Village smoothly. Konoha consultants Mito Menyon and Turn Nai Kaharu were also shocked when they saw Tsunade. They did not expect that Jiraiya would really find Tsunade back. As Konoha's seniors, they naturally know why Tsunade left Konoha in the first place, and this is why Jiraiya also proposed to find Tuni in the first place. When they came to the 5th generation of Naruto, they didn't hold any hope. Mito Menyon glanced at Tsunade, then his eyes fell on Jiraiya and exclaimed. Jiraiya, I didn't think you could really invite her back. This is nothing. Jaleda also boasted, and then said, Suna, she is always a woman, how can I refuse this handsome guy? Ha ha ha. Hearing these words, Naruto couldn't help but glanced at the latter with contempt. Turning to bed, Xiaochun shook her head helplessly. Otherwise, if you let the latter be Naruto, this character will definitely not make people worry. It seems that we have to invite big names from various countries to celebrate Tsunade as 5th generation Naruto. Turning to bed, Xiaochun murmured, and then said to Shiranui Genma and Shancheng Aoba. Xuanjian, Aoba, let me know so Konoha will know about this. However, before I waited for Shiranui Genma and Shancheng Aoba to reply, Jiraiya was the first to speak. And many more. Before that, Tsunade, you still have things to do. Who is it? Tsunade brushed a strand of hair, showing his mature charm to the fullest. Didn't I tell you on the road? Jilai also said in a deep voice, and then said, there are the little ghosts of Kakashi and Uchiha, and Akai's subordinates, Shaoli. Laughter fairy, just let Shiyu go. Naruto wondered. This incident can obviously let Shiyu do it for him. He really can't figure out why Joraji should do it again. Obviously, Naruto's IQ is still not clear about the relationship between these. Tsunade's return is to inherit the 5 generations of Hokage. It is helpful for her to do this thing, and it will be recognized by more people. This matter. On the way back, Shiyu talked about it with Jilai, and for this, Jilai also praised Shiyu. Advertisement. Naruto, let's go with Grandma Tsunade. Hearing what Shiba said, Naruto also nodded. He couldn't wait to see Sasuke and Kakashi. Immediately after, Tsunade, Tokiba and the others left Naruto building and went to the medical room of Kakazai. But before they went downstairs, they ran into someone. Konoha think tank, Nara Shikuhisa and Shikamaru. Naruto was the first to see Shikamaru. Shikamaru, why are you here? I still want to ask you. Shikamaru responded, and immediately saw Shiyu also present, and he couldn't help but feel a little confused. The two disappeared for a while at the same time, obviously what they were doing. As for the purpose, he obviously couldn't guess it now. So he asked Shiyu. And while they were talking, Nara Shikaju saw that Jiraiya and Tsunade were also stunned and hurried. Said hello, Master Jiraiya, Master Tsunade, long time no see. Oh, it's the kid from the Nara family. Tsunade smiled slightly during the words, glanced at Shikamaru, and then said, this is your child. Yes. Seeing Luju nodded, Tsunade said again, have you, the antler, that takes care of the deer is a good medicinal material. Of course there is. Shikamaru, the opponent who could hear his father and feelings, also began to ponder Tsunade's identity. Although they had heard of the name Konoha Sanin, they didn't know which 3 people specifically referred to. Shikamaru saw Naruto and Tsunade coming down together, he thought the latter might know Tsunade's identity, so he asked. Naruto, who is that? The young woman who was dragged to death. She is the new Naruto. When the voice fell, Naruto approached Shikamaru's ear and continued, don't look at her so young on the surface, but she is already in her 50s. Shikamaru was startled when he heard the words, and the expression in Tsunade's eyes suddenly changed drastically. Shiyu, is what Naruto said is true? Shikamaru confirmed to Toki. Just ask Uncle Luju. Shiyu replied, and then smiled at Nara Shikahisa before leaving with Tsunade and others. Advertisement. Shikamaru, see you later. Naruto, whose voice fell, also hurried to catch up with Shiba and the others. Seeing Shiyu and the others going away, Shikamaru also asked, Dad, then what is the origin of 5th generation Hokage? Shikamaru, you should have heard of Konoha Sanin. After hearing the words, Shikamaru was taken aback, and then said, Dad, you mean that woman is the legendary one of the 3 ninjas? She is the most powerful beautiful ninja I have ever seen, one flower in the 3 ninjas. After hearing Lujo's words, Lumaru also sighed, oh, Hokage. I hate. Women are dealing with each other. This is the reason Shikamaru came to this open black lens bracket Naruto building close black lens bracket, because he is about to be promoted to open black lens bracket central ninja close black lens bracket. After a while, I want to stay too. Shiyu has helped Naruto temporarily obtain the open black lens bracket 9-tailed power close black lens bracket, and Sasuke naturally needs a little strength to balance his heart. Naruto agreed. Well, he will wake up soon. Today, Shiyu possesses the elementary immortal human body, which can help Sasuke master the power of Heaven's Curse Seal. Let's go to the next ward. Good too. But no, Sasuke's injury was not serious. Tsunade's Tomade touched the former's forehead, and then said. Tsunade's voice fell, and Kazuki and others walked towards Kakashi's ward. Thank you for reading this story at hotmtnovel.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Tokiba, Tsunade and others finally came to Konoha's medical center, and the first place they went was Sasuke's ward. But to Shiyu's surprise, he didn't see Sakura in Sasuke's ward. This result made him wonder how Sakura likes Sasuke so much. Shiyu stayed there naturally for his purpose. Comfort his little brother. Help him control the curse of the sky. After Sasuke's devastation by Itachi, monthly reading, Sasuke definitely hopes that he can quickly become stronger. Jiraiya said. For example, the second form of curse imprinting. Moreover, Shiyu has prepared a road for Sasuke to become stronger. This road is also related to the question issued by the system. 5. Please read the ununderlined version of the novel. Download Fly. Seeing that everyone was about to leave, Shiyu said, Grandma Tsunade, go, I will stay and take care of Sasuke. Chapter 123. Soon after Tsunade and Jiraiya and others left, Sasuke finally woke up from a mental nightmare. Sasuke, you finally woke up. After hearing Naruto's words, Sasuke, who had just opened his wistful eyes, was still a little confused, and said, Shiyu, Naruto, what's wrong with me? It's not your brother Uchiha Itachi. It is he who has suffered a serious mental injury and caused you to become unconscious and unconscious. Naruto explained, and then said, but it's fine now, we have retrieved Grandma Tsunade, and she has cured you. Grandma Tsunade. Hearing Sasuke's doubts, Shiyu said, she is one of the legendary 3 ninjas, and Konoha's 5th generation Naruto now. 3 ninja, Sasuke murmured, and there was also a touch of surprise on his face. Because he has seen the power of Sannin, even, 2200. Kakashi has nothing to do with him. Undoubtedly, the Sannin that Sasuke saw was Orochimaru. Because the Heaven's Curse imprint on his neck was planted by Orochimaru when Kakashi was training him. After it was done, the latter can retreat calmly. It can be seen that Sannin's strength is so strong. And because of this, Sasuke touched the Heaven's Curse seal on his neck, and his expression looked a little complicated. Coupled with the crazy ravages of Itachi, his desire to be fast has increased again. Toki naturally saw Sasuke's thoughts, and then said, Sasuke, let's take a good rest these days. When you are completely healed, I will teach you how to control the power of Curse Seal. Hearing this, Sasuke was startled suddenly, staring at Shiyu steadily. Control the power of Curse Seal. Sasuke also thought about this kind of thing, but every time he uses this power, his body is eroded, which is an indescribable way. This power of Curse Seal is simply the control of natural energy, as long as Shiyu gives a little guidance and injects some natural energy to ease the power of Curse Seal. After all, this power of Curse Seal is not simply natural energy, but there is also the power of Orochimaru. Although Shiyu hasn't learned the fairy mode yet, he has the background of tens of thousands of times the talent and the elementary immortal human body, and can still use natural energy, but it can't be so abnormal. The fairy mode transforms natural energy into a stronger Shanshu chakra, but curse sealing cannot. Advertisement. In other words, curse sealing is fairy mode of copycat edition. The specific method of this fairy mode is only available in the 3 sacred sites, and it has different forms. 3 holy lands. I don't know how long it has been passed on, how many years, and how many generations of talents have created their own fairy model. If Shiyu now wants to learn fairy mode, there are only 2 ways to go, through the 3 holy lands acquisition. Shiyu can comprehend the 1 fairy mode on his own, a kind of human fairy mode. But the premise of this method is that his talent must be upgraded. Otherwise, he may be able to with his current talent, but he does not know how much time and energy it will take to research. Shiyu obviously couldn't do this kind of boring thing. Seeing Sasuke's surprised look, Shiyu said calmly. Why don't you believe me? No, it's just that I don't think that power seems like an ordinary chakra. Sasuke said. You are talking about this kind of power. A strange energy appeared in Shiyu's hands between the words, this. The energy may seem unremarkable, but it makes people feel palpitation. Feeling the natural energy in Shiba's hand, Naruto was not quite clear, but Sasuke was dumbfounded. He who has experienced curse sealing is naturally very familiar with this energy, but to amazement is that the energy in Shiyu's hand is much purer than his curse seal cast. Now you can rest assured. Hearing Shiyu's words, Sasuke also nodded heavily, and his admiration for Shiyu rose to a new height. He felt that as long as Yu was there, it was only a matter of time to transcend. After hearing the conversation between Toki and Sasuke, Naruto also asked, Toki, what kind of energy is this? You will know from now on. Shiyu didn't explain anything to Naruto, because it was no use telling the latter now. Naruto, let's go see Mr. Kakashi. It is good. Naruto nodded, glanced at Sasuke and said, Sasuke, then you have a good rest, we will see you later. Seeing the disappearance of the 2 of Tokiba's vision, Sasuke still has a back figure in his mind, making his eyes more determined. Uchiha Itachi, you wait for me. When Yu and Naruto came to Kakashi's ward, the latter had already woke up from a coma. At this time, only Tsunade and Akai were in the ward. As for Silent and Joraji, they didn't know where. Advertisement. Jiraiya. The old color embryo must have gone somewhere to get the material, and Mute should be dealing with matters related to taking over the 5th generation of Naruto for Tsunade. At this time, Akai pointed to Kakashi and joked. Kakashi. You were beaten up like this by 2 little thieves. This is so different from ordinary people. I still think of you as a genius. Kakashi turned a deaf ear to Kai Huang's words. Seeing this, Akai also said, forget it, Tsunade-sama, please go and see my Shaoli. Tsunade can't heal Shaoli's injury. They really can't think of anyone else in this world who can heal him. In their opinion, this person does not exist. Filu reminds you, 3 things to do when reading. When the 5 of Kakashi talked, Tsunade and Kai had already arrived in Shaoli's ward. Who is Jilai? That is one of the legendary 3 ninjas. Kakashi was silent for a long time, and only 2 words appeared in his mouth. After Tsunade checked Shaoli, her calm face finally showed a touch of dignity. Very strong. It's no wonder that Naruto would ask like this, because last time the latter was taken away from Jiraiya's hands. How about Tsunade-sama, and in Shiyu 2-0? Undoubtedly, Shaoli's injury made her feel quite tricky. Seeing Tsunade's silence, Akai's heart was also stunned, apparently thinking something was wrong. Hearing this, Tsunade was silent for a while, and then said, Shaoli, I advise you to give up being a ninja. Ms. Kakashi, how do you feel? Hearing this, Naruto asked curiously, Kakashi-sensei, that, is the Uchiha Itachi really that strong? After Tsunade left, Shiyu also offered condolences. As soon as these words came out, Shaoli and Akai were both startled. If they were called, the strongest medical ninja. Thank you for reading this story at hotmtnovel.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. There was no previous joking on his face, a serious way. Shiyu and the two greeted Tsunade and Akai, and then they stayed, and did not leave with the two. It should be fine. Chapter 124. Ha ha ha. Emperor Kai gave a wry smile, and then said, Tsunade-sama, you are really joking. I'm not joking. The fragments of bones have penetrated into the central nervous system. Such a body can't perform any tasks, and it's useless even if the operation is performed. Hearing Tsunade's words, Emperor Kai burst into tears in an instant. He didn't know what to say at this time, and could only look at Shaoli sitting in the chair in a daze. The atmosphere was silent for a while, and it was finally broken by Shaoli. There is no hope of cure. Shaoli's tone was slightly quieter, but anyone could hear the strong hope in his voice. Not only is the risk of surgery extremely high, but it also takes a lot of time not to talk about it. Well, the success rate is only half. If you fail, you will die. Hearing the expressions of Shaoli and Emperor Kai suddenly startled, but Tsunade's words continued. Furthermore, even if it succeeded, it's definitely not an overnight thing to want to recover. As soon as this remark came out, Shaoli forced his wet eyes to keep the tears from overflowing. Becoming a ninja is his childhood. If his dream ends here, his life will become meaningless from then on. That was a dark life without color. Little Li Chang did not cry in despair, but left the room quietly. Needless to say, he wants to be alone for a while. Watching Shaoli leave the room, Tsunade also said, Akai, I can understand his mood. But I think I still have to tell him the truth. If I knew this was the result, I shouldn't have brought you here. Emperor Kai choked. After hope, there was despair, which is the most unacceptable. After the two were silent for a while, Tsunade seemed to have thought of something and said suddenly, Akai, maybe someone can increase the success rate. Hearing Tsunade's words, Emperor Kai was slightly taken aback. Because as far as he knows, the medical ninjutsu Tsunade is undoubtedly the first person in the ninja world today. If not, Oshimaru will not try to find the latter. Tsunade-sama, you don't have to comfort me. In Kai Huang's view, Tsunade may have seen himself and Shaoli look like this, so he wanted to fabricate a lie to give them hope. It's just like what they had placed their hopes on Tsunade. I didn't comfort you, I just said that this person may be able to improve the success rate of the operation, but you have to listen to his opinion as to whether you can. Where is this person? King Kai said. He's in Konoha. What? The Emperor Kai looked astonished in the words. He originally thought Tsunade would say a vain place, but he never expected that it would be the answer. Not only that, you also know him. I know too. Advertisement. The Emperor Kai was even more shocked at this moment, because there didn't seem to be such a person in his memory. Countless faces flashed in his mind, but Emperor Kai always denied them, and in the end he could only ask Tsunade for advice. Tsunade-sama, who is he? Takikawa Tokiha. Hearing this name, Emperor Kai was instantly stunned. Because this result was completely beyond his expectation, he didn't even think of breaking his head. After a long pause, Emperor Kai finally couldn't help but asked, Tsuna-sama, are you making a mistake or are you kidding? If it's the former, then he can still accept it. If it's the latter, he will definitely feel susceptible to Tsunade. Can you still joke at this time? I didn't say it, and it's not open. Tsunade replied solemnly, and then said, if that kid had learned all of my medical ninjutsu within 5 days, you wouldn't be there anymore. 5 days. Good. Tsunade nodded, and continued, knowing that there is something about this matter. Silent and Naruto, if you don't believe it, you can go to them for verification. I can tell you with certainty that that kid's medical skills is no longer under me. Hiss. Hearing this, Emperor Kai took a breath of cold air. At this time, he was shocked not only on his face, but also with stormy waves in his heart. Tsunade was so sure, obviously he was not saying false. After calming down for a while, Emperor Kai also said, Tsunade-sama, I will leave first. The Emperor Kai who fell in the voice did not wait for Tsunade's response, swish. With a sound, he disappeared in front of the latter's eyes. Seeing the door where the former Emperor Kai left, Tsunade also murmured to himself. Shiyu, I hope you won't let him down. When Kai Wangfei. When he rushed to the Kakashi ward, he found that Shiyu and Naruto had disappeared. Kakashi, where's Shiyu? Seeing the excited look of Emperor Kai, Kakashi was puzzled. Didn't you go to see Shaoli with Tsunade-sama? Why did you ask Shiyu here? It's not because Tsunade-sama said Shiyu might have a way to cure Shaoli. Kakashi became even more puzzled when he heard King Kai's words. If Tsunade is known as the medical ninja's best, there is no way. I just found out too. The Emperor Kai who fell in the voice also simply retold Tsunade's words to Kakashi, but his words made Kakashi dumbfounded. He knew that Shiyu's talent was different from ordinary people, but he didn't expect that the latter had become so abnormal. After some conversation, the Emperor Kai finally learned of Shiyu's whereabouts, and Shiyu and Naruto seemed to have gone to eat ramen. Ever since, Emperor Kai flew directly to the Yeel Noodle house. At the same time, in the Yeel Noodle house. Hiss. Naruto took a bite of ramen, and then said happily, Uncle Yeel, your ramen is delicious. Naruto, Shiyu, in order to show that you have successfully brought back the new Hokage, I will ask you for free this uncle. Advertisement. Really? Of course it's true. Changpu smiled. Sister Changpu, if this is the case, you are probably going to lose money today. Hearing Shiyu's words, Changpu smiled, and even Iluka on the side couldn't help but chuckled inwardly. They obviously could hear that Shiyu deserves to be Naruto. Because this guy had already done 4 or 5 bowls when he heard that it was free, and there was no sign of stopping. Ming stopped until Iruka's next sentence sounded. Shiyu, Naruto, although you have not been promoted to Zhongren this time, don't be discouraged. Teacher Iruka, if the Central Ninja exam hadn't been terminated halfway, Shiyu and I would definitely be promoted. Naruto. However, this time there is still one person successfully promoted to Zhongren. What? Hearing what Iruka said, Naruto was not calm in an instant. He didn't expect that this Zhongnan exam ended early, and it was so good to be able to be promoted to Zhongnan. After thinking about it, Naruto also quickly asked, Iruka teacher, in the end who is it? However, before Iruka could answer, Shiyu was the first to say, if I guessed correctly, this person should be Shikamaru. Hearing that, both Iruka and Naruto were stunned. Iruka was shocked that Shiyu had guessed it all at once, and Naruto was shocked as to why Shikamaru was promoted to Zhongnan. You know that the latter is his defeat. Even the winner of him is 200 and he is not promoted to Central Ninja, but Kamaru, who lost the game, is promoted. In this regard, his heart was naturally depressed. Originally, Naruto still had doubts, until the sound of Iluka's voice made him have to believe this fact. Shiyu, how did you know? Just now we saw Shikamaru when we came out of the Hokage Tower. If no accident, he should have registered for Central Ninja qualification. Hearing Shiyu's answer, Iruka was also shocked. Shiyu, you are as smart as you are. Yes, this time only Shikamaru was promoted to Zhongnan among all the candidates. After getting the confirmation, Naruto also raised the doubts in his heart. Ms. Iruka. I obviously won Shikamaru, but why is he promoted? Naruto, have you forgotten the rules of the Zhongnan exam? Zhongnan considers all aspects of abilities, and it is not necessary to win. Although the Central Ninja exam was broken and terminated this time, Shikamaru demonstrated all aspects of his abilities when he fought you. This is obvious to all. Hearing what Iruka said, Naruto can only accept this reality. In his opinion, he can accept it as long as it is not for Sasuke to be promoted to Nakanin. They fell in love and killed each other, saying that it was the two of them. And at this moment, Emperor Kai finally came to Yeel Noodle shop. Shiyu, I have found you. His words made Iruka and Naruto puzzled, but they didn't know that it didn't mean Shiyu was unclear. Teacher Akai, Grandma Tsunade asked you to come to me. As soon as Shiyu said this, all 3 of them were taken aback. Iluka and Naruto were completely confused, but the Emperor Kai was shocked. He has always heard that Shiyu is very smart, and he finally saw it today. Please chapter 125. Emperor Kai just returned to his senses, and Shiyu's words shocked his heart again. Teacher Akai, let's go. Stunned for a while, Emperor Kai also said, Shiyu, you don't know what I'm here for anymore. Ms. Kakashi has woken up. Now besides Shaoli, who else would make you so anxious? In response to Akai, Shiyu said to Iluka, Teacher Iruka, eat slowly, I will go to see Shaoli with Teacher Akai. Good. In the words, Iluka still had a dumb face, completely confused. Kai was worried about Shaoli, but why did the latter come to see Shiyu and see Shaoli? This is the key. Seeing Shiyu and Emperor Kai gradually go away, Iruka couldn't help asking. Naruto, do you know what this is like? I guess Teacher Akai asked Shiyu to see a doctor for Shaoli. Naruto thoughtfully. Although he is a little clumsy, he is not stupid. The Emperor Kai said that Tsunade asked him to come to Toki, and that Toki was already an amazing medical ninja. So, this is very reasonable. As for why Tsunade wanted Emperor Kai to find Toki, Naruto hadn't figured it out for a while. What did you say to find Shiyu to see a doctor? Iruka was so shocked and excusable, because in his memory, Shiyu didn't know much about medicine. Regarding Iluka's doubts, Naruto also simply retold what happened in Wuyuan Town, Duenkai Street. But it was Naruto's simple words that shocked Iruka more than ever. It's not that Iruka is not calm enough, anyone who does this kind of thing will be like him. The previous Emperor Kai is the best example. Looking at the direction in which Shiyu and Emperor Kai disappeared, Iruka was stunned. After a while, Shiyu followed the Emperor Kai to the Konoha hospital again, and then went straight to Shaoli's room. However, they did not find Shaoli in the ward, but on the balcony on the roof. At this moment, Shaoli seems to be very calm, but he is struggling. He is thinking about Tsunade's words. Is it to give up being a ninja and live innocently or to use half the chance to fight for the life he wants? When immersed in the painful struggle, a voice slowly sounded. Shaoli, it is not yet time to choose one of the two. Hearing this, Shaoli was also taken aback. Immediately he looked around, and it was Shiyu and Emperor Kai who came to see him, and the sentence just now came from Shiyu's mouth. Shiyu, Teacher Akai, why are you here? Shaoli, I called Shi Yu to see you sick. As soon as Emperor Kai said this, Xiao Li was immediately confused. The former can understand Tsunade, the strongest medical ninja, but if he doesn't understand Kai Huang, he will definitely feel that the former is making fun of him. Seeing that the doubts on Xiao Li's face were the same as before, Emperor Kai repeated what Tsunade had told him. Although he was in a bad mood, Xiao Li's face still showed a deep shock. I didn't do anything against it, this kind of thing is too shocking. Shi Yu, is what Mr. Akai said is true. Advertisement. Roughly the same, Shi Yu responded, and then said, let me hurt first. At this moment, Xiao Li did not refuse. Although he didn't have much hope, it didn't hurt, in case Shi Yu really had a better way. Immediately after, in the tense expressions of Emperor Kai and Xiao Li, Shi Yu also began to diagnose the situation for Xiao Li. After a while, seeing Shi Yu standing upright, Emperor Kai immediately asked, Shi Yu, how is it? Just as Grandma Tsunade said, the bone fragments have touched the nervous system, and the success rate of surgery is not very high. After hearing Shi Yu's words, Emperor Kai and Xiao Li's mood fell to the bottom once again, and Emperor Kai asked symbolically. It's not very high. %. As soon as Shi Yu's answer came out, Xiao Li and Emperor Kai were stunned. Isn't this a joke? 9% chance you are actually not very high, then you are the so-called high, even though it is very. It was shocked, but Emperor Kai hurriedly asked. Shi Yu, are you kidding me? At this moment, not only did Emperor Kai have such doubts, but also Xiao Li, because Tsunade had previously said that the best situation was only 50%. But now when it comes to Shi Yu, it is as high as 90%, can this not surprise them? If it were not for Tsunade to pat his chest to guarantee, they would definitely think that Shi Yu was talking nonsense. Teacher Akai, how could I be joking like this? In my eyes, only a 100% chance is called high. Hearing Shi Yu's words, Emperor Kai and Xiao Li glanced at each other, and expressed their agreement with Shi Yu in their hearts. Shi Yu, are you true? Xiao Li said excitedly, certainly. Shi Yu responded and said, if I can implant primary cells in the operation, I can increase the success rate of the operation to 99%. Moreover, after surgery, you can recover to your previous state faster. That's right. Actually, this is Shiba's real purpose. If he went directly to Tsunade to get the first-generation cell, the latter would definitely ask her why. And under the name of Xiao Li's surgery, everything is logical. As for the so-called 99% power, it is naturally true, Shi Yu just didn't say everything. In fact, with the primary immortal human body, he can completely restore Xiao Li without surgery, and he can completely remove the bone fragments in the nerve center, in Xiao Li's body. Turned into natural energy and extracted it is. Hearing Shi Yu talked about the 99% success rate, Emperor Kai and Xiao Li were already speechless in consternation. After a long silence in the same place, Emperor Kai broke the silence. Advertisement. Quote. Shi Yu, take this seriously. Teacher Akai, what good is it for me to lie to you? That's what it said. With the murmur of Emperor Kai, the eyes between him and Xiao Li were filled with excitement. The 9% chance is almost absolute. They never thought that Shiba would be able to do things that even the strongest medical ninja, Tsunade, could not do. After some shock, Emperor Kai suddenly thought of something. Shi Yu, I heard that no one has succeeded in transplanting primary cells. Emperor Kai is an elite ninja, so naturally he knows this. And when Xiao Li heard these words, the excitement on his face disappeared for the most part, and he looked at Shi Yu again, waiting for the latter's answer. Teacher Akai, I just said if. That is to say, I have to study it first. If the research is successful, then with the ability of primary cells, even those with broken arms and legs can be reborn. Shi Yu, how sure are you? Emperor Kai asked. Everything is unknown until there is no research. Shi Yu said. Makes sense. Emperor Kai responded and said immediately. However, I believe you will be able to study successfully. That is, Shi Yu not only learned all of Tsunade's medical skills and ninjutsu in just 5 days, but now the success rate given after diagnosis is so much higher than Tsunade. The two people in the words hugged each other directly. Emperor Kai's words are not groundless, but have a certain basis. And Shiba did not procrastinate. After leaving Konoha Hospital, I went to see Tsunade. Xiao Li, take a good rest first. I'll go and ask Nurse Tsunade for instructions on studying primary cells later. When he heard the words, Shi Yu smiled slightly and said immediately. Seeing Xiao Li nodding, Shi Yu also bid farewell to the two. Then Mr. Akai, I will leave first. Yes, Teacher Akai. Little Li, that's great. Thank you for reading this story at hotmtnovel.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Phailu reminds you 3 things about reading. Emperor Kai nodded, and immediately Yu disappeared into their field of vision under the watch of the two. Xiao Li seems to have the same idea as him, cheering Shi Yu. It is good. Shi Yu, I believe you too. Chapter 126. On the way Shi Yu went to find Tsunade, he ran into 2 people. 2 young girls in season. It is Sakura and Ino, they seem to be going to the hospital to finish seeing Sasuke and Xiao Li. And the moment they saw Shi Yu, for some reason, the two stopped at the same time. Hi, Shi Yu. It was Ino who was the first to say hello to Toki. For this reason, she has rarely been jealous with Sakura recently. Seeing this, Sakura also mustered courage. Shi Yu, long time no see. This result was quite surprising to Tokiyu, and Ino was still within the range of acceptance. But Kozakura didn't, and this seems to be the first time to greet her proactively. Isn't it just to raise the bar with Ino? Obviously not. Shiyu had already guessed one or two, but he didn't break it. Because after the latter's feeling slowly deepened, she would reveal it by herself, and Shiyu had no need to do anything deliberately. This is not his style. He has no such thoughts either. Ino, Sakura, are you going to see Sasuke? Hearing Shiyu's words, Ino smiled slightly, and then said, there is also Shaoli. The two of them were so badly injured. As classmates, it is natural to look at them. Ino's words are very meaningful, especially the four words, as a classmate. This undoubtedly tells Shiyu that she has no other meaning in seeing the two of them. When Shao Sakura heard this, she hurriedly said, me too. Pretty good, Shiyu responded, and then said, I just finished watching the two of them, and Sasuke is already awake. As for Shaoli, I think his injury will recover soon. It seems that the rumors are true. The new Hokage is the famous medical expert Tsunade-sama. Ino, I have something to do, let's go one step ahead. When the voice fell, Shiyu strode away directly. The two women looked at Shiyu's back, their faces were different, and they didn't know what they were thinking. Until Shiyu's figure completely disappeared from their vision, Jingyi seemed to have made some kind of decision in his heart. Sakura, I have decided. What did you decide? In the words, Kozakura looked puzzled. In order to repair the relationship between us, I decided to quit. Advertisement. The two of them were originally two little friends who didn't guess, but because they were attracted by Sasuke at the same time, they gradually separated. The relationship between the two slowly improved after the first battle in the Central Ninja Examination Qualifier. Quit. What to quit? Are you really stupid or pretending to be stupid? In the middle of the words, Ino gave Sakura a blank look, and continued, it means that Sasuke gave it to you. Let me, Kozakura muttered, and finally understood. Why do I want you to let me? I can take it on my own, I don't need your sympathy. Let's tell you so. Ino responded, and then said, it's not so much to give up, it is better to give up. Why? Because I think someone is better and better than him. When Ino's voice fell, Sakura could not answer yet, and a voice came from behind them. What are you talking about? Upon hearing this, both Sakura and Ino were taken aback. Immediately, a beautiful shadow is reflected in the two. In the eyes of people, it is not someone else, it is Tiantian. Needless to say, she definitely went to see Shaoli. Nothing. Ino hurriedly explained, and then said, every day, you are going to see Shaoli. It just so happens, I want to see him too, let's go together. Good. Although Tian didn't know what was going on, he naturally wouldn't refuse Ino's kindness. So Ino happily pulled Tiantian towards the Konoha hospital, leaving only the bewildered Sakura. However, Ino never thought that the person she was holding actually had a good impression of Shiyu. Looking at the two going away, Sakura was still thinking about what Ino said just now. A better man than Sasuke. Could it? Sakura in the middle of the words glanced at the direction in which Shiba disappeared, and finally understood something. After a long pause in the same place, he also muttered to himself. Sasuke never responds to my feelings, nor does he look at me directly, do I have to insist on it? Advertisement. When the voice fell, she also followed the pace of Ino and Tiantian. At that time, Yu had already arrived at the Huo Yinglu. At this moment, Tsunade is discussing the succession of the ceremony with the core figures of Konoha, such as Mito Menyon and Turn Nai Kaharu. Tsunade really couldn't raise the energy for such boring things. So she directly handed it to Mute to discuss with them, and then she only had to show up. But she walked to Shiyu with a look of relief, and asked with a smile. Shiyu, what do you want me to do? Grandma Tsunade, you pushed the matter to me and you asked me what's the matter. Hearing Shiba's words, Tsunade was also instantly stunned. Asked directly. How is it? How sure are you of Shaoli's injury? Less than 10%. Tsunade was taken aback for a moment, and Shiyu gave a blank look, and said, you kid, be more serious. Hey, I'm watching Grandma Tsunade, you may not be able to adapt to the job, Hokage, at once, so relax the atmosphere. When the voice fell, Shiyu's expression became serious and continued. Shaoli's injury is indeed very serious, but I am probably 80% sure. Let's do this, you will come to me again in 2 days. Thank you for reading this story at hotmtnovel.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Tomorrow we will receive Daming from various countries and meet the leaders of other villages. The day after tomorrow will be an official succession ceremony. Okay, I'm not kidding you anymore. As Konoha's once the best medical ninja, Tsunade naturally knows about the first generation of cell culture and transplantation. If it succeeds, it will be a great feat. After much consideration, Tsunade said to Shiyu. For this reason, this research has been banned. However, although the research has been banned, the primary cells are still kept in the experiment. Tsunade let out a stunned voice, and then said, indeed, you can give it a try with your talent. First generation cell, so tall, but what she didn't expect was that 3 layers were directly added. Before her shock was over, Shiyu also said again, Grandma Tsunade, if I can successfully study the primary cells I will have 99% sure. Tsunade was stunned for an instant. she just thought that with Toki's talent, she might be able to gain a little more certainty. But because the transplant has never been successful, and all the experimental products are dead, Shiyu nodded, and reached an agreement with Tsunade. And in these 2 days, he can just teach Sasuke how to control the spell of the sky. Chapter 127. The next day, Shiyu told Emperor Kai and Xiao Li about the situation, and the two had no opinion on it. They have been for so long, and it is not bad for that day or 2 days. After all, it is a study that can improve the success rate, even if it takes longer, they are willing to wait. It is natural to be cautious about life matters. After leaving Xiao Li's ward, Shiyu went directly to Sasuke. The latter was already impatient and everything was ready. If Shiyu hadn't come to him, he would have to find Shiyu. Since it's ready, let me go with me. Hearing what Shiba said, Sasuke also nodded heavily. After being tortured by Itachi, he deeply felt his own weakness, which intensified his rapidly growing heart. After a while, after leaving Konoha Hospital, Shiba took Sasuke to a relatively secluded grove. No way. This Heaven's Curse seal is better not to let too many people know about this matter. After all, it is something left by the fellow Oshimaru. You already know the first form of curse sealing, but because you have resisted this power, you haven't completely controlled it yet. So, what you have to do now is to completely release this form. Sasuke didn't talk nonsense when he heard what Shiba said. His curse seal was broken when he fought Gaara last time, and now he is completely free to curse seal as long as he wants to. Next second, a series of black runes also continuously flowed from the Heaven's Curse seal on Sasuke's neck, and then they chose to cover the whole body without suspense. But it didn't completely cover the body, and there were some gaps between each rune. This is the first form of the seal of the heavenly curse. Seeing this, Shiyu also said, "Okay, let's practice with me now." "And you, correct?" Shiyu nodded, and then said, "Fighting is the fastest way to master power." "I see." When the voice fell, Sasuke also didn't talk nonsense, and directly attacked Shiyu. Sasuke originally thought that he should be able to play a few tricks with Shiyu after curse sealing, but the result was far beyond his expectations. In this state, he still couldn't do a single trick in Shiyu's hands. After learning the 100 How art from Tsunade, Shiyu learned a method, which is to precisely control chakra to a certain part of the body, so that it can burst out of powerful power. Advertisement. This move, in conjunction with the increase in Hachiman Dunjia, is simply abnormal. But for Sasuke, Toki did not use these powers at all, because it was not necessary at all. Otherwise, as long as you get a punch, you will probably have to go back to the hospital and lie down. Sasuke, open Shilunion. If you want to evolve Jiaolunion, there is only constant battle. Hearing Toki's reminder, Sasuke didn't have any doubts and did so. After half a day, under the guidance of Toki Yu, Sasuke has completely stabilized the curse of the Heaven Seal. But at the same time, he was tired and collapsed at this moment. Even though Sasuke was a wolf at this time. But his heart is excited, because he feels that his strength is constantly improving. This result naturally surprised him. After a rest, Shiyu said, "Sasuke, you have completely adapted to the first form of curse sealing, so let's start the next stage of training." "The next stage. Good." Shiyu responded and said, "This curse seal has 2 forms, and what you have now is only the first form. So, next I will teach you to control the second form." Hiss. Sasuke Nori. It was a breath of cold air. He never thought that this curse seal would have a stronger form. He was also very excited about this. "Sasuke, next I will unlock all the power of curse seal, but this process is very painful. No matter how much pain, I can bear it." To Sasuke's answer, Shiyu said, "Have you ever experienced the feeling of death?" "Oh, what do you mean? I told you the truth. After the power of curse seal is fully released, this power will instantly swallow your life. Simply put, you will die." When he heard Shiyu's words, Sasuke was taken aback, and there was a flash of panic and doubt in his eyes. "Shiyu, since you brought it up, there should be a solution." "Certainly." Shiyu nodded, and then said, "However, you have to endure the feeling of death, because later you will continue to wander on the edge of life and death. As long as I can gain strength, I can bear any pain." Advertisement. In this case, we will begin. It is good. Seeing Sasuke nodding his head, Shiyu also stopped talking nonsense. I saw a burst of natural energy condensed in his hand, and then instilled it toward the celestial seal on Sasuke's neck. At the moment this natural energy penetrated into the cursed seal, the latter seemed to have been summoned, and instantly awakened. The terrifying runes spread directly again, covering Sasuke's whole body in just a few breaths. Not only that, even Sasuke's appearance has changed. The hair grows longer, and his back is palm wings. Undoubtedly, Sasuke has successfully awakened the second form of the curse of the sky. However, the total strength it was accompanied by pain. At this time, Sasuke already felt the pain of death. Although he gritted his teeth and endured it, he still uttered a shallow groan. He was able to hold on, naturally because Shiyu absorbed the excess natural energy in his body to protect his life from being eroded. After a while, after seeing Sasuke's condition stabilized, Toki also stopped absorbing the natural energy in his body. Ordinary people will die once they absorb too much natural energy. This is why not many people can withstand the power of Curse Seal. In the Oshimaru test, even the four of the four people of Odonin, it's just ordinary curse seal. And the power contained in this curse of the sky is even more terrifying. But if you want to master this power, you must be in this state for a period of time, and let your body slowly adapt to this natural energy. After all this last night, Shiyu also said, Sasuke, you will get used to this situation this afternoon. After you fully adapt, I will practice against you tomorrow so that you can better grasp this form. Sasuke nodded without thinking. He had begun to believe in Toki unconditionally. Especially feeling the power of this state to increase him, so that his admiration for Shiyu has deepened a lot. On the second day, Sasuke also adapted to this, the second form of the curse seal of the sky under Toki's teaching. But what makes Sasuke depressed is that he is still not Shiyu's opponent in this state. However, what makes him happy is that he can at least make a few moves with it. This is enough to prove that his strength has improved by leaps and bounds, and this is undoubtedly the best news for Sasuke. The third day. The day agreed upon by Tokiba and Tsunade has arrived, and the latter has successfully completed the takeover ceremony and officially became Konoha's fifth-generation Naruto. When you came to the Hokage office, the latter was looking at a pile of papers. Grandma Tsunade, here I am. The sound of this voice made Tsunade's pretty face that couldn't see the happiness, anger, sorrow, and joy showed a ray of smile. Chapter 128. In the office. After Shiba and Tsunade exchanged a greeting, Tsunade took Shiba to Konoha's open black lens bracket research laboratory close black lens bracket. Today's Tsunade is the 5 generations of Hokage, and he is naturally unimpeded along the way, without any accidents. After taking Shiba to the research laboratory, Tsunade also briefly introduced Shiba to the general situation. As Konoha and an excellent medical ninja, she is naturally no stranger to this place. Because Shiba's research is not to put the primary cells into the human body, to cultivate wooden ninja with bloodstain boundaries, and Toki's research purpose is the regeneration of primary cells. Therefore, there will be no objection to this research. This research has actually been studied a long time ago by Konoha, but it has not made much progress at all. In addition to Tsunade's departure, no one has the strength to continue research. Tokiha appears, 2200. It would have taken some time to complete this research. But the problem is that he is now elementary immortal human body, so this link is faster. After Tsunade's introduction, Toki directly began to research. With his current talent, this research could not trouble him at all. In just a few days, he was puzzled by the Konoha medical class for decades. The shelving of research project has been resolved. This result is undoubtedly a sensation for Konoha. Since that day, Shiyu has undoubtedly become the talk of people in Konoha village before and after dinner. It is also for this reason that Taku Shiba has become the most popular target of the new generation. Especially the kid Konoha Maru, Tiantian is self-proclaimed as Shiba's little brother, and it is not fun. Relatively speaking, Shikamaru's promotion has fallen into the lower level. Because of the advent of this research, the solution to the distress of some disabled people is mainly manifested in those who lack arms and legs. At the moment when the research was successful, Tsunade gave Toki a hug that was caught off guard. This is undoubtedly what Shiba hadn't expected. Tsunade's hug Shiba was acceptable, but the middle-aged uncle Shiba was quite unacceptable. Obviously, the latter is because of excitement. Because in this way, Shaoli's operation can be said to be almost without any risk. And Shiyu's own goal was also achieved, turning the primary cell into a part of himself with the fairy human body. In this way, he can create the chakra of Asura so that he can use the kaleidoscope right round eye unscrupulously. On the second day after research was completed, Shiyu also performed surgery on Shaoli. Advertisement. Without any accident, Shaoli successfully recovered his health. After all these things, the fungus also entered a high-speed recovery period, that is, a tense working state. Because of Oshimaru's troubles and the death of 3 generations of Naruto, they caused Konoha to accumulate a lot of tasks. Elite ninjas like Kakashi, Kaihuang and others need to perform difficult tasks, and some simple tasks are completed by the ninjas. For this reason, Shiyu and the others ushered in an independent task. The content of the task was to go to the country of Tea to protect a contestant. In this task, Shiyu was still a little interested. Because he really wanted to see the weapon of second-generation Naruto, Thunder God Sword. This sword was stolen by Renin using Morinai Taten 3 years ago, and it is still in the hands of the latter. Woolen cloth. If there is no accident, this time the mission will be the same as the first mission of the system, and the person in the system hasn't appeared yet. Shiyu is not in a hurry, so he will take it as a trip. System task. Kill Junmaru. System task. Destroy Oshimaru, Yinyan Village Nest, and kill Mixed Monster, Wind Magic Land. Exclamation mark. For the first task, Toki has to wait for Sasuke's affairs to be arranged before completing it, because it is related to the Rongjadong contract scroll. After Tsunade's explanation, Tokiba, Naruto and Sasuke also embarked on the journey of the Tea Country. This was the first time that Shiyu and the others, 7th class, performed a task alone. Without Kakashi, the captain was naturally Shiyu. Sasuke and Naruto didn't have the slightest objection to this. The two of them now have completely become Shiyu's younger brothers, and in their opinion, as long as they follow Shiyu, they can continue to grow stronger. 2 days later, Shiyu and the others finally arrived in the territory of the Tea Country. Shiyu. There is a tea house in front, let's go take a rest. Good too. Seeing Shiyu nodding his head, Naruto's figure instantly disappeared in place, and hurriedly ran towards the tea house in front. After arriving at the tea house, Naruto, a foodie, ordered a lot of things in an instant, what red bean and rice cake soup, 6 balls, jelly powder, etc. At this time, in addition to the three of them there are also a teenager, his appearance looks older than them. Naruto and the others don't know the identity of the latter, but Shiba knows it well. This boy is the target of their protection during this trip, Konoha Kaminori, Mori Ibiki's younger brother, Mori Nai Taten close black lens bracket. At the beginning, this guy was eliminated because of Central Ninja Exam 1 and was frustrated and deceived by Green Kwai. Advertisement. In the end, he also became a rebel. But because of Mori Milkabizi, the latter was not wanted, and then went to this tea country and became a member of Wasabi family. And Mori Nai Taten, after seeing Toki use Trio 3, he also gritted his teeth. Because he himself was deceived by Green Aoi, he hated Konoha Ninja in his heart. The most frightening thing is that he doesn't even know how Shiyu did it. Moreover, he is completely unable to move now. At this time, he has only one thought in his heart. As the current Konoha Shinobu, so strong. When you move your impure mind, this result is already doomed. What did you say? Hearing Shiyu's words, Yi Tuoshin's heart suddenly shocked, because he felt that his inner thoughts were completely seen through by Shiyu. Thank you for reading this story at hotmtnovel.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Looking at Shiyu's Trio 3, Yi Tuoshin murmured. Immediately after, I didn't provoke you, why did you do it to me? He originally thought that he could play Shiyu in the Trio 3 and then slip away directly, but what he never expected was that Shiyu would actually make a direct shot. Boom. At this 05 o'clock, Yichuo was stepped on the ground with a big foot, and this person was Shiyu. It turned out to be Konoha's ninja. Yichuoshin, before the two cursing words were spit out, his body was hit on the ground heavily. Life is so comfortable, ninja is really an easy job. He left his seat and came to the seat of Shiyu's Trio 3, with a disdainful expression on his face. Naruto was the first to be upset. To read the novel without underline, please download Faye. I think Konoha village is really peaceful, it looks all the same. But this was only one of his shocks. Second, he himself was once a ninja, and the three of them were just like Shiyu. Chapter 129. Glancing at the open black lens bracket Yichuo Tien close black lens bracket on the ground, Naruto asked inexplicably. Shiyu, how did you know that he was moved with impure thoughts? Naruto, as a qualified ninja, you must know how to observe people and things around you at all times. Shiyu guided Naruto and said, when we stepped into this tea house, the kid looked at us with disgust. A person who hates ninjas will take the initiative to talk to us, knowing that his purpose is impure with his feet. To play a trick on us at the slightest time, but to cheat us at the worst. Tuoshin, who was still a little skeptical about this, suddenly realized when he heard Shiyu's words. He really couldn't understand that Sha Ren could have such insight, and he would not be more than his elder brother who was good at observing words and colors. Mori Ibiki, as Konoha's torture officer, if you don't have this ability, how can you eat it? So it is. Naruto nodded, and then coldly snorted, humph, it's damned. At this time, Idaten was extremely aggrieved, and he was very upset when he met Konoha's ninja, but he never thought that his motives would have been noticed. Moreover, he is still trampled under his feet at this moment. What's more annoying is that he was even called the 18th kid by Shiba who was younger than him. I tell you, you better let me go. Otherwise, Nagajiro-sama will not let you go. Jiro-chan, why do you feel so familiar? Naruto murmured. You fool. Sasuke gave a light break, and then said, Jiro-chan is the one who entrusted us with this task. No wonder I think I've heard it there. On the ground, Idaten was dumbfounded after hearing the dialogue between Naruto and Sasuke, because he was the contestant this time. In other words, the three guys in front of him were here to protect him. This result was completely beyond his expectation. He didn't expect things to be so coincidental, and it was Konoha's ninja who would protect himself. While Yi Tuoshin was still there, when he was shocked, Shiyu's voice also slowly sounded. Such a coincidence. Then dare to love it, so you can take us to Jiro-chan. Why should I take you there? Yi Tuoshin angrily said. You will bring it. When Shiyu's voice fell, the old lady in the tea house also brought out the thing Naruto had just ordered. Seeing the scene in front of me, I was slightly taken aback. When Shiyu saw the old woman stunned in place, she also said, Mother-in-law, this person wants to eat the overlord meal, and we just happened to be caught by us. When Shiyu said this, Yi Tuoshin was stunned again. Because he just wanted to eat free food, and then let the three of Shiyu pay the bill for him, the purpose is to play with them. But what he didn't expect was that his purpose was not only seen through, but now even the real intention was exposed. Is this a coincidence? Although he didn't want to believe it, the facts were before him. Hearing Shiyu's words, but not seeing Yi Tuoshin's retort, the old woman also believed Shiyu's words and quickly thanked him. Thank you so much. You're welcome, hee. Naruto chuckled. Little devil, quickly account for yourself. When the words fell, Shiyu's feet also moved away from Yi Tuoshin, but he left something on his body. After seeing that his conspiracy was exposed, Yi Tuoshin paid the bill. Because he knew that he couldn't beat Shiyu's Trio 3. And if it weren't for Shiyu's Trio 3, he wouldn't have the idea of eating for nothing. Hey, what's your name? Shiyu asked. Sen milk Yi Tuoshin. Yi Tuoshan, right, you just wait here, and wait until we finish eating before hitting the road. At this moment, Yi Tuoshan is very angry. But he didn't dare to get angry. Because of Shi Yu's greatness, he had already learned, and he must have been unable to fight. Since he couldn't beat him, he had to run. After he left Konoha, he didn't practice any ninjutsu anymore, but specialized in running races. Because the Jiro Long family who took him in takes part in a worship ceremony called Hang Taisha every year. And this ritual is simply a race. In order to be able to help Jiro Chong, he has been practicing desperately these years, and this time he finally has the opportunity to repay the latter. As predicted, when he took advantage of Shi Yu and the others to eat, they ran away without a trace. Upon seeing this, Naruto was the first to shout, "Shiyu, that guy ran away. Don't worry about him, we eat ours." When they heard Shiyu's words, Sasuke and Naruto were also taken aback, although they didn't know what medicine Shiyu sold in this gourd. Advertisement. But as long as Shiyu said it, they chose to obey. 5 minutes later. Sasuke, who came back after paying the bill, said, "Shiyu, I just asked the old woman. She said that there is still a way to go from here to the village where Wasabi's family is located. Should we hurry up?" "Don't worry, we are taking a break. Someone will give a position." Position. Naruto and Sasuke chanted at the same time, obviously not knowing the meaning of Shiyu's words. At the same time, Yi Tuo-tien, who was some distance away from the tea house, looked back and said disdainfully, "What about the ninja, can you catch up with me?" When the voice fell, Iduo-tien did not hesitate, and rushed directly towards the home of Jiro Chief. After a while, Ataden finally arrived at Jiro Chong's home, and went directly to meet Jiro Chong. Reception room. When Ituoshan saw open black lens bracket Jiro Chong close black lens bracket, he immediately knelt down. "Boss, you're back," Jiro Long responded, and then said, "Iduoshan, this game is all up to you." "Boss, don't worry, I will definitely go all out to win this victory." Jiro nodded in satisfaction and murmured, "I don't know when Konoha's ninja will arrive." Just as Jiro-chan's voice just fell, before Idaten had time to explain the 200 incidents that had happened when he met Toki and the trio, three more figures suddenly appeared in their eyes. These 3 figures are not others, they are the 3 of Shiyu 3. This scene undoubtedly stunned the 2 of Jiro Chief, especially Yi Tuo-tien. He just rushed back all the way back, using the strength of the milk, the speed is fast to the extreme. It is reasonable to say that if Shiba and the others catch up, it is impossible to appear here so fast. Even if they are as fast as their own, they still have to spend time to find the home of Jiro Long. But the problem is that Shiba is out of thin air. Appeared. Undoubtedly, it was the reason that Shiyu used the Flying Thunder God art. Previously, when Shiyu released Yichuoshan, he left the Flying Thunder God mark on him. "Why are you here?" Hearing what Iduoshan said, Jiro Chief also recovered, his eyes fell on Tokyo and Naruto, and he asked, "Did I meet you there?" "Jiro Chief uncle, we met. Yunomura, when I was with Grandma Tsunade." Shiyu said. The last time they returned to Konoha from Dance Street in Wuyuan Town, Shiyu and his group had a relationship with the latter when they passed through Yunokan. That's because Tsunade gambled around and made friends, or gambling friends were more accurate. "So it's you." The Jiro-chan in the words was also a little surprised, he did not expect that the Konoha ninja who came here would be Toki and Naruto. As for Sasuke, he doesn't know him yet. Philo reminds you 3 things about reading. The 135th chapter shocked everyone with a punch. After Takiwa and Naruto exchanged greetings, Wasabi Jiro Long immediately looked at Morinoi Taten. "Yichuoshan, listening to your tone just now, you seem to know them." The voice of Jiro Kairo fell, and before Iduoden could speak, Shiyu was the first to say, "Uncle Jiro Kairo, we had a relationship in a tea house on the road before. If he hadn't led the way, we wouldn't have arrived here so quickly." "So it is." Jiro nodded, and then said, "Yichuoden, you didn't tell me in advance just now." Yi Tuoshan wanted to say something, but Shiyu interrupted him. "It's not a problem, Uncle Jiro. It is estimated that Yi Tuoshan was happy to forget it for a while. You should tell us about the specific requirements of this mission." Also, seeing Shiba and Jiro talking and laughing, Idaten was also embarrassed to mention the embarrassment just now. Immediately after, Jiro Chief also explained the main content of their mission this time for the 3 of Toki. He first told a legend. A long time ago, in order to calm the storm, people enshrined Dragon Tiger Baoyu in Hang Taisha. Soon the storm subsided, so this incident became a legend and passed down, and it has now evolved into a routine activity every 4 years. In the beginning, it was only to worship Baoyu. Since decades ago, he has become the most powerful person to be the chief priest and perform sacrifices. Now, Yuyan has become another role. In this port town called Jigang, since ancient times, there have been 2 knight groups, the Wasabi family and He Wasabi family. The dispute between our 2 families has never been interrupted. The town's dominance is in conflict. When the confrontation is fierce, even the residents will be affected, even injured, and even sacrificed. In order to put an end to this intensified confrontation, under the mediation of T-Country Daimyo, a solution was proposed to determine who can have the dominance of this town. Hearing this, Shiyu said, "Uncle Jiro, this solution should be the Hang Taisha worship ceremony once every 4 years, right?" Advertisement. Festival interaction at Kodasha Shrine, ritual even if it refers to sacrifice at Motoro Lugi Shrine. Well, you are right. Jiro nodded and continued. Because the previous opponent hired a ninja and won an overwhelming victory, this time, they will probably repeat the same tricks they did 4 years ago. So we decided to entrust Konoha village to take countermeasures. Please, please help us. When the voice fell, Jiro Chief also bowed down to the three of Shiyu. Uncle Jiro, don't worry, this matter is covered by us. For this Wasabi Jiro Long, Shiyu had a good impression of him. In the last encounter in Unikira, the latter invited them to go to the hot spring. Moreover, there is no difficulty in this task at all, just as if he gave the latter a soaking feeling. So, the voice of Sasuke who we are going to protect in the end is not waiting for Jiro to answer, and Toki said, if I guess it is correct, it should be the Ataden who brought us here. How did you know? Shen Yi Tuoshan finally spoke again. I think your speed is much higher than that of ordinary people, plus you are a person of and this ritual is a race where speed will determine the winner. If nothing happens, Uncle Jiro will definitely send you to fight. Quote. Hearing what Shiba said, both Jiro and Idaten were taken aback. They didn't expect Shiyu to determine the answer based on this information alone, and they had to admit Shiyu's cleverness. Since you have guessed it, then so. Yichuoshin, I will trouble you to take them to visit the town in these 2 days. Jiro Long smiled. His meaning is very simple. Since Shiyu and the others are here to protect Yichuoshin, let them be more familiar and familiar. Idaten said with a reluctant expression, but he couldn't find any reason, so he could only follow Jiro's intention. The next day, Idaten followed Jiro's instructions and went out with the three of Toki. Although Shiyu's cleverness made him look different yesterday, he still cherished the incident before. Because of this, he basically didn't speak much along the way. And when they came to a noodle restaurant, Naruto couldn't help but want to taste the ramen here. Shiba did not refuse this too. Since leaving Konoha, they have not eaten ramen for a long time. However, just after they dared to order the noodles, the boss was thrown out by the three big guys in the shop. Please forgive me. Regarding the boss's begging, the three big guys didn't care at all. I'll go, thinking that you can do business here because of someone else's blessing. Yes, I just rebelled against us and the Mustard family. How dare I do this? The boss in the conversation looked terrified, but he still mustered the courage and said, it's just that you can't help but give money. No way, the livelihood of his whole family depends on this small noodle restaurant. If the Mustard family come to eat free food every day, then his noodle restaurant will be closed for being late. Hee, I think you still don't know the situation now. The headed man in gray sneered. Immediately after. He was gearing up again, obviously he was about to do it again. The noodle shop owner hurried to kneel and begged for mercy, please raise your hand and let me go. Now beg for mercy, it's too late. The gray clothes that fell from the voice were preparing to do it, and at this moment, he felt that his body was hit by some kind of heavy blow. Touch. With a muffled noise, the gray-clothed man who was still arrogantly smashed directly on the wall of the street. Boom. At this moment, his whole body was directly embedded in the wall, foaming at his mouth, looking like a dizzy bee ************. This sudden scene was undoubtedly shocking everyone. Especially the little brother of the big gray man. At this time their eyes fell on a figure from the wall. This figure is not someone else, is it good that Zhao is Shiyu? At this moment, Shiyu glanced at the gray-clothed man embedded on the wall, and spit out a faint word. Even if I bother Xiaoyi eating noodles. When the voice fell, Shiyu said to the owner of the ground floor shop, boss, hurry up and cook the noodles, I'm all hungry. The people who heard this were completely stunned. They didn't expect Shiyu to punish the people of the Mustard family only to eat a bowl of noodles. And when Yi Tuoshan saw this, he couldn't help but shudder in his heart. At this moment, he finally knew that Shiyu must have been merciful to his subordinates in the old woman's tea house. Otherwise, there is no chance that he will be standing here now. His gaze when looking at Shiyu changed again. At this time, his eyes were both fortunate and jealous. His performance was undoubtedly a recognition of Shiyu's strength. To be precise, it is envious. Because he also wanted to be a powerful ninja, but unfortunately his dream was shattered. Chapter 130. After everyone was shocked, the villagers and shopkeepers nearby all applauded. Obviously, they are often bullied on weekdays. Shiyu asked them to pay off the debt they had previously owed before letting them go out with the fainted gray-clothed man on his back. Seeing the three people of open black lens bracket Mustako family close black lens bracket who quickly disappeared from the field of vision, the noodle shop owner thanked Shiyu. Little brother, thank you so much. Boss, can you cook noodles now? Okay. The noodle shop owner hurriedly responded, and then said, you can eat as much as you want, the free one. Really? Naruto said in surprise. Seeing the noodle shop owner nodded, Naruto also said unceremoniously, I want this and that. Because of this, Shiyu had a free meal in front of a few people. But the boss was a little frightened, because Naruto, the big stomach king, didn't eat, just a few people. It's for more than a dozen people. However, compared to Shiyu who helped him vent his anger just now, and had to get back the old face money, it was a drop in the bucket. After this episode, under the leadership of Yi Tuoshan, the three people of Shiyu, who had eaten and drink, continued to visit the town. Although Shi Yu taught the people of He Mustard family, because of the relationship between Wasabi family 437, the former did not seem to immediately ask for trouble. Unsurprisingly, during the game, He Mustako family should let the ninja they hired. It can not only win the game, but also eliminate the hatred in the heart. This can be said to kill two birds with one stone. Time flies, 2 days' time is fleeting. The third day, finally ushered in the so-called Hang Tai Shi's worship event, which is a very representative competition. Because he decided the dominance of the Jigang town. At this time, the square at starting point is already crowded with people, almost all the residents of the town. Obviously, they are very concerned about this. The general process of this game is to depart from the port of the small town of Akuta Port, take a boat to the middle stronghold Motoro Lumu Shrine, and get one of the ones placed there. Pieces Dragon Tiger Treasure. Dragon and Tiger Treasure, divided into two, Dragon Treasure Jade, and Tiger Treasure Jade 2. Then go to the Hung Tai Shrine in Owushi Island, and the dragon will be taken from Motolu Lumu Shrine, Tiger Baoyu, just enshrine it. The first to arrive is the ultimate winner. Of course, these are just rules. Players can take shortcuts, hire people to stop their opponents, and even set traps, etc., to make their own victory. Shiba, I don't know what kind of ninja the other party hired. Naruto's voice fell, but Sasuke spoke first. Now you are sure to not see it, because they must hide in the corner to observe the situation. Advertisement. Sasuke is right, Shiyu responded, and then said, the ninja dispatched by the other party is not too strong for a mission like this, so this time, it can just test the results of your cultivation. After hearing this, Naruto and Sasuke nodded involuntarily, and their hearts were already eager to try. Soon after Shiyu's voice fell, the host's voice rose. Everyone, the Hang Tai-shi ratio is about to begin. Now I announce the two runners on both sides of the competition, first the runner from the Wasabi family Morinai Taten, and then the runner Hikyakuya Fukusuke from the Mustard family. Now, each is in place. After hearing the host's words, Yi Tuo Tien and Wu Fukusuke also put on a starting position. Start. As these two words were spit out from the host's mouth, the two rushed out in unison. The speed is fast, beyond imagination. This speed is much faster than the average shonen, and it can be seen that there is no reason why the two of them can be selected. However, to everyone's surprise, Yi Tuoshin did not follow the prescribed route, and he directly abandoned the boat prepared by the organizer. Seeing this, the housefu of his opponent also murmured. What does that guy want to do? Immediately afterwards, he stopped talking nonsense and left directly by boat. At the same time, Yi Tuoshin was heading towards the downstream fishing village along the port, and he seemed to have already made some decision in his mind. If nothing else, he thought of a shortcut or a faster way. Shiyu, what is that guy Yichuadianje doing? You will know this later. Hearing Shiyu's words, Naruto stopped questioning, and then followed Yi Tuoshin. After a while, when Yu and Yi Tuoshin arrived in a forest, Shiyu stopped. Seeing Shiyu parked on a big tree and glanced at Yi Tuo Tien, who was about to disappear from the field of vision, Naruto couldn't help but ask. Shiyu, why stop? Don't worry, he will be back later. Hearing Shiyu's words, Naruto looked puzzled, and Sasuke seemed to know it intentionally, and directly opened the Shulinyan. As expected, everything was exactly the same as he thought. There is an illusion barrier ahead. Hearing Sasuke's words, Naruto also murmured, why don't I know the magic enchantment? You stupid, the illusion that people deliberately set up is not so easy to be discovered, you yourself feel whether there is a faint chakra flow around you. Advertisement. Naruto was stunned for a moment, and then he did so. However, after some perception, he couldn't see anything abnormal, which shows that Naruto has no talent for illusion skills. Why can't I feel it? Just when Naruto was depressed, Yi Tuo Tien, who had ran into the forest and disappeared into Toki's Trio 3's field of vision, reappeared. Seeing this scene, it is undoubtedly proved to be Shiyu's statement. There is really an illusion enchantment. Naruto also exclaimed, and then said, Shiyu, let's go and help him quickly. Don't use it yet. Why? Because he has noticed it. Shiyu's words made Sasuke and Naruto puzzled again. Seeing the doubts on their faces, Shiyu also said. Because he is also a ninja. When Shiyu's voice fell, Naruto couldn't continue to ask. Shiyu said, hurry up, there is a change in illusion. Yi Tuoshin's gaze was locked in one direction, with a triumphant smile on his face, and then suddenly rushed out under the gazes of the three of Shiyu. Untie. After the voice fell, Yi Tuoshin directly posed a seal, and after chakra flowed, there was also a low drink from his mouth. Because, there is no failure in his dictionary. Phailu reminds you, 3 things to read to receive. In a word, either I let go or listen to my command. When the Trio 3 also came behind Yi Tuoshin, Naruto also hurriedly said. However, just when he thought he had found a way out of illusion, he didn't realize that his way out was a cliff. Immediately after. For Yi Tuoshin, this is undoubtedly a choice between life and death. Shiyu's idea is very simple, he will fend for himself if he doesn't obey. And just when he was about to fall down, he was firmly held by a big hand. You choose yourself. Soon after Yi Tuoshin rushed out, he found that there was no more effort under his feet. I know. Because of giving Yi Tuoshin this opportunity, Shiyu didn't want any failure in his mission. As for helping Wasabi Jiro-chan win the game, he can solve it with a transformation technique. Yichuoshin, Here is the illusion enchantment, you follow us. The owner of this big hand was not someone else, it was Shi Yu was able to save him in time, obviously because the latter had his mark of Flying Thunder God. Chapter 131. In a word, either I let go, or I follow my command. You choose yourself. Hearing this, Yi Tuoshan looked at Shi Yu, and he couldn't help but squat in his heart. Because he knew that if it hadn't been for Shi Yu's action just now, he would have fallen into the abyss now, and he would have fallen to pieces. It was because he was afraid of being punished by Konoha that he didn't dare to return to Konoha. A person who was afraid of being punished, let alone death. Under Shi Yu's strong aura, he chose to be obedient. At that time, after Yu put down Yi Tuo Tien, Naruto and others also rushed there. Yi Tuoshan glanced at the trio 3, and asked with some fear, I was able to break through the illusion barrier just now, why did I get hit? It's very simple, because the other party has set up a double illusion. So it is. After hearing Shi Yu's words, Yi Tuoshan finally realized it. After some surprises, Naruto also brought up a puzzle that was perplexed in his heart. Shiyu, how did you know Yi Tuoshan was once a ninja? Hearing Naruto's words, Yi Tuoshan was also stunned. Because he never mentioned his past at all, even that Wasabi Jiro Kairo, who took him in, didn't know about it. Hearing this, Shi Yu glanced at Yi Tuoshan, and then said. His name is Morinai Taten, don't you think his name is similar to Konoha, special shinobu? Especially Shinobu Morino. Sasuke uttered a word and thought of a person first. Shiyu, what you are talking about is Mori Ibixi, the supervisor of the first Central Ninja exam. Yi Tuoshan, Ibis, what is their relationship? Naruto. If there is no accident, it should be a brotherhood. Shiyu replied, and then said, because according to my information, Ibis teacher has a younger brother, but he disappeared 3 years ago. After hearing this, Yi Tuoshan finally couldn't help it. Because he got an amazing news from the dialogue between Tokiba and others, that is Mori Milk Ibis, what do you say, living in the world. Big brother Abizi is still alive. The expression of Yi Tuoshan's face was full of astonishment. Because in his memory, he thinks his brother Ibis should have died when he rescued him 3 years ago. Advertisement. Why, you don't know. Naruto replied. Great. Yi Tuoshan spit out 3 words, and his heart also filled with infinite joy. Yi Tuoshan, since you are the younger brother of Ibis teacher, why not appear in Konoha, but in the remote town of Tea Country? Naruto asked curiously. This is my own business. Yi Tuoshan responded, but there was no answer. He obviously didn't want to confide in the matter. Because for him, it was an unbearable past event. Yi Tuoshan, since you agreed to follow my command, then don't have the idea of acting without authorization. Otherwise, I won't be so lucky next time. I see. Yi Tuoshan can only. Okay, come with me. When the voice fell, Shiyu went directly to the north. Upon seeing this, Yi Tuoshan couldn't help asking, how do you know that I want to go to the north? Just think carefully about you, and want to hide it from me. Shiyu responded with a reply, and then explained, after 2 days of investigation, I found that at this time, the seas near here will be blowing a strong monsoon. When the game started just now, the clouds in the sky have already begun to drift towards the starting point. If you follow the original route, it will be extremely difficult. But after the monsoon is blocked by the mountains, a backflow will inevitably form, and this backflow is Fishing Village in the north direction. As long as we arrive at Fishing Village and follow the wind, we can reach Kojima on the opposite side faster, so that we can reach Motoro Lumu Shrine 1 step ahead of our opponents. Hearing Shiyu's words, all 3 of them were amazed. Especially Yi Tuoshan, he didn't expect Shiyu would actually investigate these things. And the analysis is not bad at all, which coincides with his idea. Shiyu, you are really too smart. The Naruto in the words looked at Shiyu with a look of admiration. In his opinion, no one in the world could compare with the latter. Not only him, but even Sasuke is no exception. He has been with Toki for a long time, and he feels that he is not that genius anymore. Yi Tuoshan, you should have done 2-handed preparations. If the monsoon hadn't blown when you just set off, you would follow the original route. But unfortunately it blew up, so you chose the second option. If I didn't guess wrong, you should have prepared a boat in Fishing Village in advance. After hearing Shiyu's response, Yi Tuoshan was completely stunned, because his thoughts were completely seen through by Shiyu. Advertisement. In front of the former, he seemed to have no secrets at all. At this moment, Yi Tuoshan admired Shiyu from the bottom of his heart. He has seen smart people, but he has never seen someone as smart as Shiyu. This can be said to be extremely smart. In his opinion, even his brother is not in time Yu. Shiyu, just now illusion should be the ninja invited by He Mustako family. Sasuke asked. Shiyu nodded, and then said, it's just a few guys who hide their heads and show their tails, don't care. Shiyu didn't have the time to play with them, and didn't want to play with them. If they are acquainted, then just give up. If they are not acquainted, then waiting for them is death. Immediately after, Itaiden was also like Naruto, and Sasuke, the 2 younger brothers, obediently followed behind Toki. At the same time, the boat of the runner, House Fukusuke, of He Mustard family, encountered a strong monsoon on the original route, and it has been unable to move forward normally. After a while, hearing this, the grandfather nodded, and then took Yi Tuoshan and others to the beach, and pointed to the best ship. The latter also smiled slightly the moment he saw Yi Tuotian, and said immediately. There were 3 people on the boat 3 urine. It's just that Xiu was a little surprised that they had actually seen these 3 people. Especially for one of them, their impression is quite deep. This name, Rainbow, is the first person they met in Death Forest, in Central Ninja Test 2, that was tied up and fished by them. The one, Force. After Shi Yu's 4-4 arrived at Fishing Village, Shi Yu also said, go and show your prepared boat. Boom, boom. Then, an old grandfather walked out of the wooden house. After hearing the words, Yi Tuotian thanked the grandfather in a polite manner. Shi Yu Siren 4 also set foot on the boat and sailed towards Jidao. This may be due to the narrow road of the enemy. Our fate. But what made Xiu Weiwei a little puzzled was that the 6 of them were all about to die in the Death Forest. Thank you for reading this story at hotmtnovel.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. This is our fastest boat here. Here, that's it. Yichuocean, you are here. But now there are only 3 of them 3, why dare you still shoot Ding to read the ununderlined version of the novel, please download Fei. Old man, where is the boat I asked you to prepare? However, shortly after Xiu and the others set off, a ship appeared behind them. Yi Tuotian nodded, then knocked open a wooden house. Chapter 132. Sasuke also reminded him when he saw a ship following him. No, there is an ambush. Hey, I just found out now, it's too late. The Yunin black named Shiba Rain laughed. It's you. Naruto exclaimed. Unexpectedly, the ninja sent by Konoha turned out to be the 3 of you. It's really a narrow road. Zibayu replied, and then said, it just happens to be revenge for the last time. Death Forest, what happened to him is undoubtedly a humiliation to him. You defeated General, haven't you enough of the last time you suffered? Hearing Naruto's words, Shiba Yu didn't take it seriously, and said slowly. If it's on the shore, we really can't beat you. But in the water, that's another matter. Indeed, Yurin's combat effectiveness in the water will be significantly improved, because the ninjutsu they use is basically water escape. This is why they didn't show up in the forest just now, 437. The reason, however, Shiyu didn't care about Shiba Yu's confidence. Because the 3 of them were nothing in Shiyu's eyes, so he couldn't be interested. Naruto, Sasuke, these 3 garbage will be handed over to you. It is good, the 2 said in unison. The current battle is undoubtedly an opportunity to test the results of their practice. Shiba's lungs were about to explode when Shiba ignored him and others. At any rate, he is also the first person in Yuyin Village's new life. He is an outstanding existence in Yuyin Village's Shaoren, but Shiyu is so despised. Lin, Bitter Lotus, the battle begins. Hearing Shiba Yu's words, the other 2 Yushinobu nodded. I saw that Yurin named Kuhei directly took out the bow and crossbow behind him, and wanted to use the long-distance hidden weapon to consume the 3 people of Shiyu first. 3. Shoo, shoo, shoo. 3 arrows were fired at Shiyu and the others. Upon seeing this, Idaten, Sasuke and Naruto 3 were about to avoid, and at this moment, an ice shield suddenly appeared in front of them. Clang, 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 blocked 3 arrows without any suspense. This move was obviously from Shiyu's hand, Ice Shield Secret Art Bingyantang Nun. Seeing this scene, Shiba Yu's Trio 3 was also extremely shocked. Especially the guy named Lin, he seemed to see something and said with a look of astonishment. Rain, Bitter Lotus, that ninjutsu seems to be the long-lost Ice Shield of Wuyin Village. Ice Shield, Shibayu and Kuhei chanted at the same time, but they still didn't know why. As Shaoren, they still don't know much about the so-called bloodstain limitation, and other things. There is also that, Lin seems to have heard of it there, otherwise, he would not be able to catch the clue at a glance. Say Ice Shield, you may be relatively unfamiliar, but Bloodstain Limit, you should always know. Scales. Bloodstain Limit, Shiba Yu murmured, and then said, just now, Ms. Lu Chinkui, tell us about that. Bloodstain Limit. Seeing Lin nodded, Shiba Yu and Kuhei were completely stunned. Bloodstain Limit, in addition to the innate inheritance, the heavenly comprehension, and the former has the greatest probability. Or we should withdraw, Lin suggested. However, his voice fell, and Shiyu's voice slowly sounded. I want to go now, it's too late. Sasuke, Naruto, I don't need to worry about the safety of Itaten. Go and solve the 3 of them for me. Hearing what Shiba said, Naruto and Sasuke also stopped talking nonsense, and rushed directly to each other's ship. Looking at Naruto and Sasuke falling in front of her, Shiba Yu also said, Kuhei, burn their ship. I get it. In response, Kuhei also showed a touch of joy on his face, he obviously understood Shibayu's intentions. They Yurin can stay in the water for a long time, but Shiyu and others can't necessarily. As long as the ship is burned and there is no place to stay, no matter how strong the opponent is, they can slowly wear it to death. They might be able to deal with other people with this idea, but here Shiyu is undoubtedly too naive. Immediately after, Kuhei didn't talk nonsense, and used his own ninjutsu. The technique of water escape in Black Rain. In the next second, Black Rain suddenly began to fall in the small world where Shiyu and the others were. Others don't know what this Black Rain is, but Shiyu knows it all. Advertisement. These Black Rain are oil, and it burns when you touch it. It is also because of the fact that the opponent has such a hand. Shiyu had previously chosen to use Bingyantang no instead of Magnetic Escape Latte. Latte art, you can control bows and arrows with iron, but it can't stop the black rain. When the black rain poured down on the sky, Shiyu created a huge ice wall to block the sky, so that even a drop of black rain could not fall on the ship. Seeing this scene, Kuhei was also shocked. What is blocked? Black rain, if blocked, their battle plan will be invisible. Looking at the huge ice wall, Shiba Yu who was fighting with Sasuke also gritted his teeth and said, that guy is too strong. But Shiyu didn't worry about their battle, and said slowly, Naruto, Sasuke. Come on, see you at the end. Boom, boom. Naruto and Sasuke knocked away their opponents at the same time, and each answered. No problem. It is good. Hearing the answers from the two, Shiyu said to Yi Tuoshin, why are you still stunned? Take the helm. Good. After controlling the ship for a certain distance, Yi Tuoshin also asked, is it okay for the two of them? Don't worry, they are very strong. Shiyu's words are not bragging. In addition to Spiral Pill and Chidori, the two of today also each have a powerful whole card. Naruto's power of 9 tails. Sasuke's power of Curse Seal. As long as they use this power, either of them can single out the other 3. Shiyu and their ship sailed farther and farther, and Naruto and the others were no longer visible. After half an hour, Shiyu and Yi Tuoshin finally arrived at Kishima. However, they ran into someone as soon as they landed. To be precise, he is a ninja. When Yi Tuoshin saw this person, a strong anger appeared on his face, and he wished to smash the person in front of him. This ninja is the Konoha Nakanin who deceived him back then, Green Aoi. This guy used Idaten to steal the weapon Thunder God Sword of 2nd generation Naruto and a volume of Forbidden Scroll. Forbidden Scroll was later taken back by a busy one. But the Thunder God Sword is still in his hands. It is also because of this that after he had only the strength of Zhang Ren, he was promoted to Shang Ren by virtue of the power of Thunder God Sword after he took refuge in Yuyan village. Yi Tuoshin, we meet again. Green Kui. Green Chinkui looked at Yi Tuoshin, gritted his teeth and sneered. Hey, are you still the same? If it weren't for Ibis, you would not have survived until now. Never mind, I will see you off today. The green sunflower in the words seemed to be swearing, as if Yi Tuoshin was already a dead person. As for Shiyu, he was completely treated as air. In his opinion, Shiyu was just a humble endurance, and it would be solved later. However, he is destined to pay a heavy price for his idea. Philo reminds you, 3 things to read. The 139th chapter Forbearance, such as rain and dew thousands of books. Lu Chinkui was too capable of pretending to be forceful, and caught Yi Tuoshin's preaching. If you want to say a few words, Shiyu can bear it. After all, watching the scene is good, but he can't bear it if he talks endlessly. I said that green hat. Are you done forcing you? When Shiyu said this, both Yi Tuoshin and Lu Chinkui were taken aback. Neither of them thought that Shiyu would dare to talk like this in front of a Shangren. This is ignorance, or really has an extraordinary ability. But in the two people's eyes, they are more inclined to the former. Yi Tuoshin knows that Shiyu is better than ordinary people's ninja, but it is just a ninja. What's more, what he is facing now is the Shinobu green sunflower holding the Thunder God Sword. With such a huge gap, the latter must have no chance of winning. Green Chinkui glanced at Shiyu, and then said with disdain. Oh, the current Konoha Shinobu is really arrogant. Since you want to die so, then I will fulfill you. The green sunflower in the words was obviously angry, although he has green hair and a green in his name. But what he couldn't bear was that others called him Green Hat. Because 3 years ago, he was greened by his girlfriend and killed a couple of dogs and men in a rage. In order to escape the pursuit of Konoha, that's why he chose to betray Konoha. The green sunflower that fell in the voice was no longer nonsense, and threw the 6 ninja umbrella in his hand into the sky. Just use this trick to get you on the road. Forbearance is like rain and dew thousands of books. 1,000 bends in the rain after letting the oil umbrella in your hand fly above the enemy, countless thousands of books are dropped from the umbrella to attack the enemy. This technique is one of the representative hidden weapon ninjutsu in Yu Ninja Village. Green Chinkui can use this technique to see the anger in his heart. Shoo. The iron Senbon poison needle constantly shoots from ninja umbrella to Tokiha and Idaten on the ground. In Lu Chinkui's view, Shiyu's strength is absolutely impossible to escape. As long as he hits 1,000 poison needle, even if he doesn't do it, he will be poisoned and die soon. Seeing this inevitable 1,000 poison needle, Yi Tuoshin was completely desperate. This time without Ibis protecting him, he felt that he was bound to die, and weak, he completely gave up resistance. He closed his eyes and prepared to face death. Just as Yi Tuoshin raised this thought, Green Kwai was ready to meet the victory. In the next second, a strange scene happened. I saw that it should have fallen on Shiyu and Yi Tuoshin, 1,000 Ben poison needle, but at this moment, it was strangely suspended in the air. Although the distance between the two of them was only 10 centimeters, they couldn't advance the slightest. After a long pause, Green Chinkui also exclaimed. What is going on here? Advertisement. And Yi Tuoshin opened his eyes because of this exclamation, but he was also dumbfounded when he saw this strange scene. Green Chinkui may not know who did it, but Yi Tuoshin had a vague guess, and his eyes fell directly on Shiyu who was aside. Seeing the latter's calm face at this time made him more affirmed of his thoughts. Is this really what he did? Just as this thought came up in his heart, he saw Shiyu manually, and all the 1,000 poison needles floating in the air gathered on Shiyu's palm. The occurrence of this scene undoubtedly confirmed Yi Tuoshan's thoughts. Green hat. What else do you have to do? I have no time to play with you, master. You. Green Chinkui stopped talking, and then said, Little devil, I admit that I underestimated you just now. Although I don't know what method you used to control my hidden weapon, these little tricks can't change the result. Really? Shiyu responded softly, and then said, I think you still think about how to take these 1,000 poison needles. Magnetic escape latte. With a low drink in my heart, Shiyu controlled dozens of 1,000 poison needles in his hand and shot it towards the green sunflower from all directions. This trick is even more clever than Ninfa Ryu Do Chinban because he doesn't have any dead ends. Damn it. Seeing this, the green sunflower uttered a low drink from his throat, and then directly took out his most proud weapon Thunder God Sword. With a wave of the Thunder God Sword around the body, the bright golden thunder and lightning directly resisted all the 1,000 poison needles. This second-generation Naruto ninja is really well known, and it can emit thunder and lightning while waving. Thunder Sword. There is a special rune ninjutsu hidden in the hilt of the sword. As long as the thunder attribute chakra is injected, it can condense the body of the sword with a solid body, and the sword body can burst out bright thunder. Upon seeing this, Yi Tuoshan exclaimed, That is Thunder God Sword. Good. Green Chinkui responded softly, and then said, Presumably you know everyone, after all, you were the one who stole it in the first place. Hateful. Yi Tuoshan also gritted his teeth and shattered lightly, and slowly remorse appeared in his eyes. If it hadn't been for him to believe the former wrongly, he would not fall to this point, let alone the present scene. This is Thunder God Sword, it looks pretty good. Shiyu touched his chin and continued, I have decided to take it as one of his collections. When Shiyu said this, Lu Chinkui and Yi Tuoshan were both taken aback, and they both thought they had heard it wrong. Boy, is it because I got it wrong or is it really a silly lack? You will know this soon. Shiyu chuckled lightly, and then directly made a big hand. As his fingers exerted a slight force, the Thunder God Sword held in Green Chinkui's hand suddenly became uncontrollable and moved directly in the direction where Shiyu was. This is magnetism. When the voice fell, the green sunflower immediately attached chakra in his hand and wrapped the hilt of the Thunder God Sword. Thunder God Sword. The body of the sword is condensed by chakra, but the hilt is made of iron. It was also at this moment that Green Chinkui finally knew how Shiyu had controlled his Chinban poison needle before. But what makes him wonder is that if it is just a simple magnet, he will not be able to manipulate iron products as freely as him. After a short thought, his eyes lit up suddenly, and 2 words 37 that shocked him were spit out in succession. Magnetic escape. Thank you for reading this story at hotmtnovel.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. However, even without Shohei's bonus, with Shiyu's current talent, he can rely on his own comprehension. It seems you are not stupid yet. Why are you laughing? I laugh at you as a fool. It's magnetic escape. When Green Chinkui looked confident, Shiyu smiled slightly. Shiyu replied, and then said, Who told you that I can only be a kind of bloodstain limit? As long as I throw away the iron object, or directly attach the chakra to isolate the magnetic force, you will not be a threat to me. As soon as this remark came out, LV Chinkui was instantly dumbfounded. Please download Faye. He has been in Konoha for more than 20 years, and he has never heard of any family in Konoha that owns the bloodstain limit of magnetic escape. If the bloodstain boundary is so easy to understand, then there will not be so few bloodstain boundaries in the world. As Konoha's former ninja, now Yuyan Murakami ninja, naturally still has some insight. In his opinion, Shiyu should not be a native of Kimura. Because most of the bloodstain limit is passed down by blood. Seeing Shiyu, he didn't deny it, and a thick shock appeared on his face. And he obviously obliterated Shiyu's realization of this possibility, because this idea was too unrealistic. However, one thing is right. Magnetic escape is indeed not what Shiyu realized by himself, it was given by Shiyu when he obtained the power of Shuhei. Boy, I have seen through your bloodstain limit ability. Chapter 133. At this moment, Green Kwai is stunned. And Yi Tuoshan is completely confused, because he doesn't know what bloodstain limit is. However, Yi Tuoshan understood from the Green Chinkui's tone that this thing should be very powerful. Because the same was true for the Yunin trio before. The mention of bloodstain limitation was extremely shocking, and the idea of retreat was once germinated. And just as Green Chinkui was surprised, Shiyu had already taken action. At this moment, the 2 chakras of different attributes in Shiyu's body began to fuse under Shiyu's control. One is fire chakra. The other is wind chakra. With Shiyu's current talent, it is only a matter of thought to comprehend a brand new bloodstain limit. There is no unnecessary nonsense, some are just a low sip. Scouring escape over steaming. Scorching and steaming, the combination of fire done and wind done, ejects a red chakra fireball. Once it touches the opponent's body, it will evaporate the water in the opponent's body and turn it into a dry corpse. It is known that the ninja who owns the Shining Dun is the Yi Kang of the Wind Kingdom. Shiyu performed the Shining Dun art without the seal at all, and the speed was completely beyond the imagination of Green Kwai. But when he reacted, it was too late to evade. To this, he could only use the Thunder God Sword to resist. Although the Thunder God Sword is strong, but the strength of the green sunflower is too weak. He condensed the thunder god, the strength of the sword is too general, and it can't resist the fireball. The body of the thunder god sword instantly evaporated the moment it touched the fireball, it was simply vulnerable. Although this fireball was blocked by thunder god sword, Shiyu sent out more than one fireball. If Chakra's condensed thunder god sword is not evaporated, then he still has a glimmer of hope. But now, his ending is doomed. In the horrified eyes of green sunflower, two fireballs fell instantly on him. Hiss, hiss. As two faint voices came out, green Kuai's body was drying up at a speed visible to the naked eye. Because it is still attached to the burning effect, there will be gas during the period. Under the horrified scream of green Chinkui, he turned into a mummy in just a few breaths. I'm afraid that green Kuai never thought that besides magnetic escape, Shiyu actually mastered other bloodstain limits. If he has enough strength, Shiyu doesn't mind letting him watch a few more. But unfortunately, he is too weak. The strength of the green sunflower is only at the level of Zhang Ren. If it is not holding the thunder god sword, it would be impossible. Become a shinobu. This scene undoubtedly stunned Yi Tuoshan. Boom. When the corpse of the green sunflower fell on the ground, Yi Tuoshan came back to his senses in horror. Although Lu Chinkui's death made him very serious, he never thought that the latter would die by Shiyu's hand. Moreover, he was killed in a second. Because of this, he looked at Shiyu with awe and fear. One move directly killed the green sunflower who possessed the thunder god sword. You told me that this was a Sha Ren. He didn't believe it if he killed him. While Yi Tuoshan was still immersed in a bewildered state, Shiyu picked it up with thunder god sword. After observing it for a while, he murmured to himself. It's a good weapon. Unfortunately, I don't have thunder attribution chakra. For this, Shiyu was also very helpless. However, he is not in a hurry, as long as he has the system in his hand, having thunder attribute chakra is just a matter of time. When the voice fell, Shiyu directly put away the thunder god sword. After doing this, Shiyu's gaze fell on Yi Tuoshan's body and said lightly. Let's go, time waits for no one. Shiyu's tone was downplayed, as if nothing had happened just now. At this moment, Yi Tuoshan undoubtedly followed Shiyu's words. The latter not only helped him avenge his deception, but also let him understand the importance of companionship. Because if he hadn't had Shiyu, he would have died long ago. Looking at Shiyu in front of him, he suddenly understood why he had been eliminated in the Central Ninja Exam 1. Because he doesn't cherish his companions. Without the interference of the ninja, Shiyu and the others were unimpeded along the way. Soon the two came to the turning point in the middle Motoro Lugi Shrine, but the House Fukusuke of Wasabi family had already obtained Longbaoyu first. Therefore, Yi Tuoshan, who came a step late, could only take the remaining Tiger Baoyu. The next step was to compete for true strength. Yu Fukusuke, although known as Flying Legs, he can only be an ordinary person and doesn't know how to use chakra at all. Although Yi Tuoshan is a ninja, it is not difficult for him to travel through the jungle. Although he was a step late, he took a shortcut and reached the end first, Hang Taishe, and achieved the final victory. When Idaten won the victory, Naruto and Sasuke also rushed to the scene, and saw the victory. At this moment, everyone is cheering for it. Because this result is what they want to destroy, they have long been disgusted by the way of ruling the He Mustard family. And Yi Tuoshan's victory is undoubtedly announcing that the Wasabi family has obtained the dominance of Jigang Town, which is the result they most want to see. Because Wasabi Jiro Long is their favorite leader. Followed by the daimyo of Tea Country appeared on the stage and announced the result, and because of the 4 years of atrocities committed by the Mustard family, his group was completely disbanded and was not allowed to gather for life.
This result is undoubtedly happy for everyone. In this way, their Jigang Town will never be squeezed and threatened by He Mustard family from now on. Seeing this scene, Naruto also shouted excitedly. Shiyu, it seems that my mission was successfully completed, he. Advertisement. Shiyu nodded and then looked at Sasuke. He asked profoundly. Sasuke, after this battle on the water, you have found your own shortcomings. Well, I also managed to walk on the water. During the words, Sasuke looked at Naruto, because the latter could already run on the water.
In this regard, it is inevitable that he has a little jealousy in his heart. Uncle Jiro just told me that Konoha's boat will pass by here in a few days, and then we can take a downwind and go back. So, I will let you master this technique these days. Hearing what Shiba said, Sasuke was also extremely excited. As long as he masters this technique, his fighting power on the water can be greatly enhanced, and he will not be out of the limelight by Naruto before. The time of 2 days was fleeting. Sasuke's learning speed is very fast. Although he can't walk fast on the water in 2 days, walking is no longer a problem. The rest of the cultivation depends on him. In addition to his own talents, he can achieve such fast results, and he also has the foundation for practicing tree climbing the last time in the country of waves. At noon, Konoha's ship has already landed, and I do not know whether it is a coincidence or intentionally arranged, and they also know the leader of the ship. It is Yi Tuoshan's brother, Morino Ibi. Philo reminds you, 3 things to read when reading. The 141st chapter S level forbidden technique, reincarnation without a corpse. Boy, we meet again. This was the first sentence Ibis met Shiyu, and it was also the first sentence between them. Needless to say, this is their first official meeting.
The last time was Zongnan's first exam, they just took a photo, nothing more. If it weren't for Shiyu's hand in a blank paper, if it wasn't for Shiyu's words on the test paper, Ibis would not have been so impressed by the latter. And some time ago, Toba and Tsunade researched the use of the regenerative power of the primary cells, which made Konoha an unprecedented breakthrough in medical treatment. This research was basically the result of Toba's contribution, and Tsunade also helped out, but Toki asked Tsunade to declare that it was the result of the two of them. There are 3 reasons. To prevent Danzo from harassing himself. It is for Tsunade to sit firmly in the position of Naruto. It was to prevent those medical ninjas from coming to ask themselves if they were okay. Tsunade originally disagreed with this. But Shiyu said that if he didn't have the research experience you left behind, he wouldn't be able to succeed so quickly. Tsunade naturally knew that this had little effect, but after Shiyu gave the reason for the first point, she no longer refused. It was also because of this that made her feel good about Shiyu again. Seeing Abizi actively ask Shiyu, Idu Ocean who was standing at the dock was also stunned. 437 Because this is so rare. Ibis seldom greets people proactively, let alone the joy of being as happy as just now. It is also because of this that it made him feel that Shiyu was becoming more and more unpredictable. Teacher Ibis, I didn't expect it to be you. Hearing what Shiba said, Ibis also explained, I just came back from the mission to experience this place. Hearing Naruto Master said that Konoha has a ninja here to perform the mission, so I came to pick it up by the way. Oh, is it? Shiyu responded softly. Immediately he said, I think Mr. Abizi is very familiar with it. It's definitely not the first time I have come. Hearing this, Ibis was taken aback for a moment, but he didn't expect Shiyu to see a clue. However, what made him rejoice was that Shiyu had no more words here. Although Shiyu didn't say it, the smile on his face said it all. After a few simple greetings, Shiyu took Naruto and Sasuke on board. Looking at Shiyu's back, Yibixi also secretly said in her heart. What a terrible kid. With a murmur in her heart, Ibis' eyes finally fell on Yi Tuoshin. The two looked at each other in this way, without any verbal communication. A few seconds later, Abizi turned directly, with a pleased smile on his face. The look in your eyes has become firmer. He knew that all of this should have nothing to do with Shiyu and the others, and as Shiyu said, this was not the first time he had passed here. In the past 3 years, he has secretly observed Yi Tuoshin many times, but it is a pity that Yi Tuoshin has never changed. Until today, Yi Tuoshin's eyes made the big stone in his heart finally fall. Konoha's ship drifted away under the gazes of Idaten and Wasabi Jiro, until it disappeared. At the same time, Dashi Wan's body is no longer good, he must quickly find a new container. And his most satisfied container at the moment is undoubtedly Toba, Itachi and Sasuke, but the first 2 are too strong, and he can't get it now. Therefore, he can only choose Sasuke. So he sent out the 4 Odonin 4. At this time, the 4 people 4 are already on the way to Konoha. A few days later, Shiyu's Trio 3 also returned to Konoha smoothly. Advertisement. On the night when he returned to Konoha, Shiba called Sasuke and Naruto to eat a bowl of ramen. Then we discussed a major event with them. Sasuke, Naruto. Do you two want to become stronger? Hear Shiyu's words, the two of them. All nodded in unison. Naruto also yelled. Of course. In that case, then follow my plan. Shiyu said, and continued. Sasuke, after this piece of information, I have already fought against Oshimaru in Short Book Street. I already know why he planted the curse of heaven for you. What is the reason? Sasuke was very excited between the words, and this question puzzled him for a long time. It's very simple, he just wants to be his container. Open black lens bracket container close black lens bracket. Hearing Sasuke's doubts, Shiyu also probably explained Oshimaru's open black lens bracket Shenzhen reincarnation close black lens bracket to the two of them. Open black lens bracket reincarnation close black lens bracket. Transfer the spirit to someone else's body, thereby obtaining eternal life. That's how it is. Naruto murmured, and then said uncomfortably, that Oshimaru is too nasty, I should get rid of it last time. Naruto obviously hates Oshimaru. The latter not only killed 3 generations of Hokage, but now he even made up Sasuke's idea. As the saying goes, uncle, tolerable, aunt, it's unbearable. If nothing goes wrong, Oshimaru will send someone to invite you in the next few days. Please me. Sasuke and Naruto were puzzled when they heard what Shiba said. Yes, please. Shiyu replied and explained. He knows that you desire strength, so he will plant Heaven's curse seal for you. In his opinion, if you want to be stronger, you will definitely go to him. Of course, you are only the first plan. If you don't want it, they will naturally use coercive means to take you away. Hearing this, Naruto also had a temper. Humph. If they dare to come, I will kill them all. Naruto's appearance seemed to say again, if you want to grab my wife, you will pass me first. Naruto, the second stunner, didn't guess Shiyu's thoughts, but Sasuke faintly guessed a little bit, and asked. Shiyu, do you have any countermeasures? You are still smarter. Hearing Shiyu's words, Naruto was slightly upset. But after Shiyu's words came from, he can only give up. Since Oshawan wants to use you as a container, then we will give him a trick. What a tactic. Hearing the conversation between Shiba and Sasuke, Naruto immediately became emotional, and the previous depression suddenly disappeared. That's you have to agree to the invitation of Dashimaru. Shiyu, are you kidding? Naruto exclaimed, and then said, didn't you just say that Oshimaru is going to use Sasuke as a container? You still let him go, isn't this a sheep's mouth? You were in a hurry for a ball, listen to me to finish. Oh, Naruto in the words is so cute that he is no longer yelling. As far as I know, although this undead reincarnation is awesome, it has a time limit for use. It can only be used once every 3 years. Oshimaru's body is now part of the soul drawn by 3 generations of Naruto and my hands are useless. I have to endure tremendous pain every day. In addition, I was Spiral in that war in the outskirts of Short Book Street last time. Shuriken, the injury is even worse. Now he desperately needs a new body. So, as long as you arrive after he uses undead reincarnation, you can safely stay by his side for 3 years. Why should I stay with him for 3 years? Sasuke asked. In his opinion, although Oshimaru is one of the legendary 3 ninjas, it may not be Shiyu Chang. Follow Shiyu, isn't it fragrant? Please download Faye to read the novel without underline. Chapter 134. I did it for you. Do you still remember the giant toad summoned by Sho Crane of Sand last time I defeated Gaara and turned into a giant toad? Hearing Shia's words, Sasuke's mind appeared as Toad Bunta, and his eyes were full of longing. Obviously, he also hopes that he can have such a psychic beast. Yeah. Seeing Sasuke nodded, Shiyu continued, his name is Toad Bunta and he is from one of the 3 holy places in the world, Miyagi Mountain. To tell you the truth, this ninjutsu Naruto will do too. What? Astonished, Sasuke's gaze couldn't help but fall on Naruto, and a glimmer of envy flashed in his eyes. If this is the case, doesn't it mean that Naruto is stronger than him now? Although Naruto is still unable to summon Toad Wentai with his own power, as long as he works hard to cultivate and develop his chakra to a certain level, you can do it. Seeing Sasuke looking at him, Naruto did not forget to brag. Hey, Sasuke, you didn't expect it. Being able to crush Sasuke's side is undoubtedly the thing Naruto wants to see most, and he will naturally not let go of this good opportunity to pretend to be. Then what does it have to do with me staying next to Dashimaru? Hearing Sasuke's doubts, Shiyu also said, because the psychic beasts of Oshimaru Wanshi and Toad Bunta are psychic beasts of the same level, and they are also from the 3 holy places. You mean let me learn psychic art from Oshimaru? Sasuke said, good. Longdadong and Miaomu Mountain are both known as one of the 3 holy places, but the place where these holy places exist is too secret. If there is no chance, it will be impossible to find it in a lifetime. So, from Dashimaru is undoubtedly the best choice. You can never go to Jilai and teach you, even if you want to learn, others may not be willing to teach. Moreover, you don't want to have the same psychic beast as Naruto. Hearing what Shiba said, Sasuke was also extremely tempted, but he was a little worried. But Oshimaru, will he teach me? Advertisement. Don't worry about this, Shiyu responded, and then said, you are the container of choice. Not only will he not be stingy, but he will also carefully guide you in your cultivation. With the legendary guidance of Sannin, you are not at a loss. And as soon as the 3-year period arrives, you will let him know what it means to steal chickens and lose rice. If you lose your wife, you will lose your soldiers. Shiyu didn't do this entirely for Sasuke, of course he also had his own selfishness. As long as Sasuke kills the Oshimaru, he will be able to obtain the open black lens bracket Rongjadong close black lens bracket open black lens bracket contract scroll close black lens bracket from the latter. At that time, he would just ask Sasuke again. Hearing Toki's words, Sasuke and Naruto were both stunned, because the plan was too dark. However, they think that to deal with people like Dashiwan is to come to Yin. There is nothing wrong with curing the human body with the human way. Naruto raised a concern, what if Sasuke still fails to beat Oshimaru after 3 years? You look down on Sasuke like that. Nah, Naruto denied it, and then said, it's just that the Oshimaru is one of the legendary 3 ninjas after all. Don't worry about this, I have a perfect plan. Today's Dashiwan hands are useless and powerful. It's a discount, in the name of Sannin. Shiyu analyzed a sentence and said again. Furthermore, we can help Sasuke before the 3-year deadline. It is not enough to implement the plan in advance. Well, why didn't I expect it? Naruto in the words touched his head, then smirked. Shiyu, you are good or bad? Sasuke, do you have any questions? Hearing Shiba's question, Sasuke nodded after thinking hard. No problem. Okay, then it's so pleasant to decide. Advertisement. When the voice fell, Toki explained the matter to Sasuke and Naruto, so that they must not divulge the matter. Naturally, the 2 of them had no objection to Shiyu's instructions. Sasuke will definitely not make public anymore, and this is about Sasuke's safety, and Naruto will naturally not stupidly leak it out. After finishing the conversation, Shiyu headed towards his home, but on the way there were changes. Because he was being followed. Realizing this, Shiyu also murmured in his heart. Finally can't help it. While whispering, a figure flashed in his mind. He was the leader of Root Shimura Danzo. Konoha has 6 departments. Anbu. Root. Information Department. Medical Department. Enchantment Department. Guard Department. It was 2 masked ninjas who were spying on Toki in secret. They thought they were obviously members of Danzo's direct subordinate, Genbu. Root. The members are selected from Danzo from Anbu, and these people obey Danzo's dialect. And was also sealed. Open black lens bracket. Tongue disaster and root seal close black lens bracket. Konoha's dark part. Root. A special sealing technique. If the person being operated on said anything about the person who performed the operation, they would be paralyzed, unable to speak or move. The next second they watched, a strange scene happened. In the next second, Shiyu's figure suddenly disappeared from the two people's field of vision. What's even more strange is that the breath of practice has completely disappeared. You must know that the two of them are perceptual ninjas, but Shiyu still disappeared without a trace, as if he had never appeared before. Just when they were puzzled, two big hands were stretched toward their necks. But they were completely ignorant of it. They didn't react until they were strangled by their throats and had difficulty breathing. But what made them even more shocked was that they could only feel that they were pinched in their throats, but they were not visible. Until the moment they closed their eyes, they didn't know whose hand they had died to prevent them from breaking free. After they were completely dead, a figure slowly appeared in front of their eyes. The owner of this figure was not someone else, it was Shiyu who had disappeared before. If they were to know this result, they would be extremely shocked. They knew Shiyu was very strong, but they didn't expect that the latter had such a strange ability. Moreover, their own power is so powerful that they can't get rid of it at all. This is definitely their miscalculation. And the reason why Shiyu was able to achieve such a silent approach and kill them was not using Shinwei. This is because when Shinwei appeared from a different space, they could see Shiyu, but Shiyu was in a state of invisibility from beginning to end. Moreover, I can't detect any breath at all. This ability is a type of bloodstain boundary called through escape. It is owned by Moonlight Storm, and since I was a teenager, he also realized a trace of fur, specifically used for peeping. However, his through escape can't isolate the breath, and it is easy to be sensed by the ninja. Therefore, he seldom uses ding. Philo reminds you, 3 things to read and accept chapter 135. After killing the 2 members of Root, Shiyu did not deal with the corpse. Because he knew that if the 2 of them didn't return tonight, Danzo would send someone to search for it. So he left a big letter on the back of 2 people, one is police and the other is report. Shiyu doesn't have time to play with him now, and he needs to deal with Sasuke's affairs before his eyes. After all, the first mission of the system is also among them. Bright red characters are left behind the 2 of them. After that, in order to prevent it from being discovered by passers-by, Shiyu directly threw it into an extremely hidden corner. After all this last night, Shiyu also returned home directly. While Yu was sleeping comfortably on the bed, a middle-aged and elderly man in Root Base was waiting for something. Undoubtedly, this middle-aged and elderly man is Danzo. Don't see if he is very old, but in fact he is nearly 70 years old. He and 3 generations of Hokage, 437. People of an era. However, it seems that because of his right arm. It is because of the transplantation of the primary cells, it does not look so old. And he was waiting for one night. When the sky was still dark the next day, Danzo had already noticed that something was wrong. Because there was a reason why he sent 2 people to monitor Shiyu, so that he could know Shiyu's every move every day, so that he could find out if there was any secret in Shiyu. Once the time is right, find an opportunity to study it. But it doesn't work now, it's Konoha's celebrity right now, and he will definitely not be able to do it at this time. In addition, the latter seems to have a close relationship with Tsunade, and the 2 have a close relationship. So I can only monitor it temporarily to find the time. It is reasonable to say that at night, only one person will be left to monitor, and the other person will come back to report the situation. Those who turned in on the second day took turns on duty. Although they are Root killers with no emotions, they are also human after all and need to rest. Seeing that the 2 hadn't returned yet, Danzo finally couldn't sit still, and sent 2 people to look for it. Everything is as Shiyu expected. The 2 people who went to search, relying on the unique aura of Root, soon found Shiyu who left Shiyu to monitor Shiyu. But to their surprise, the 2 had already died at this time, leaving only 2 cold corpses. But this is not what shocked them the most. What shocked them most was the 2 bloody characters on their backs. It is because they have no feelings, but they still froze for a while. Advertisement. After the 2 looked at each other, they didn't talk nonsense, and one took a corpse and headed towards the Root base. After a while, in the Root base, Tuan Zhang looked at the 2 corpses on the ground. His face was extremely ugly, his eyes were extremely cold. He obviously didn't expect this to be the result. After a long silence, Danzo finally asked, "Did that kid do it?" "I don't know." One of them replied. From the scene, no traces of fighting were found. Moreover, the 2 of them were breathless with their throats choked. It can be regarded as a kill. If there is no accident, the person who shot is much stronger than them. This will cause the 2 of them to have no chance to resist after being choked. For the analysis of this Root member, Danzo's suspicion. Because these are all his carefully trained subordinates, it is unlikely to deceive him. Moreover, judging from the death of the 2 of them, it was consistent with what the latter said, and he ignored or didn't believe it. Because of this, Danzo had an idea in his mind. Will it be from here? It is not unreasonable for him to think this way. In his opinion, very few people want to kill 2 members of the Roots in Konoha without any effort. Even Kakashi and Akai can't do this kind of combat power, so he can only think of Jiraiya. But what made him puzzled was that even if he wanted to warn him, he didn't need to use such cruel hands. This made him very incomprehensible. Of course, he also thought of another possibility. That is, Shiyu has some strength behind it. The existence of Jiraiya is shoulder to shoulder, and even beyond the existence of Jiraiya. But no matter which possibility it is, it can only explain one thing. That is, there must be a former guarding behind Shiyu. And Danzo also thought about the last possibility, that is, Shiyu himself did all this. Although this idea was extremely absurd, he still took it into consideration, because he already knew that Toki had learned all Tsunade's medical ninjutsu within 5 days. This is also the fundamental reason why he will stare at Shiyu completely. After all, he still does not know that Shiyu has Shulinyan. Seeing Danzo fell into silence again, the group member also asked for instructions. My lord, what should I do next? Temporarily cancel surveillance. Danzo responded, and then said, however, pay close attention to all his developments. Yes, advertisement. Dispose of the body, don't leave any traces. Hearing Danzo's words, the two members of the Roots did not talk nonsense, as before, they carried a corpse and disappeared. After the two left, Tuan Zhang slowly walked out of the room, watching the dawn that had just broken, and murmured in his heart. Takikawa Tokiha, who are you on earth? There is nothing wrong with Tuan Zhang's doubts, because according to his investigation, Shiyu's identity has nothing to do with it. He was a native of Konoha. His parents were also ninjas, but they were sacrificed in the Battle of Nine Tails 13 years ago. Konoha took special care of such orphans. But he really couldn't understand that the latter had not shown any outstanding talents in the first 12 years. But it suddenly broke out a few months ago. As for the 53 clones of the graduation exam, he didn't care much. After all, it is not for nothing that some people have accumulated a lot of hair and learned the essence of ninjutsu. Furthermore, as long as you have enough chakras, you can do it. It's like everyone has a different field of expertise. But after the Chin Nin test, he began to pay close attention to Shiyu, but writing round eyes, he obviously doesn't know about it. Otherwise, he would have thought about Shiyu a long time ago, and he won't wait until now. Now Jerzo is completely focusing on Shiyu. That's because the latter and Tsunade worked together to study the use of the regeneration power of the interpillar cells, especially when he heard that Toki was won within 5 days. 2 Tsunade's healing ninjutsu all learned. This day, Danzo cancelled the surveillance, and Shiyu was very satisfied with this result. Noon. Shiyu, Naruto and Sasuke visited Shaoli together, and with the blessing of intercolumn cells, the latter recovered very well. Shikamaru and others also went to visit Shaoli, because he was promoted to Shinobu and Naruto said something. But the eyes of Ino, Tiantian and others stayed on Shiyu most of the time, looking at this, the famous young man Konoha. There is no doubt that Shiyu is too good. As for Hinata, Ning-Si and others seemed to be still, practicing desperately. But happy times are always short, and Konoha welcomed 4 uninvited guests the next day. And their arrival represents the official launch of the Shiyu project, because these 4 people are the powerful subordinates of Dashimaru. For those with curse seal ability, there are 4 people and 4 people in Yinan. To read the ununderlined version of the novel, please download Fae. Chapter 136. The 4 of Otonin came to Konoha. They didn't have any extra actions, and went directly to Sasuke. Although the strength of the 4 of them is very strong, it is not enough to face Konoha's shinobu, especially for elites like Kakashi and Kaihuang. Not to mention the Sekal, but easy defeat shouldn't be a problem. After hearing Toki's explanation, Sasuke did not panic or surprise at all, because he had been waiting for a long time. Da, 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 da. As the 4 footsteps fell, 4 figures suddenly appeared in front of Sasuke's eyes. Seeing this scene, Naruto, who was peeping in the dark, said, Shiyu, are those 4 people sent by Oshimaru? Shiyu nodded and replied, it can't be wrong, don't you think one of them is still wearing this sound ninja forehead? At the same time, Sasuke, who looked at 4 people 4, knew everything well, but pretended not to know anything. Who are you? After hearing Sasuke's words, the 4 of them spoke one after another, their tone of arrogance and disdain. 4 people, Dongman Gatong Maru. I am South Gate 26 Jiro Fang. I am Examen Zojin. I'm North Gate Toyuya. Hearing this somewhat fancy self-reporting family, Sasuke was also slightly taken aback. The 4 people 4 who fell in their voices glanced at each other, all knowing what they meant, and there was no unnecessary nonsense. The 4 fours shot together and attacked Sasuke. After a simple fight, the eyes of 4 fours 4 also showed a look of astonishment. Because Sasuke's strength is far stronger than they thought. They originally seemed to see what the talents of the Oshimaru were, but at this moment they knew a little bit. But they just recognized that Sasuke has such potential, because has their true ability been revealed yet? Undoubtedly, their reliance is the power of the curse seal. Moreover, all 4 of them are the curse seal ability, who can activate the second form. They were slightly surprised, but Sasuke was also the same. Although it was just a simple confrontation, he could feel that the 4 people 4 in front of him were all weak. Indeed so. They found Sasuke, but they defeated Konoha's 2 special shinobu, which was enough to prove their extraordinary strength. Advertisement. Say it. Who are you who sent me to find me and what's the matter? After hearing Sasuke's words, the Otonin named Zakan also said, let me see how you are. Obviously, he wants to know how Sasuke's strength is and why Oshimaru puts Junma, but they have to come all the way to Konoha to take away Sasuke's voice. He also stopped talking nonsense and rushed to it again. This novel is based on open hollow corner bracket dragon close hollow corner bracket starting. QQ4929238872. Don't be fooled by other fakes. Unique Phyllu novel standby group 672,171,357. Phyllu novel internal group 1,142,529,731. Phyllu novel inner group 2929082961. More exciting Phyllu novels are in the hands of the owner. Welcome to the group. I hope you will not be fooled by those deceptive groups. Attachment. This work is from the internet and published books. The work is only for readers' preview. Please delete it within 24 hours of downloading. It must not be used for commercial purposes. If you think this book is good, please buy a genuine book. Thanks for your support. Close black lens bracket key points. I hope I can keep this paragraph when reprinted. It's a bit hard to organize, but retention is a virtue. Upon seeing this, Sasuke also launched an offensive. He also knows how the strength of the four Odoninus four people can touch. In a battle of physical skills, the two are not the same. After training, each has surpassed Zakon. Lion Bomb. The Zokum who was attacked from the front was kicked to the ground by Sasuke, making a deafening noise. Boom. Seeing this scene, Gatong Maru, the three of three were also shocked. They didn't expect that Sasuke's physical skills would be so good, and they would be able to win closer. As the smoke and dust on the ground dissipated, the figure of Zokum was once again caught in the eyes of everyone. But he did not lose the combat ability as Sasuke thought, but slowly stood up from the ground. This scene also shocked Sasuke. He did not expect that Zokum would hit his own trick lion. Bullet, it was all right, and because of this, he knew that the three people in front of him were definitely not ordinary people. This trio is much stronger than the trio of those encountered in Central Ninja Exam, Sak, and Jin. In a word, the two are not at the same level at all. After a long silence, Sasuke's indifferent voice also sounded. Now you can say it. Hearing this, Zokum wiped the dust off his body, and then his voice slowly sounded. From the current point of view, you do have the potential to become a container. The meaning of Saken is very simple. The current Sasuke is not qualified to be a real container. Because if you want to be a true container, you must master the second form of Curse Seal. Zoken, who was defeated in the confrontation, obviously didn't want to leave it alone. Without talking nonsense, it directly opened the power of Curse Seal. Advertisement. Little devil, let you see the power I am now. Power of Curse Seal. Yo, I didn't expect you to know Curse Seal. Zhao Jin was taken aback between the words, and then he said, since this is the case, I will let you see this kind of power. Saken, whose voice fell down, rushed to Sasuke again. Because they knew that it would be good for Sasuke to see the power of the curse. In this way, the latter will probably leave with them voluntarily later, so they will be more trouble-free. However, the appearance of the next scene stunned them. Because that Zoken who turned on the power of Curse Seal did not have the slightest upper hand, but was crushed and beaten by Sasuke. Touch. Another strong kick. Sasuke's Zaken of Curse Sealing was kicked to the ground again by Sasuke. At the same time, Sasuke's voice sounded slowly. Power of Curse Seal, you are not alone. At this moment, the four people of Saken 4 looked at Sasuke's complexion. Undoubtedly, this time, Sasuke was forced to play a good force, and it was the kind of force full of Junmaro. They don't know whether they can bear the power of Heaven's Curse Seal, but they know in their hearts that the four of them absolutely can't bear it. The latter's potential is indeed better than them. This has been proven at this moment. Phyllu reminds you. 3 things to read. Shiba, Sasuke has no problem using that kind of power. The same sentence was spit out from the four people unanimously, and this result was obviously unexpected. The Naruto who looked at the dark place was very envious, and he wanted to rush out and beat the other 3 people wildly to highlight his strength. That is Heaven's Curse Seal. Thank you for reading this story at hotmtnovel.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Don't worry, I have taught him how to control that power. They knew this very well. Because the 4 of them almost died when they were planted with ordinary curse seals, not to mention the strongest Heaven's Curse Seals. This is why they are so shocked at this moment. At this moment, they seem to understand why Orochimaru chooses Sasuke as their container. That's good. The words of the 2 fell, and their eyes returned to the 4 members of Sasuke and Otonin. Although thought of this in his heart, Naruto asked worriedly. Know that existences as strong as Junmaro are only planted with Curse Seal of the Earth, and they are the most common Curse Seal. Because they were surprised to find that the latter was also covered with dense black lines, they knew this kind of black lines better than anyone else. They knew that Sasuke had been planted by the Orochimaru Curse Seal, but they didn't expect the highest level of Heaven's Curse Seal. Chapter 137. At this moment, Ghost Maru, 3 of 3, finally understood why Sasuke was able to defeat Curse Sealing Saken. Judging from Sasuke's current state, he is obviously able to control the power of Curse Seal. This is definitely something they didn't expect. They can completely master the power of the Curse Seal, that is because of the long-term training of the Big Snake Pill. As for Sasuke, there should be no one to teach him. Moreover, it seems that it hasn't been long since Sasuke was planted with the Heaven's Curse Seal, but the latter was able to master this power in such a short period of time. It can be seen that the latter's potential is far stronger than the 4 of them. Although they were shocked, Sasuke was extremely lucky. Because he knew that without Shiyu teaching himself how to control the curse seal power, he would definitely not be able to defeat the curse sealing Saken. After Otonen's 4 people and 4 people were astonished, the only woman among the 4 people, Tajia, said, Zakan, don't waste time, Konoha is not a place to stay for long. Hearing that, Saken also gave up the idea of starting the second form and immediately confronted Sasuke. Boy, I admit that you are very strong now, but do you want to get stronger strength? A stronger power. Sasuke continued to play dumb. Yes, a strong power that can make you revenge. If you want to, just go with us, Master Oshimaru will give you this kind of power. Saken's voice fell, and Tayaya saw Sasuke being silent and couldn't help but say. You should still be in state 1 at the moment, and the curse seal does not corrode the body so quickly. But if you stay in a state of liberation for a long time, your body will be slowly eroded, and the final result is to lose yourself. And if you want to completely control this power, you must go to Lord Oshimaru. Only he can help you completely control this power. Sasuke was disapproving of what Tayaya said. Because this consequence no longer exists for him, Shiyu has already helped him through the most difficult level. Hearing that, Sasuke pretended to be struggling, and had to say that his acting skills were still good, which did not arouse the suspicion of the 4 people of Otonen. Immediately after Sasuke marked the latter difficult choice, his voice finally sounded slowly. When are we leaving? Our time is limited. Zojin responded with a reply, and then said, if there is no problem, tomorrow morning, we will be waiting for you in the West Forest outside Konoha village. It is good. Seeing Sasuke nodding, the 4 also showed a smile on their faces, because they felt that things were much simpler than they thought. In that case, see you tomorrow. Saken's voice fell, and the figure of the 4 also instantly disappeared in front of Sasuke's eyes. After the 4 of Tonen Shinobu left, Sasuke also met with Toki, who was observing in the dark. How do they feel about you? Very strong. In response to Toki's question, Sasuke gave a 2-character affirmation. Oshimaru is also one of the legendary 3 ninjas after all, and what he taught is naturally not bad. So, you have to learn more in the future. Hearing Shiyu's words, Sasuke also nodded. Then, Shiyu, will I follow those 4 directly tomorrow? Correct. Shiyu nodded, and then said, because we don't know the specific status of Dashawan, we naturally can't go directly. So, they need to show me the way. Moreover, only if people know that you were robbed, will you be justified when you come back in the future. This is why Shiyu didn't make a move just now. However, they can only live 1 more day at most. Because Shiyu has arranged for them to die. Let's go, let's have a good meal. After tonight, the next time is estimated to be in 2 years. For Shiyu's mention, Yui, Sasuke and Naruto did not object. Although the 2-year period is a bit long, it is undoubtedly a journey of cultivation. As for Naruto, Shiyu has already arranged for him. Following the legendary Sannin for 2 years, the 2 of them will naturally not refuse this kind of good thing. The next day, with everything ready, Sasuke went out with a small school bag on his back. Before he set off, Shiyu and Naruto gave him practice. Sasuke, go ahead, let's talk when we get to Oshinaru's lair. It is good. Sasuke nodded, without procrastination, and ran away under the wood of Tokyo and Naruto. After Sasuke's figure disappeared, Naruto also asked. Shiyu, what do we do next? After half an hour, you go to the Hokage office to find Grandma Tsunade and say that Sasuke was taken away. Oh. Naruto nodded heavily, excited about this plan. After a while, Sasuke, who left Konoha quietly, has already arrived at the place designated by Saken and others yesterday, and the latter 4 of them are already waiting here. Seeing Sasuke's arrival, Zoken laughed. Advertisement. You finally arrived. Sasuke was able to arrive as scheduled, and the 4 of them were naturally delighted, because they could complete the task effortlessly. Saken, just after falling, Gaidumaru, said. Boy, you can get here, you can rest for the rest of the journey. What's the meaning? Seeing Sasuke's puzzled look, Zaken continued, tell you the truth, before we came to Konoha, Lord Osamaru gave us a task. What is it? Just let you die once. Hearing that, Sasuke is even more daunted. From the tone of the neighbor, you can know what they seem to be doing to themselves. Between Sasuke's doubts, Saken took out a bottle from his body and said. This is Shinshin Wan. Please eat him. Hearing Sasuke's words, Sasuke frowned slightly, and then asked, what is that? Because your curse seal is currently still in state 1, this Shinshin Wan can awaken the full power of curse seal, allowing you to enter a stronger state 2-2. State 2-2. Sasuke murmured, and said in his heart. What they said should be the second form of curse imprinting, that Shiyu taught me to practice. Because when Shiyu was teaching him to practice second form, he also said to let him feel the feeling of death. While Sasuke was thinking about it, Saken also continued to spread science. Good. This Shinshin Wan can directly enter state 2-2, but at the same time it will also speed up curse seal power's devouring of your body. Feel good. Zhao wakes up and can only last for a few minutes at most. Quote. In other words, you will die soon. But there is no way, because if you want to master state 2-2, you must keep your body in this state for a long time. In this way, you can gain the same power as us. After hearing these words from Saken, Sasuke also finally confirmed. The so-called State 2-2 in the former mouth is the second form people taught by Shiyu. Sasuke is not stupid, and immediately asked, since you just said let me die first, then there is definitely some way to do it. Good. The four of us four are here for this. Recently responded with a reply and continued. The enchantment ninjutsu launched by the four of us can suppress the side effects of Curse Seal Awakening and allow you to enter a state of painless suspended animation. Sasuke was silent for a while, and then said something shocking. Then what if I have mastered State 2-2? As soon as this remark came out, the four people at the left four were stunned in an instant. To read the ununderlined version of the novel, please download and fly. The 146th chapter 4 Black Fog Array. Seal the Black Seal. What did you say? These four words were spit out from the mouths of the four people of Odonin at almost the same time. Undoubtedly, they all think that they have misheard. Without the protection of the 4 Black Mist Array barrier, it is absolutely impossible to master State 2-2. Anyway, it has not yet arrived, and there has not been such a precedent. Moreover, they have never seen anyone who can awaken the power of the Curse Seal by their own power. The combination of various factors made them have to question. I said I have mastered State 2-2, and there is no need to eat Shingshin pill anymore. Sasuke slowed down, so that the four of them could hear clearly. After getting confirmation, Gui Tongmaru was the first to speak. Boy, are you sure you are not bragging? Naturally not. Since this is the case, you show status 2-2 for us to take a look. Taiyu also said. Also, lest you waste time. Hearing Sasuke's words, the eyes of the four people fixed on Sasuke. Then they saw black lines beginning to spread from Sasuke's neck, covering the whole body in an instant. Next second, Sasuke, whose appearance changed drastically, appeared and reflected in their pupils. Look at the human form in front of 437. Of Sasuke, all four of them are dumbfounded, completely dumbfounded. They never thought that Sasuke actually mastered status 2-2. Moreover, they still rely on their own power. They don't know how Sasuke did it, but it doesn't know how to stop their consternation. At this moment, why they finally saw Sasuke on Oshimaru. In comparison, they are nothing at all. Needless to say, Sasuke has installed a perfect force again. And all this is thanks to Shiyu. Otherwise, let alone pretend to be forced. In front of the Odonin Sijin 4, he was not even qualified to pretend to be forced. With Sasuke's removal of the form of status 2-2, the Saken Sijin 4 recovered from the consternation. Sasuke-sama, you deserve to be the person that Oshimaru-sama likes. You are simply a dragon and a phoenix in the human world, and the posture of the sky is vertical. Junmaro, he can't compare with you at all. I have completely convinced you. At this moment, Gatong Maru and Toyu also expressed their thoughts, and the dull Jirobo nodded in agreement. In that case, what are you still trying to do? Lead the way. Advertisement. At this moment, Sasuke is undoubtedly turning over and calling the shots. However, in the face of Sasuke's rant, 5 did not have any dissatisfaction, only respect in their eyes. Because under Oshimaru is respected by strength. This is also the reason why Junmaro can become their boss, because the former defeated the four of them by himself. But even if Jimuro, the evildoer, Sasuke's hand that was revealed at that time was not so perverted. In their eyes, Sasuke is a perfect one. Just when a few people were about to leave, Tongmaru said, Sasuke-sama, I have a small suggestion. What proposal? That is, although you have mastered State 2-2, you may not have fully awakened power of Curse Seal. This Shingshin pill was specially researched by Master Dashuan, and it is used to stimulate the power of Curse Seal. If you take it, plus the blessing of 4 Black Mist Array, it may be able to make State 2-2 more perfect. Oh, Sasuke was also slightly taken aback when he heard Guidomaru's suggestion. He thought that since this power of Curse Seal was researched by Dash Pill, the accompanying use of Shingshin pill might really have this effect. Shiyu told him that Dashuan was going to use him as a container, and he would definitely not harm him. For things that can improve his strength, he will naturally accept it. Moreover, Shiyu told him to find a way to pretend to be hijacked, so that he would be justified in returning in the future. At this point, he also nodded, reached out and took the Shingshin wand from Zokum and swallowed it directly into the abdomen. Immediately after, Guidomaru used the psychic to create a bucket from the scroll on his back, and sealed the 4 Black Mist Array in it. 4 Black Mist Array's suspended animation state can Curse Seal power develop the Curse Seal power to the extreme in the fastest time. Sasuke believed in Toki, so he did not refuse. Finally, Saken performed the sealing Black Seal technique to complete the final closing. Exclamation mark. After doing all this, 4 also did not procrastinate, and went directly to the base where the Oshimaru was located. At the same time, in the Hokage office. What did you say? Sasuke was robbed. Tsunade looked at Naruto in front of him, with a shocked expression on his face. Naruto nodded, and then said, just now, Sasuke and I were going to find Toki together, but I ran into 4 people on the way. They said they came to invite Sasuke on behalf of Osaki Maru. After Sasuke refused, we started fighting. The 2 of us lost to the 4 of them, and then I was knocked out. When I wake up, Sasuke is gone. Naruto said with a blushing face, and he could not tell that he was lying. After hearing Naruto's words, Tsunade also muttered in his heart. Unexpectedly, he acted so soon. I chose this time, damn it. No wonder Tsunade looked sad at this time, because Konoha's capable Zongnan and Shangren both went out to perform tasks. Only the idle ones are available, because they still can't perform difficult tasks. Azumo, Katetsu, go and find someone for me. The two who heard this immediately looked at Tsunade, and after hearing the latter's order, they also disappeared in place. After a while, a figure appeared in the Hokage office. The owner of this figure is not someone else, it is Shiyu. In Tsunade's eyes, Shiyu is undoubtedly the strongest in this class of shinin. If it weren't for the reason that the Central Ninja exam was forced to stop, Shiyu would definitely become a chunin. Although Tsunade had made suggestions, and even wanted to promote Shiba to Shinobu. Not for other reasons, just because Shangren works too much. Therefore, in Tsunade's eyes, Takiwa was a ninja with a superior level and even stronger strength. As soon as he entered Hokage's office, Shiyu began acting. It is good. There is none left. Grandma Tsunade, what can you do with me? What? That said, Naruto, let's go. Philo reminds you 3 things about reading. Thank you for reading this story at hotmtnovel.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Hearing this, Moyu pretended to be extremely surprised, as if he really didn't know anything. It's true, Shiyu, but I'm here. After Tsunade's brief talk, Shiyu also said. Upon seeing this, Naruto on the side also cooperated. Sasuke was hijacked. Grandma Tsunade, you want me to bring Sasuke back, right? In response, Shiyu continued. Grandma Tsunade, if there is nothing else to explain, I will leave. Good. Sasuke is my companion, even if you don't tell me, I will do it. It's a pity that I am not strong enough, and I was knocked out. Naruto replied and left the office with Toki under Tsunade's watch. Chapter 138. When Shiyu and Naruto were on the road, the Otonin group of 4 met the silent team who had returned from the mission. There are 4 people in the team 4. In addition to Mute, there are also 3 people 3 on Shinobu. They are Shiranui Xuanjian, and all the same, Dai Iwahi. In the forest, under the big tree. I do not know who. Xuanjian looked at someone relieved, frowned and said, there seems to be something moving over there. The same, let's check it out. It is good. When the voice fell, the two were temporarily separated from Silent and Divahi. A few minutes later, the 4 people of Shiranuhu Okenma and Kanazu are the same and Yinan met. You are the subordinates of Dashimaru. The moment I saw the 4 people 4, and the similarity, the 4 people 4 were immediately recognized. Because at the beginning, the 4 of them used the 4 purple flame array to trap 3 generations of Hokage in it, and he was at the scene. Unexpectedly, Huo Xuanjian glanced at the direction they came, frowning. That direction. You are Konoha, right? When the voice fell, Shiranui Xuanma knew that they absolutely had some ulterior purpose in coming to Konoha. After some observation, he discovered that Kidomaru was carrying a huge wooden barrel. That, what's in the barrel? No comment. Sakin replied, his expression also looked unusually solemn. The opponent is not an ordinary ninja, but Konoha Shinobu. Even if they open status 2-2, opponents of this level have no chance of winning alone. The only thing I could do was to go together. Once I thought of this, Zakan glanced at the other 3. Immediately after, 4 people 4 stared at the same astonishment at Shiranui Genma and Kizu, and black spots appeared directly on their bodies. It's a bit difficult to fight the 2 Kaminina. It seems we must go all out. The 4 people who fell in the voice 4 directly liberated the power of Curse Seal. No extra nonsense, the battle started. Just as they were fighting here, Silent and Dewahi were waiting a little impatiently. Silence looked at the way that I did not know Huo Xuanjian and Kizu disappeared before, frowned slightly, and muttered in a low voice. Why haven't come back for so long? Miss Silence, what should I do now? Dewahi said, advertisement. Go over and take a look. However, when they rushed to the scene, the battle between the 2 of Huo Xuanjian and the 4 of Otonin had ended. At this time, the 2 of them were completely wounded and had lost their ability to fight. If Silent and the movement of Dai Iwahi's arrival made the Dainin 4 and 4 people jealous, I am afraid that the 2 will be here today. Seeing this scene, Divahi also exclaimed. Unexpectedly they were beaten like this. When Silent saw this, he immediately helped them treat. If not, even if he doesn't die now, he will die for a long time. Miss Mute, you stay and help with the treatment, I will chase them. The same voice fell, and before all his actions were needed, he was stopped by the Shiranui Xuanjian who had just woke up. Cannot go. They are no longer using ninja tricks. It makes no difference if you die. Hearing the words, Divahi looked at the similarities between Shiranui Xuanjian and Paradox, and finally dispelled the idea. At the same time, the 4 of Otoninu were resting somewhere in the forest at this time, and they seemed to be in good condition. Obviously, it was caused by the previous battle with Shiranui Genma and Kanazurui with the 2 shinins, and they were able to defeat the 2 by relying on the power of the Curse Seal. Moreover, we still fight with status 2-2. Otherwise, they will not have the slightest chance of winning. Oshimaru-sama is still waiting for us, but we have to stop and rest. Damn it. Hearing the nearby complaints, Tayuya said, this is also nothing to do. It is too much to use status 2-2 to challenge. The most terrible thing is to be unable to exert effort in a short time. Jirofang said, after all, we have to deal with. It's too Shangren. If you don't try your best, it will be fatal. And just after the voice of Gatong Maru fell, two more figures appeared beside him out of thin air. This scene made the four of them extremely shocked. You must know that they have set up traps around them, and they will be able to perceive any disturbances. As Otonin, they are extremely sensitive to sounds. But even under this situation, there are two more people in front of them out of thin air, which can prevent them from being astonished. And these two people are not others, they are Tokiha and Naruto. They will appear next to Onizumaru where they are, it is because Sasuke's barrel is sealed beside him, and Sasuke's body was planted with the Flying Thunder God's mark, so it was so accurate. That's why in Tsunade's conversation just now, Tsunade was rejected when he asked Toki if he needed to pick a few tracking ninjas. Although Neji's white eyes, Shino's bug, and Ya's Akamaru are all first-class tracking methods, it is a pity that all of these are planned by Toki. Therefore, he didn't even need to think that he would not be able to find it. Seeing Tokiwa and Naruto who appeared out of nowhere, the solemn expressions on the four faces slowly turned into disdain. The atmosphere was quiet for a while, and Sakin broke the silence. I thought it was a beast, but I didn't expect it to be two fleas. Not only did he think so, but the other three were no exception. Advertisement. Because from the appearance of Shiyu's two people, they can't bear it. Although they don't know how the two appeared here, any one of them can do it against the two. Even if their combat power has not yet recovered to the peak, it is more than enough. You are the fleas. 444 fools. Naruto scolded uncomfortably, especially, idiot. The essence of two words. This is not just as simple as swearing, but it has a threefold meaning. It's just a simple curse. They didn't realize that Shiyu was so strong, and a group of self-righteous idiots. All of this was Shiyu's plan, they were all tool people. And when Zhao Jin heard this, he sneered. Hee, I didn't expect it to be an arrogant flea. After his sneer fell, the seal in Long Fong's hand was knotted, and a low drink came from his throat. None in the dungeon hall of the Earth Escape Enchantment. Earth Escape Enchantment Dungeon Hall. No, use an earthen wall to form a dungeon to trap your opponent in it, and you are on one side of the earthen wall full of chakras. Chakras are unevenly distributed, and the part of chakrasaw far away from the operator. Therefore, even if the opponent attacks the soil wall, it will immediately recover, and it can also absorb the chakra of the person inside. As Jirobo finished performing this trick, it directly trapped Shiyu and Naruto in it. Leave them to me, by the way, you can replenish your strength. It's simply a show operator. To read the ununderlined version of the novel, please download and fly. Upon hearing this, Gatong Maru also snorted coldly. Humph, I'm finished, hurry up. He obviously admires Jirofang's ninjutsu ability, and can absorb the opponent's chakra to supplement himself. They only need to use the Flying Thunder God art, after a while, and they can play slowly along the way. Shiyu responded and said immediately, even if we go out now, they haven't gone far. So, let's wait for them to leave for a while. Shiyu, we are trapped, what should we do? Onizumaru Trio 3 wears Sasuke's barrel on his back. After a lot of hard work, Naruto finally gave up. At this time, Naruto was constantly attacking the stone wall in the dungeon hall of Earth Escape Enchantment Dungeon Hall, but it was still impossible to break through. Isn't it beautiful? The opponent ran all the way with the portal on his back, and they directly sent it directly. Not urgent. Instead of that, it's better to take your time. Undoubtedly, this is the purpose of his move. Thank you for reading this story at hotmtnovel.com. Your support enables us to keep the site running. Shiyu's idea was very simple, because even if he went out now to kill everyone, and then used the illusion ability of Shulinyan to ask the location of Oshimaru, it would not be them to send Sasuke over in the end. On the road again. Immediately after. Chapter 139. In the dungeon enchantment. Naruto agreed with Shiyu's words and asked immediately. Shiyu, even if we are not in a hurry, we can't always hide in this broken 5 barrier. Moreover, how do I feel that there are less and less chakras in my body? That's because someone outside is absorbing our chakras. Shiyu said carelessly, not at all upset because chakra was absorbed. First of all, he chakras so much beyond imagination. Even standing here and letting Jirofang suck for a day, he has already thought of a way to deal with it. A very interesting way. This problem can be solved effortlessly. What absorbs chakra? Hearing this, Naruto also exclaimed. He obviously did not expect that this broken 5, forcing the barrier to have such a strange ability. Naruto's loud exclamation also made Jirofang outside listen to 437. Seeing it, the latter couldn't help but let out a stunned voice. Yo, I didn't expect to be discovered by you so soon. After the words fell, Jirofang continued, but, what can you do even if you know it? Now you are the fish on the chopping board, you can only let me kill. In Jirobo's opinion, it won't take long for Shiba and Naruto to be able to absorb all the chakras. From collapse into a coma, the worst is death. You think too much, just break the 5, force the barrier and still want to trap us, we just don't want to go out. Naruto, don't want to come out. Jirofang was taken aback. It's too hot outside, so cool inside. Hearing Naruto's words, Jirofang couldn't help but sneered. Hee, if that's the case, then you can wait for death slowly. However, Shiyu turned a deaf ear to Jirobo's clamor. Naruto, what I called to buy just now, did you buy it? Bought it. Naruto in the words was also puzzled, he didn't know what Shiyu was carrying at this time. Then take it out quickly, let's play a few more. You say now. Naruto was startled, because what Shiyu asked him to buy just now was not something else, but playing cards. It's still early, it's just right to play a few. But that guy is absorbing our chakras. Don't worry, you can't suck. If you feel a little dizzy later, tell me. Shiyu's chakra is nothing, but Naruto is different. Although the latter has more chakras than ordinary people, they can't resist being sucked like this. However, Shiyu has already thought of a way to deal with it. Because chakra can be passed on to others, once Naruto chakra is not enough, Shiyu will give him a little bit. Hearing Shiyu's words, Naruto naturally had no objection. So the two of them started playing poker in this dungeon enchantment. Originally, Jirofang outside didn't know what the two were doing inside. Until he heard the voices of the two, he was completely dumbfounded. Pair. Big U. Crushed to death. Pass. Quote. Jirofang never thought that the two of them were in jail, and they were still in the mood to play poker. Two idiots, I will let you play. During the words, Jirofang directly increased his efforts, exhausting his strength to suck up the chakras of the two people crazy. However, no matter how he sucked it, it didn't help. The two voices were still one after another, obviously they were playing high, and their enthusiasm was very high. Airplane. Hold it up. Bomb. Wong fried. Sorry. Quote. It sounds like the Jirofang outside wants to go in and play, but unfortunately he still has a task to solve the problem of the combination of Shiyu and Gatonmaru. After half an hour, in the barrier, Naruto's complaints came. Why did I lose again? Who told you to be spicy chicken? Shiyu smiled lightly. I don't believe it, come again. It's almost time, we have to go. But, if you play with each other, you will continue to play later. Don't be afraid of running out of time. Wait until that is a silly fork. Let's play with Sasuke. Hearing this, Naruto nodded heavily, looking expectant. And Jirofang who was outside heard the conversation between the two of them completely bewildered, and he couldn't imagine that the two of them had been sucked by him for half an hour and nothing happened. He once doubted whether the two were monsters. Because he is about to suck and vomit. I didn't expect your chakras to be so strong, but it won't help if you just have more chakras. The strength of ability is not enough, this is your fault. Jirobo was praised and mocking again, but he had returned to his peak state, there was no need to waste time at all, so at this moment, he stopped absorbing the chakra of the two people. When he was about to display Tudun Tuling Tuanzi to end the lives of the two, a strange scene happened. I saw Shiyu and Naruto at some point already standing on the rock created by Dungeon Hall No looking at him indifferently. How did you come out? At this moment, Jirofang was extremely shocked, because his dungeon enchantment Dungeon Hall No Earth Escape was not broken. Because it is an enchantment, because it is impossible to escape through the Earth Escape into the underground. In his opinion, the only way is to force a breakthrough. But Shiyu and the two left the enchantment out of thin air, which made him can't help sounding the scene where the two had just appeared before. Is it possible that they have mastered what space ninjutsu? It is no wonder that Jirobo would think like this. From the current situation, only this explanation can make sense. This Jirofang looks silly, but not stupid. The truth is indeed as he guessed, Shiyu used the Flying Thunder God technique for the first time, and this time it was Shinwei. But the problem is here. At this point, he couldn't help but think, is it because Konoha's Shinin is so awesome now? This idea is not groundless. Sasuke has shown extraordinary 1-2 ability. Without the help of Shingshin Wan and 4 Black Mr. Ray, I was able to master the second form of Curse Sealing by myself. However, he never thought that all of this was due to Shiyu. You don't need to know this. Shiyu replied, and then said, however, I think you have been sucking this half an hour quite cool. Jirofang was shocked, but did not answer. Advertisement. However, they all appeared on his face, and the radiant expression was quite refreshing. And while Jirofang was stunned, Shiyu also said, since it's cool, it's time to ascend to heaven. Shiyu's move was like giving him a chance to eat and drink before a death row prisoner was beheaded, commonly known as decapitation. After all, the latter provides Shiyu and the others with a leisure venue. Philo reminds you, 3 things to read. The 149th chapter melts the strange technique. Don't be afraid to flash your tongue when you speak big words. If you have this ability, why didn't you just do it? Jirofang felt that Shiyu was bluffing him. If the latter had the ability to kill him, why did he have to wait until now? This is completely illogical. No way, he didn't know Shiyu's plan. This question, you can ask God. However, the premise is that you have to go to heaven, not hell. Hearing Shiyu's words, Jirofang didn't stop talking nonsense, and directly displayed the Tudun Tuling Tuanzi. Tudun Tuling Tuanzi, use the Earth Attribute Chakra to strengthen your strength and dig out a huge stone, then lift it and smash it at the enemy. Seeing a huge rock smashing at the two of him, Shiyu didn't panic at all, and displayed a trick, Space Ninjutsu. Flying Thunder God Guide Thunder. Only chakra is enough, anything can be removed. 4 generations once successfully removed the Tail Beast Jade from 9 Tails in the Battle of 9 Tails. After Shiyu performed this trick, the huge rock that Jirofang exploded was also integrated into the space. This scene undoubtedly stunned him. For this reason, his previous guess was confirmed that Shiyu would really be able to Space Ninjutsu. Not only him, but Naruto also looked astonished. because this was the first time he saw Shiyu perform this trick. To the next second, the huge rock appeared directly above Jirofang. Without any accident, it fell directly towards it from a high altitude. The rock is huge, and the speed is extremely fast. Jirofang has no way to avoid it. Of course, if his substitute technique is more exquisite, he can still avoid this offensive. However, he didn't do that. In his opinion, this rock would not pose a threat to him at all, because he originally dug out the huge rock from the soil. This can't hurt me, Jirofang yelled, and immediately stretched out his hands to pick it up. He was able to lift this rock, and naturally he was able to take it down. For this, Jirobos is firmly convinced. But the next second, he found that he was wrong. It was so wrong. The moment his palm touched the rock, he realized that he was picking up not a rock, but a big mountain. Even if his dun is extremely high, it can't support it. Not surprisingly, Jirobo, who had been extremely confident before, was directly crushed to the ground by the huge rock. Boom. After the smoke and dust from the place where the boulder fell, a figure on the rock was also exposed to the air. This person is not someone else, it is Shiyu. What he just used, the Flying Thunder God Guide Thunder, was not just to try this ninjutsu, its real purpose is this soil escape and heavy rock art. Soil escape aggravated rock art, it can increase weight and strength, and it can increase the weight of objects as well as the human body. Adding to an object can cause the object to become very heavy. Adding to the human body, a strong weight will make a person's speed abnormally slow, but on the contrary, the force exerted is undoubtedly comparable. There is also an enhanced version of this trick called the super aggravated rock art. Shiyu thought this trick was very interesting, so he took the time to study it. Only he dared to say this, because it is basically impossible for anyone to do it. There is no one to teach, and there is no scroll of art. It is to comprehend it by yourself. This is obviously not something that ordinary people can do, and it can only be done easily by a young man like Feather. Of course, some enchanting geniuses may be able to do it. However, I don't know how much time and energy it will take them. After the rocks in the field of Go got completely dispersed, Naruto finally recovered. Shiyu, is that fat guy dead? Just as Naruto's voice fell, a loud shout also resounded from under the rock. Psychic art. Bang, bang. As the sound continued to sound, a huge figure also climbed up from under the rock. That is a huge clay doll. Psychic art clay doll, summon a giant clay doll whose whole body is made of soil to help you fight. It can continuously regenerate and has the ability to absorb other chakras. And there was a person standing on the shoulder of the doll, a person bleeding all over. That's Jirofang. It's just that the latter's body is gray and black at this time, and the short hair has become slender, and the whole body has grown several times. Not surprisingly, this is his second form of cursed ceiling. Just now, he should have escaped with this state. Although he had recovered a life, he looked really embarrassed, like a bereaved dog. At this time, Jirobo looked at Shiyu standing on a broken rock, and his eyes were full of jealousy. The previous brief confrontation made him truly feel Shiyu's strength. If he hadn't possessed the power of Curse Seal, I'm afraid he really ascended to heaven in the previous blow. NS. He never expected Shiyu to be so strong, beyond his imagination. It is also because of this that he no longer has the desire to fight. The reason why he used the psychic technique to summon the clay figure is because he has been seriously injured and can't run away. Obviously the latter took himself away. However, his idea has not yet been implemented. But Shiyu's hope was cut off. I advise you to give up the idea of running away. When Shiyu said this, Jirofang was also surprised. He did not expect that his mind would be completely seen through Shiyu. It was also because of this that Shiyu became more and more unfathomable. But he obviously wouldn't wait to die. Just when he wanted to try to escape, he found that the clay doll at this time could not walk at all. Moreover, the body was sinking constantly. Looking down at his feet, he found his summoned beast, mud figure, was in a swamp. And one of them bubbling acidic mucus. Undoubtedly, this is obviously Shiyu's masterpiece. Open black lens bracket 2 Dunhuang Quangquan close black lens bracket. Perceiving this situation, Jirobo knows that this time he has no chance of escape. 437. I saw his eyes staring at Shiyu, and asked, "Can you tell me your name? Because of the fact that you previously provided us with entertainment venues for free, I will reluctantly tell you. Your uncle, my name is Tokikawa. As Shiyu's voice fell, Jirofang's head was also submerged in the yellow spring marsh, completely disappearing. Shiyu, he should die now, right? Hearing this, Shiyu nodded. His open black lens bracket yellow spring marsh close black lens bracket is an ordinary Huang Quan marsh. The ordinary yellow spring marsh can only be used to trap the enemy, and it will stop when it sinks to a certain level. However, Shiyu's yellow spring marsh was different. He added another escape technique to yellow spring marsh. The technique of dissolving monsters. The technique of dissolving monsters creates a viscous and highly corrosive acid, which can be used in a wide range, and its strength can be melted. This bloodstain limit is only used by 5 generations of Water Shadow Terumi Ming in the ninja world today. It is also because of this that Jirobo and the summoned beast clay figure will continue to fall into it. To be precise, it should be corroded. If the bottom is melted, the top will naturally continue to sink. After solving Jirobo, Shiyu said to Naruto, "Go, let's set off for the next stop." Naruto nodded and walked to Shiyu's side. With Shiyu's thoughts, he moved. The next moment, the figures of the two disappeared out of thin air. To read the ununderlined version of the novel, please download Faye. Advertisement. The 150th chapter Six-Handed Spider Gatongmaru. In the forest, three shadows are constantly shuttled among them, and one of them is still carrying a barrel. Undoubtedly, they are the three of Onizumaru who left earlier. Three. That fellow Jirobo is too slow, right? If he heard it close, Tayuya was worried. He wouldn't have any accidents, right? Impossible. How can those two Shia shinobu be opponents of Jirofang? Gui Tongmaru denied it, and then analyzed it. Furthermore, the two boys have been trapped in the barrier of Dungeon Hall No. They can only be slaughtered, so there is no room to fight back. Gatong Maruhui said in this way, obviously having absolute confidence in that Dungeon Hall nothing. Because of that barrier, even if they want to crack it, it will take a lot of effort. Hearing Guidomaru's words, the Tayuya and the two felt that there was nothing wrong with it. However, at this moment, a voice rang in their ears. You are talking about us. The three who heard this were all shocked, because this sentence did not come from their mouths. Because of this, their eyes swept around. Then they surprisingly discovered that there were two more people around them out of thin air. They are not others, they are Shiyu and Naruto. This scene undoubtedly stunned the three of them. They looked forward to it for a long time, but Jirofang didn't expect it, but instead expected Shiyu and the others. But this is not the point is that the two have appeared out of nowhere. This is so weird. Shocked, but they immediately opened the distance between the two of Shiyu. On the other hand, Gatong Maru directly puts the bucket, throwing it to the other two people, and said, Zakan, Tayuya, you are one step ahead. Leave it to me here. Gatong Maru, whose voice fell, was also no nonsense, and the handprint was knotted, and a low drink sounded from his throat. Ninja spider binding. Immediately afterwards, a spider web came out of his mouth, and Shiyu instantly avoided the attack, but Naruto was not so lucky. It was netted on top of a big tree. But Naruto was also very smart, and at the moment he was netted, he used the substitute technique, and then Naruto's voice also sounded. Eat me, Naruto plays with it. Exclamation mark quote. I saw 555 Naruto falling from a high place and heading straight towards Gatong Maru. Upon seeing this, he immediately spit out a large group of spider silk from his mouth. The six-handed Gatong Maru made a spider web while forming a seal. When Naruto's fist was about to fall on him, the spell he prepared had already been completed. Open Ninja Spider Nest. Use the chakra in your body to spit out a small web and seal your opponent in a tree, which can stop your opponent from moving. Seeing Shiyu and Naruto being stopped by Gatong Maru, Sakan Kazuo was carrying a bucket. One step ahead. When leaving, Doyu did not forget to hug. That fat man, what's up? I really shouldn't have left him among us before. Seeing the two gradually moving away, Shiyu had no intention of chasing after him. Because this is the end he wants, let them take Sasuke to move on. And they will send it at a fixed point later. At this time, Naruto, who is bound by the spider web and hung on the tree, is trying hard to cut the spider silk with kunai, but what makes him stunned? No matter how hard he uses it, he can't get the spider silk. Cut. Boy, don't waste your effort. My web is very tough, and it is difficult to cut it with an ordinary blade. Upon seeing it, Gatong Maru said, and then looked at Shiyu, who felt that the latter was definitely better than Naruto. Shiyu can easily avoid it from just now. His open black lens bracket spider-bound close black lens bracket can be glimpsed. He once thought that the trick that appeared out of nowhere was the latter. Boy, your companion has been trapped by me, and now you are alone. I am enough to deal with you, Shiyu said faintly. Huh, arrogant. Gatongmaru snorted coldly, and then said, you two can appear here, it means that Jirofang didn't kill you. I am very curious about how you escaped from his hand. What kind of help do you have? You still killed him. There are only two possibilities for Shiyu and Naruto to appear here, but he is more inclined to the former. Because he didn't see the slightest trace of the battle from the two of them. So the possibility of the latter is extremely low. Because if it were the latter, then you and Naruto had killed Jirobo effortlessly. In other words, the strength of the two people must completely crush Jirofang. If the other party is Shangnan, he may still believe one or two. But Shiyu and Naruto are just two ninjas. Moreover, Jirofang possesses the power of Curse Seal, how could it be easily killed by two of them? However, Shiyu did not answer, but asked instead. Which one do you think it is? You don't want to answer, I'm afraid there will be no chance later. I have to say that Gatong Maru is quite confident in his own strength. The pretending words that have noses and eyes are all 10% of the demeanor. Gatong Maru, whose voice fell, didn't have any unnecessary nonsense, and he performed another secret technique. Ninfa Spider Sticky Gold. I saw a golden spider silk spit out of Gatongmaru's mouth, which turned into a metal object after being poured by chakra. At this time, Gatongmaru's 6 hands each held a metal sharp weapon made of spider silk, reaching out to point at Shiyu. HMPH, let me play with you. I'm not afraid to tell you, my strength is stronger than Jirofang. Oh, is it? Shiyu responded softly, and then said, then you can hold on for a while, but don't let that fat man lose it after a few strokes. The Gatong Maru who heard the words was stunned for a moment, then his complexion instantly became cold, and his Senran voice slowly sounded. Really, it made me playful. I'm going to play for 3 minutes first, and then kill you. Coincidentally, I have this intention too. Shi Yu replied and continued. However, I am more playful, at least it will be good for Zhao to play the game for half an hour. Very good, then we will see who plays who. Gatong Maru snorted coldly, not talking nonsense, and once again used spider binding. However, this time it wasn't a spider web. Instead, dozens of people were spit out continuously. Moreover, the moment the spider web spit out, the 6 metal weapons made of spider silk in his hand were directly thrown at Shi Yu. In this way, it can increase the hit rate. However, a strange thing appeared in front of his eyes again, and the 6 spider silk weapons he threw out turned out to be in the air. Not only that, they also cut off all the spider webs he spit out. His spider webs were constantly cutting with ordinary swords, but the metal sharp tools he made from spider silks were extremely sharp and could cut through. Looking at the 6 sharp weapons floating around Shi Yu's body, Guitong Maru seemed to rang out, exclaiming. You are the one of Konoha. Magnetic Escape, Sha Ren. Chapter 140. Oh, you actually know me. Hearing Shiba's words, Guidomaru also said. Although Konoha's Shin Shinobi exam was broken and stopped, the news of Magnetic Escape, Sha Jin has long been spread. At that time, the 4 of them were also in Konoha. But because of the task, they hibernated beforehand, and didn't see Takiwa's game. It's just that what he didn't expect was that, open black lens bracket. Magnetic Escape close black lens bracket Shuren was actually right in front of his eyes. I guess it's correct, Takikawa. It seems that you are indeed a little clever. Shi Yu replied, and then said. However, in my case, just being a little clever is useless. Humph. Now that I know your bloodstain limit ability, you don't want to sneak into me. In the words, Guido Maru directly took off the Odonin guard forehead from his head, which was the only iron product on his body. Among the 4 Odonin 4 members, he was the only one wearing forehead protection. Moreover, he directly turned on the first form of curse sealing. After knowing Toki's identity, he also gave a certain amount of respect. Not only that, at this moment, he was a little doubtful whether Jirofang was really killed by Shiyu. He thought that the possibility was extremely small. He didn't know Shiyu's strength, but now he thinks the probability is already 3/3. 1. And whether this probability is increasing or decreasing can only be known through battle. Yes. Shiyu said softly and drank immediately. 437 inches magnetic escape latte. Immediately after, 6 sharp spider silk weapons were also shot at Gatong Maru. Upon seeing this, Gatong Maru showed a sneer at the corner of his mouth, but he did not think that such an attack would pose any threat to him at all. Gatong Maru jumped aside directly, but the next second he discovered that Shi Yu had already stepped out behind him at some point. This is still in the case of not using Flying Thunder God, it can be seen that Shi Yu's current speed has reached a terrifying situation. Indeed, facing opponents like Guido Maru, Shi Yu didn't need to use anything Fei Lei Shen. When Guidomaru noticed Toki, a chakra ball in the latter's hand had already landed on him. Spiral pill. No surprise. The Gatong Maru who was hit by the spiral pill hit the ground without any accident. Boom. A loud sound rang, and the sky was full of smoke. After the smoke dissipated, only one voice was seen at this moment, lying on the collapsed floor like a dead dog. Although Gatong Maru is not dead at this moment, his whole body is immobile. He can withstand the power of Helix Pill, and he has to rely on his modified body. Advertisement. Of course, the most important thing is that Shiyu has kept his hands. He didn't push the spiral pill to the extreme, otherwise, it is estimated that the game will be finished with the strength of Gatong Maru. Helix Maru, as of level ninjutsu, its power can't be overpowered. The reason why he is merciful is because Shiyu said, you have to play with him for half an hour before killing him. This is the way to cure his body, which can be described as a heart. At this time, Guitong Maru raised his eyes with difficulty and stared at Shi Yu, eyes full of consternation and jealousy. He knew that Shi Yu had mastered magnetic escape, and he knew that Shi Yu was not an ordinary ninja. They were all activated curse sealing state 1, but what he didn't expect was that Shi Yu was so strong, how many times stronger than he thought. Especially with the spiral pill just now, he has lingering fears now. At this moment, he has completely determined one thing. That is, Jirofang was definitely killed by Shi Yu. His current appearance is the best proof. At this time, Gatongmaru was thinking, I can't beat him, and all I can do now is escape. As long as I forcefully enter curse sealing state 2-2. It should be able to recover some. However, when Gatongmaru was making this wishful thinking, Shiyu's voice slowly sounded. Gatongmaru, I said it before. Before you die, I will play with you for half an hour. So, you can rest assured that your life will not be in danger within this half an hour. Hearing Shiyu's words, Guido Maru was taken aback. When he looked at the playful expression on Shiyu's face again, he didn't know why a sense of horror suddenly appeared in his heart. Next second, when Shiyu's palm fell to the ground suddenly shook. Then a large piece of soil emerged from the ground, and it was wrapped in it under Gatong Maru's stunned gaze. At this moment, Guido Maru in the dungeon was extremely shocked. This ninjutsu was naturally very familiar to him, because it was the skill of his partner Jirobo. There is no Tuden enchantment dungeon hall. This is impossible. How could you do Jirofang's moves? Guitong Maru at this moment was undoubtedly dumbfounded. Shiyu's hand operation directly broke his last hope. Because in his current state, even if he forcibly enters Curse Ceiling State 2-2, he will not break this dungeon hall none. Because of this trick, it was exhausting to break during his peak period. Not to mention the half-dead state now. Gui Tong Wan, cherish this last time. When the words fell, Shiyu came to a big tree. Seeing Naruto is still there, trying to cut the spider web made by Gatong Maru, he couldn't help but feel a little speechless. Advertisement. The reason why he didn't save Naruto in the first time just now was because he wanted to see if he could think of the method by himself. But what he didn't expect was that Naruto was attendant. He was too persistent. Shiyu, you can count it. This damn spider web, no matter how I cut it, he just keeps going. Naruto said with a depressed expression. This spider web is made of chakras, and there is chakra flow inside. It is impossible to cut off ordinary sharp weapons. What should I do then? It might be difficult for him to condense chakra scalpel. Shiyu murmured to himself, and then said, you condense the chakra above the kunai, and when you condense, imagine the chakra as kunai, so that the chakra becomes sharp. In this way, this special spider web can be cut. Hearing Shiyu's words, Naruto also tried decisively. However, what surprised him was that he still kept going. Because of this, his gaze turned to Shiyu again, looking aggrieved. It's useless. It's not that it's useless, but that the chakra you have condensed above the karma is not sharp enough. Come slowly, this is considered a practice. After hearing this, Naruto also came with enthusiasm, and kept trying. Without karma, it is not so troublesome to gather together. 10 minutes later, Naruto finally cut the spider web, and this result made him extremely excited. Although this is just a simple practice, it is undoubtedly a huge gain for Naruto. Immediately after, the two of them came to the dungeon enchantment on the ground. It's almost time, it's time to add some stuff. Hearing Shiyu's words, the Gatong Maru chrysanthemum who was trapped in it was also tight. Because he didn't know what crooked idea the former came up with to make him know, now it's half an hour and 20 minutes away.